What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
4AC. Chapter 76. Lei Luo's arm technique shocked the entire marine world. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Chapter 76. Lei Luo's arm skill shocks the whole marine world. The moment Garp jumped off the bow, Sengoku picked up the phone bug, Zon Momomaru. Immediately changed the mission program of the PX pacifist, and prepare to capture the bounty of 550 million pirates, fire fist ace, encounter block, shoot and kill. With this layout, Sengoku aims to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Destroy the Whitebeard pirates, destroy Lei Luo's white paper flower merchant, and capture the evil blood of One Piece Roger to carry out a public execution all over the world to revive the marine army. Originally, the elimination of Whitebeard and the capture of Ace were to be carried out simultaneously. But as soon as the D Lei Luo appeared, he once again disrupted his overall layout, forcing him to arrest Ace in advance. Otherwise, even if the Whitebeard pirates and Lei Luo's white paper flower chamber of commerce are successfully wiped out, this victory will be imperfect and inconsistent with the military order he set in front of the 5 elders. Boom. And at this moment, a thunderclap suddenly came from the battlefield below. Sengoku put down the phone bug and looked down at the battlefield. Garp and Lei Luo, who were wrapped in the dark and deep Armament Haki, had already competed. The earth-shattering thunder just now was obviously caused by the 2 people fighting head-on. It was just a punch, and the 2 of them took a few steps back, and the aftermath that spread in all directions overturned the surrounding marines and pirates. Everyone thought it was the demon fruit power of the electrical department exploding, but after recovering, they realized that the thunderous sound was actually Garp and Lei Luo punching each other. Is this Lei Luo's Armament Haki really so strong? Sengoku frowned into the word, Chuan. Seeing is better than hearing, although I have heard more than once that Beizihua Lei Luo's Armament Haki is extremely powerful, but when I saw that this guy can fight with the old buddy Garp without losing the wind, I am very surprised. Sengoku, the Marine Marshal, was also shocked. Are you able to compete head-on with Garp the Fist without losing the wind? This guy Lei Luo is many times stronger than before. This improvement in strength is simply amazing. The tyrant Bartholomew, who had been fishing on the bow, finally put down the Bible in his hand, and the scene of fighting Lei Luo in the Kaludia Cathedral kept flashing in his mind. If today's Lei Luo were to fight against him, his semi-transformed body might not even be able to withstand a single punch. Garp fiddled with his fists, exuding a powerful aura that was as towering as a mountain and as vast as an ocean. Just standing there gave off the feeling of an impenetrable human fortress. The tyrannical aura ran over to Lei Luo in a targeted manner. Lei Luo brat, you really don't have a long memory, have you forgotten the previous lesson? Or, do you still want to eat the old man's fist again? Garp looked at the power of black armament Haki covered in deep lacquer, and shouted with a dark face. Although he shouted loudly, Garp's heart was gradually sinking, and a strong sense of inconceivableness swept through his body. After punching each other for a short time, he suddenly found that the emission Haki left in Lei Luo's body had all disappeared, and the foundation he had crippled before had also recovered. What's more terrible is that the strength of this kid's punches is far better than before. It is obvious that his strength has improved by leaps and bounds. In just a few days, the hidden wounds healed, and the basic recovery of strength went further. This white paper flower Lei Luo simply subverted his understanding of Armament Haki. If you want to hit, hit, if you don't hit, get out. It's not certain who will eat whose fist. After the words fell, Lei Luo clenched his fist fiercely, bang. The muscles on the arm suddenly tightened, and there was a thunderclap between the fingers. The Armament Haki that covered the whole body quickly faded away at this moment, and all of it poured into the right arm. The Armament Haki that covered the right arm was extraordinarily dark and deep, and the surrounding light they are all dimmed by the deep black paint on the fist. In just a short moment, all the eyes of the audience were attracted by Lei Luo, and all eyes were on Lei Luo. White paper flower Lei Luo, you're about to make a move again. The soldiers of Marine were all surprised and amazed. They had just punched Marine hero Vice Admiral Garp, but this guy still has more energy. No, it should be said that it can still burst out such a tyrannical force. Are you going to make a move? White paper flower Lei Luo. Dracul Mahawk's mouth twitched slightly when he heard the movement coming out of the cabin. I heard before that Lei Luo was crippled by Garp, but now it seems that the rumors are a bit false. This Lei Luo doesn't look like a person who was crippled. It's a pity that their first collision was not seen, and this second collision must not be missed. The eagle-like sharp eyes are beating with the light of seeing Li Xinshi. How far can you compete with Garp, Lei Luo? Boa Hancock, Gecko Moria and Bartholomew Dashong also showed expressions of extreme surprise and expectation. The power of the duel just now has been earth-shattering. How far will the duel this time reach? Who will win between Lei Luo and Garp? You know, Garp the Fist is not comparable to Admiral or 7 warlords of the sea. This old man is one of the few people who really stand on the top of the world. Boom. There was another thunderous sound, and Garp the Fist also clenched his fist violently. Just looking at the dark and deep fist made people feel a sense of oppressiveness, and the muscle tremor at the moment of clenching the fist was enough. Let the surrounding air ripple and twist violently. Advertisement. Vice Admiral Garp is coming. The Marine soldiers were visibly excited when they saw this scene, because judging from the power of the clenched fist, it was obvious that Vice Admiral Garp was even better. The old man thought that the lesson from last time was enough to keep you dormant for a long time, but it seems that the lesson is not deep enough. Although this old man doesn't know how you recovered in such a short period of time, if this old man can cripple you once, he can cripple you a second time. This time, I must crush you to the bottom of the deep-sea prison. Garp's voice sounded, and at the same time, an explosive force burst out from under his feet, and the ground instantly shattered and collapsed into a large pit with a diameter of more than 10 meters. Garp has rushed in front of Lei Luo with a strong reverse thrust. Deep lacquer black's fist blatantly blasted out, bringing with it a tyrannical impact like a 10th level gust of wind, and his whole body's aura crushed down towards Lei Luo like a mount high. If you look closely, you will find that the fist wrapped around Armament Haki is rubbed against the air violently, and there are dazzling sparks dancing on the ring head. Plead guilty and bring justice to justice, Lei Luo brat. Looking at the oncoming lacquer black iron fist, Lei Luo stomped his feet and roared. A resounding dragon chant sounded in the body immediately, and a hot temperature spread along the spine to the right arm at an extremely fast speed, and there seemed to be a red-hot iron-like look in the originally pitch-black and deep fist. The scorching heat distorts the air around fists and arms. In an instant, Lei Luo's fist faced Garp's fist and swung his cold and dull aura brazenly, not letting things collide with Garp's aura. The surrounding pirates and marines subconsciously retreated dozens of steps, leaving enough space for the two to fight, for fear of being affected by the aftermath of their aura. Plead guilty to the law. Hey, I'll talk about it if you win. Boom. There seemed to be a muffled thunder in the field, and the tyrannical air wave continued to spread in all directions. Wherever it passed, all marines and pirates were overturned without exception. Crack. Boom. The few warships that were close were not spared either, and they were destroyed by the force of the fists raised by the two of them. The hulls of the ships collapsed, and sawdust and iron pieces flew everywhere. On the Shichibukai battleship in the distance, Dracula Mahawk's eagle-like sharp eyes shrank fiercely for an instant. Standing on a high place, of course he could see more clearly than others. Lei Luo's and Garp's fists didn't collide at all. What just overturned everyone was just the aftermath of the air wave they created. He is obviously not the only one who understands the excitement, Boa Hancock swallowed unconsciously. How is it possible? Having such terrifying power before touching the opponent's fist. If the aftermath of the collision of fists and waves is terrifying, how intense will the core collision between these two be? Boa Hancock took a deep breath, stronger than a person like Lei Luo. Even if Conqueror's Haki directly crushed him, he couldn't make him succumb. The next moment, bang! The fists of the two finally collided together, as if negative ions collided with positive ions, immediately causing a devastating wave. With an extremely dull sound of fist collision, the ice surface under the two people's feet cracked layer by layer, and extended and spread at a speed visible to the naked eye. It only took 2 or 3 seconds. Under the aftermath of the collision, it shattered with a bang, and the turbulent sea water set off hundreds of feet high. Marine and the pirates were all stunned. No one expected that the white paper flower Lei Luo would fight Vice Admiral Garp again. Could it be that this guy's Armament Haki is as terrifying as Vice Admiral Garp? In a moment, the fists of the two were separated, and at the same time they fell heavily on the ice. The muscles of Lei Luo's right arm were tense and twitched unnaturally, apparently suffering serious trauma. As expected, the old guy Garp was better. The corner of Boa Hancock's mouth curled into a charming arc, but there was a touch of regret in his words. In fact, for a moment she felt that Lei Luo might really have the upper hand in this duel, and even beat Garp. After all, the moment when the two of them are fighting each other is too powerful, and they are evenly matched, it is easy to give people the illusion that Lei Luo's strength is not inferior to Garp. Hey, but the illusion is an illusion after all. Hearing Boa Hancock's words, Hawkeye Dracula Mahawk shook his head in disapproval. No, the Armament Haki of these two people are evenly matched, if you insist on who loses. Garp's serious injury is a little more serious. What? 0. Asking for flowers. Boa Hancock glanced at the eagle eyes, his beautiful eyes were full of doubts. It is obvious that Garp is better, right? And the next moment, Garp coughed violently, clutching his chest. Ahem, vomit. Then a mouthful of scalding reverse blood was sprayed out, the blood fell on the ice surface, and even the ice surface was melted by the hot temperature to form a small pit. Hancock was so startled that he covered his mouth with his hands, and a strong sense of inconceivableness swept through his body. How is it possible? Advertisement. Garp vomited blood. As Eagle Eye said, Lei Luo won the duel just now. Damn. Garp scattered Armament Haki from his arm. The sleeves of his clothes had been completely shattered in the collision just now. Without the cover of the sleeves, the eyes on his arm, like a red-hot iron, were extraordinarily eye-catching and glaring. Just now he clearly felt Lei Luo punching a fiery force into his body. This fiery temperature is constantly eroding the flesh and blood, and this heat can't be forced out directly with Armament Haki. Burning blood and burning bones, excruciating pain. Boom. Garp half kneeled on the ground, blasted through the ice with his fist. His right arm was embedded in the ground to cool down, and he gnashed his teeth and popped out a few words. Wuzhuang technique. How did you master this power? Garp's eyes are full of astonishment. This special enthusiasm is definitely an armament skill. It is an extremely rare skill derived from the absolutely tyrannical Armament Haki. But why did this kid, Lei Luo, master such an extremely rare and superb skill? Although this kid's Armament Haki is strong, it is far from being absolutely powerful. And he has immersed himself in Armament Haki for decades, honed Armament Haki to the most terrifying level in the world, and he has only barely mastered one-armed skill. How old is Lei Luo? Only 24 years old. The tempering of the bones of the whole body has not been completed yet, has it? How could he master such transcendent power as armed skills? This kid is a monster. No, a monster. Seeing Garp vomiting blood and half kneeling on the ground to cool down his arms, everyone's eyes were about to pop out, with shocked expressions on their faces. Even someone who doesn't understand armament Haki at all can tell that Vice Admiral Garp had the upper hand in the collision just now. Master Garp lost. Traumatized by Lei Luo. How is this possible? Aokiji Kuzan couldn't help but screamed out in horror. What a terrifying armament Haki, what an absurd scene. He was trained by Mr. Garp. In those years, he followed Mr. Garp and witnessed one after another shocking battles, catching Roger, holding the golden lion, smashing the cone. With the cone head of the green pepper, no one can gain the upper hand in the armed color confrontation with the old man. But today, the old man's myth of arming was broken. Could it be the dark wound left by the last battle? Aokiji clenched his fists. It seems that the old man lied to me, his injury is not healed at all. Otherwise, how could he lose to Lei Luo? Lei Luo's armed color is stronger than I imagined. If he is willing to pick up the sword, within a year, he will be able to forge a black sword of unknown quality, a handed-down black sword of the night. Dracul Mahawk, as a strong man tempered by himself and holding a black knife, is obviously extremely high in Armament Haki's early stage. At this moment, the master of swordsmanship and armed color was also very curious about how Lei Luo did it. Relying on pure Armament Haki traumatic armor color bar Garp, such a thing, he had never even thought about it. No, impossible, Vice Admiral Garp lost to Armament Haki. The one who beat him was Lei Luo who was taught by him before. Half of Garp's apprentice, after witnessing the battle where Garp strongly crushed Lei Luo, Kebi's mind went blank, and he felt like the sky was falling. The invincible Vice Admiral Garp was defeated by someone who once defeated him. In the distance, Huaquan Ace, who was about to rush over to fight for Lei Luo, almost had his eyeballs fall off. He subconsciously reached out to touch the top of his head. When he was a child, he was often beaten with love by the old man's iron fist, so he naturally knew the power of that fist. The deputy captain beat the old man. Damn, he is indeed the man I regard as an idol. Marine Admiral Sengoku clenched his fists and said in a shocking tone, "It's really hidden, white paper flower bud road. This is simply not the power he should master at this age. Trauma Armament Haki's benchmark Garp the Fist is really a guy with unlimited potential. But that's about it. Marine and World Jungfu will never tolerate the growth of such a monstrous enemy." Sengoku jumped down from the bow of the warship, and the golden light was shining in the air. In the blink of an eye, a tall statue of the golden Buddha fell on the ice. Glaring, the golden Buddha's light quickly condensed in the palm of his hand. Garp, strike together, no matter the cost, kill this official. Ding. Advertisement. Chapter 77. Sengoku's Shock of the Buddha. Please subscribe. Advertisement. As soon as it landed on the ground, the brilliant gold Buddha light in Sengoku's palm lit up, and a solemn and magnificent momentum spread out. The surrounding marine soldiers all exclaimed, "Marshal Sengoku also wants to attack." The phantom of the Buddha with a golden body of 9 feet 9 feet. I was lucky enough to see it only once during the battle between Marshal Sengoku and the golden lion. Damn it, how is this white paper flower Lei Luo so strong? How could he force Marshal Sengoku and Vice Admiral Garp, two living legendaries, to attack at the same time? The last time these two fought together was against Golden Lion Shiki. No matter what, Lei Luo will definitely die this time. The eyes of Dracul Mahawk's eagle-like sharp gaze suddenly narrowed, and the 9-foot-9-foot-old golden Buddha is also a legendary for the most powerful swordsman in the world. The faces of Gecko Moria, Boa Hancock, Bartholomew Da Shang, etc. also changed for a while, and their hearts were also suspended. Can Lei Luo, who blocked Garp's iron fist, withstand the impact of Sengoku's Buddha's light? On the pirate side, the captain of Whitebeard's 16th Division also felt very heartbroken. Such a majestic blow makes people tremble just by looking at it. Is the deputy captain really okay? Marco, who escaped from the fight with Edward Wabel, burst out with blue flames all over his body. Hey! With a howl, he turned into a phoenix with wings spread tens of feet, soaring into the sky, and lay in front of Lei Luo. Vice Captain, leave this guy to me. As the captain of Whitebeard's first team, Marco has always been responsible. Although the scene where the deputy captain traumatized Garp the Fist just now is extremely exciting, but if you are facing two living legendaries, you will definitely not be able to do it. And among the many brothers, only he who ate the phoenix fruit and was able to be reborn from Nirvana may be able to help the deputy captain share part of the pressure. Father said, from now on. The Whitebeard pirates are honored by the white paper flower Lei Luo. Marco, back off. Lei Luo snorted coldly, his words filled with undeniable majesty. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Marco hesitated for a second, and finally retreated honestly, but he still maintained his phoenix transformation, and if something went wrong, he would immediately stand in front of Lei Luo. Drink. Lei Luo stomped his foot on the ground, exhaled and made a loud noise, boom. There seemed to be a high-pitched dragon chant resounding in the body. Clang. The dull sound of gold and iron clashing sounded immediately, and Lei Luo's arms were instantly armed and blackened. It was so dark and deep that it dimmed the surrounding light. The fiery, scalding heat quickly climbed up the spine, split into left and right strands, soaked into the arms, and the arms that were originally pitch black suddenly became like red-hot irons. The scorching hot temperature continued to condense, and the air around the arm was burned to the point of ripples. The bursts of burnt 010 smell spread along with Lei Luo's domineering and fearless aura. Lei Luo and Sengoku hadn't fought each other yet, the tyrannical aura of the two collided first, and the atmosphere on the entire battlefield became oppressive and dead silent for a while. Looking at Lei Luo's arm like a red-hot iron, Garp's expression froze suddenly. Is this the weapon technique that just invaded his body with Lei Luo's emission haki? What's with this enthusiasm? The temperature that can distort the air must be at least 100 degrees, and the temperature emitted by Lei Luo's arms is obviously more than that. How on earth did this guy do it? Harnessing the biothermal energy of the human body. Less than, not allowed. The biological heat energy inside the human body is between 30 and 40 degrees, and it is impossible to condense such high temperature heat energy. Even if it can condense, the nervous system of the human body cannot bear it at all. How did this Lei Luo master such a brilliant weapon technique? At this moment, Garp only thinks that Lei Luo's attainment in armed color is like a deep pool, bottomless. Clang. With the sound of gold and iron clashing, Garp's fists also turned into a deep lacquer black, and there were layers of ripples in the air between his gestures, as if what condensed on his hands was not armament haki, but a destructive power that could destroy the world. Strength. Almost at the same time, Sengoku of the Buddha threw his hand violently and stomped his feet, the solid ice cracked instantly, and Sengoku also jumped into the sky by this, from top to bottom. Buddha shock. The Buddha's palm was pushed out horizontally, and the atmosphere shook violently. A Jongjung peaceful but violent and domineering impact burst out instantly, like a volcanic eruption, reaching ultimate in an instant. Hot punch. Boom. Lei Luo stretched out his left arm and punched a straight punch without showing any weakness. The moment he punched, the air exploded, and the sound was like thunder. In the next second, the eyes of the people watching the battle froze suddenly. What the hell? The powerful impact of Sengoku's attack actually froze for a moment, forcibly weakening the three-point power. At this time, Lei Luo's right arm also raised up, and he punched an uppercut from bottom to top. Bang. There was another violent sound of Juxiao Junlei. The sound waves spread out layer by layer with the air waves. The surrounding marines and pirates couldn't help covering their ears, and scattered around looking for cover. The few people who were unfortunately hit by the air waves were already on their chests. Get bored, pass out. As soon as Lei Luo's uppercut was halfway through, his arm felt as if it was being oppressed by an invisible weight, and it was difficult to get an inch higher. Sinner. Get on your knees. Sengoku, who had the upper hand, suddenly exhaled and opened his voice. His voice was like a Buddha's sticking out a stick. It was deafening, and all the guys who were not good enough were buzzing with embarrassment. The corner of Lei Luo's mouth curled up into a cold and brutal arc, and he let out a shallow breath. His breathing pattern suddenly changed, and at the same time he clenched his fist suddenly. His entire right arm became red, and the scorching hot temperature exploded outward. At the same time, a line of text only visible to him also jumped out. Mission reminder. If you are a king, you should not be afraid of fighting against the sky and the battlefield, and escape from Garp and Sengoku, two legendary level powerhouses. Mission reward. Attribute points plus 80. Kneel down. Ah, break me. With a yell, Lei Luo stomped his feet fiercely, and with the help of the tyrannical reverse thrust, his power erupted again. The solid ice under his feet shattered into shards, his fist broke through the invisible barrier in an instant, and his fiery vigor soared into the sky. The air is covered with a layer of scalding heat, turning into a scorching heat wave. The vigor penetrates the sky, and at the same time, it completely dispels the Buddha's impact that Sengoku hits in the form of a 9'9" golden Buddha. No matter how strong the shock wave is, its essence is compressed and released air, and when the temperature reaches a certain level, it can change the speed and direction of the air flow, and even break it directly. Boom. For a moment, the air exploded, and there was an earth-shattering loud noise in midair, as if thousands of caddies of high-purity explosives were detonated at the same time. The sky exploded, and the cumulus clouds in the sky were completely dispersed, leaving a cloudless sky. Extremely blue. Marco, who had been hovering in midair while transforming into a phoenix, was instantly thrown away. Dracul Mahawk's pupils trembled sharply, shock was written in the eagle's sharp eyes, and a few words popped out with some slurred words. Catch it. Gecko Moria's mouth opened wide into an, oh, and the inexhaustible shock was capitalized on his face. My god. Boa Hancock cried out, covering her vermilion lips with her white hands, the shock in her beautiful eyes couldn't help gushing out. Advertisement. Aokiji, Kizaru, Ghost Spider and other marine executives all trembled. How is it possible that Marshal Sengoku's Buddha's impact was really blocked? What the FK are you kidding? This shock is a tsunami against Whitebeard. Is Lei Luo stronger than Whitebeard? Is he the strongest man in the world? All the marines looked at each other in blank dismay, and they all saw the incomparable shock in each other's eyes, as if they had just witnessed the birth of another Whitebeard. A strong sense of crisis also burst out. If the white paper flower Lei Luo is not completely suppressed here today, the future new world will surely have a monster stronger than Whitebeard, that will be Marine and the nightmare of the world conquest. The pirates heaved a sigh of relief, although in their eyes Deputy Captain Lei Luo was invincible, but in the face of such a massive blow, no one would unconsciously sweat for Lei Luo. While heaving a sigh of relief, everyone also felt a burst of disbelief. The full-strength attack of the 9'9" golden Buddha, the Deputy Captain Lei Luo actually blocked it. Good. Damn it. Deputy Captain Lei Luo is invincible. The crowd did not know who yelled first, and the cheers from the pirates for Lei Luo instantly joined together like a tsunami. As if as long as there is Lei Luo, they will definitely be able to lead them to win this war. However, such cheers did not last long. The Buddha's Sengoku shot was broken, but Garp the Fist's eyes flashed a bright light. Is the Buddha's impact that Sengoku's old man burst out with all his strength easy to bear? Of course not. Lei Luo, who withstood the impact of the Buddha, is of course quite remarkable, so powerful that it cannot be added, but he has used all his strength to resist the impact of the Buddha. At this moment, he should be in the embarrassment of the old power gone and the new power not born stage. When you fall into a well, you need to drop a heavy stone, take advantage of his illness, and kill him. Garp stomped his feet violently, and the ice surface instantly sank into a hole, and Garp also used this tyrannical counterthrust to directly approach Lei Luo, fist bone meteor iron fist. The forceful blow directly hit Lei Luo, clang, plop. With a punch to the flesh, with a dull sound like gold and iron clashing, Lei Luo flew upside down and smashed directly into the sea. Deputy Captain, Lieutenant Captain Lei Luo. The pirates suddenly exclaimed, as if the great situation just now was reversed in an instant. On the side of Marine, the field soldiers cheered collectively, Vice Admiral Garp is invincible. Long live. Ha ha ha, after all, Vice Admiral Garp is better. Suffering from the Buddha's impact of Marshal Sengoku and a full blow from Vice Admiral Garp, this Lei Luo is doomed. Hawkeye shook his head for a while. Victory is invincible. Hancock, Moria and Da Shang also shook their heads, feeling sorry for Lei Luo, a rising star who fell at the speed of light. The newborn Tianzhou strongman, at the same time, will be powerless against the two older legendary level strongmen at the same time. It's a pity. If you can escape from the siege of Sengoku and Garp, the future sea will definitely have his white paper flower Lei Luo's territory. However, no one had any idea, Garp's face was gloomy at the moment. That Lei Luo guy, he's really fully recovered from his injuries. Garp clearly remembers that in the last fight, he dented Lei Luo's ribcage with a punch. Therefore, the all-out attack just now also hit the sternum, in order to break through Lei Luo's weakest link with thunderous force, and directly kill him. But, the moment of contact just now made him clearly aware that Lei Luo's injury was intact. The bone tempering of the sternum has also been completed. Damn, how is this possible? According to his experience, it takes months at least to temper a piece of bone, but Lei Luo, in just a few days, not only recovered from the injury. The foundation has been repaired, and the bones of several parts such as the arms, legs, spine, and chest have been tempered. It completely overturned his summary of experience in the practice of armed color, and discredited his authority. The punch just now seemed to be an overwhelming victory, directly sending Lei Luo into the sea, but Garp knew in his heart that it didn't cause him much substantial damage at all. When everyone was paying attention to the head-to-head confrontation between Lei Luo, Sengoku and Garp, no one noticed that a fat figure was quietly approaching Whitebeard's body. Thief ha ha ha. Blackbeard lowered his voice, sneaked around everyone, and came to Whitebeard's body. Trafalgar Law, you really did Lousy a great favor. If you don't take out Whitebeard's heart, Lousy may not be able to get it so easily. The fat arm covered with black hair stretched out instantly, grabbing the big hole in Whitebeard's chest. Lurking in the Whitebeard pirates for so many years, Blackbeard has not only read the Devil Fruit illustrated book, but also knows how to seize the power of other people's devil fruit. Ordinary people cannot eat the second devil fruit because the power of the devil fruit resides in the human heart. Unless there are two hearts, once the second devil fruit is eaten, the body will explode and die instantly. And he, Blackbeard, has the conditions to eat two devil fruits, it was 3. If he hadn't been killed by that D Lei Luo for 1/3, he would have been able to achieve 3 devil fruits in one body, and thus become the strongest in the world. Suppressing the hatred and anger in his heart, Blackbeard blinked and seized Whitebeard's shock fruit. This was one of his plans to participate in this war. It was powerful enough to cause earthquakes and tsunamis. Even if he couldn't eat 3 devil fruits, there was if you own this shock fruit, you will be able to avenge Lei Luo. He seems to have seen the tragic end of Lei Luo being shattered by his punch. Suddenly, Blackbeard suddenly felt his vest go cold, as if a icy lion majesty that was about to launch a fatal blow was on his back. Damn it, was it discovered? Blackbeard's heart turned, and he grabbed the hole in Whitebeard's chest at a faster speed. Shock fruit, you must get it. But in the next second, Blackbeard's pupils dilated instantly, and his back seemed to be hit by a fast-moving mountain, a mouthful of blood spurted out directly, and his body became unbalanced and fell forward. Then there was a loud shout from a distance behind. Blackbeard. You really deserve to die. Lei Luo. Blackbeard was shocked immediately. He was almost terrified of Lei Luo, even if the sound was hundreds of meters away from him, he couldn't help but leave everything behind and run away. I found a warship nearby, rushed up like a rabbit, and didn't dare to show my head again. Lei Luo. Sengoku and Garp in the distance also noticed the sudden appearance of Lei Luo. Is this guy still alive? Sengoku's eyes were horrified. He first resisted the impact of the Buddha, and then received a solid punch from Garp. This guy is still alive. What kind of monster is he? Lei Luo. Once he escapes today, he may be one of the future New World 4 emperors. No, the current Lei Luo has obviously become popular, judging from the fact that he boosted the morale of the pirates several times in a row. This guy obviously already has a very high reputation. The Whitebeard pirates and the 43 vassals almost obeyed him. It is no exaggeration to say that he is the spiritual leader of the Whitebeard pirates. Advertisement. Coupled with the will left by Whitebeard, it is almost a certainty that Lei Luo will sit on the position of 4 emperors. If he escapes today, the future New World and 4 emperors may respect him. Since challenging Aokiji, this guy has been strong all the way, triumphantly, and has done too many impossible things. His future has infinite possibilities. Since this is the case, it is even more impossible to let him leave alive today. Sengoku clasped his hands together, and the golden Buddha light gathered again. Garp was more direct. Shave. A dodge rushed directly in front of Lei Luo, and an iron fist hit him on the head. Pound. The iron fist landed on Lei Luo, and the sound was like a giant hammer hitting a bell. Lei Luo showed no sign of weakness, covered his whole body with the dark and deep Armament Haki, and struck out against Garp's iron fist. Pounds. Pounds. Beside. Fist to foot, the sound of bells ringing together. Buddha's shock. Sengoku, incarnated as a golden Buddha, jumped into the air, and a huge Buddha's palm, shining with Buddha's light, fell from the sky. Clang. Lei Luo exerted enough strength, and the black arm double played a powerful support to the sky. Click. However, facing this palm that fell from the sky, the solid ice surface failed to provide Lei Luo with a stable foothold after all. The ice surface instantly shattered, and Lei Luo was directly blasted into the sea. But Sengoku and Garp didn't have time to breathe a sigh of relief. Lei Luo, who was thrown into the sea a second ago, has broken through the water again. Pay attention to preserving your physical strength. This guy's physical strength is almost endless. Garp, who had suffered at the hands of Lei Luo, reminded. Sengoku no longer condenses the Buddha's light, and the Buddha fist shines on Lei Luo's face and grabs it. Incarnate as a golden Buddha, he can not only hit a powerful shock wave, but also has an invincible golden body that cannot be broken. As long as his physical strength is not exhausted, then he will always be in an invincible state. Even if the sky falls, he will not be able to cause substantial damage to him. Hawkeye, who was watching the battle from a distance, had a militant arc on his mouth. Good guy. This Lei Luo can actually fight Sengoku and Garp at the same time. Although he is always at a disadvantage, the two old guys Sengoku and Garp seem to be unable to do anything to him. Do you really have what it takes to be the strongest man in the world, Lei Luo? Hawkeye's hand was already on the black knife Yi, but he finally stopped the idea of drawing the knife out of its sheath, and attacked in groups, and the victory was invincible. If he really wanted to have a good fight with Lei Luo. There is ample time. You can't be subdued. What a strong man. Goo. Pirate Empress Boa Hancock looked at the stubborn figure of the two living legendaries fighting fiercely with dazed eyes, and the softest soil in her heart seemed to be touched. In this world, only a man like Lei Luo is worthy of being a concubine. Time passed by 1 minute and 1 second, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Lei Luo was shot down into the sea again and again, but broke out again and again. On the contrary, the two elderly people, Garp and Sengoku, couldn't take it anymore. The Buddha is also getting shorter and shorter. Aokiji in the distance finally came to his senses from this fierce battle with great visual impact. This monster, Lei Luo, has almost no upper limit of physical strength, and it will be detrimental to Marine if it continues to be consumed like this. Thinking of this, Aokiji shot violently without hesitation, and the cold air surged all over his body. Storm pheasant mouth. Mirror flame. Sensing Aokiji's abnormal movement, Ace violently raised his hand without hesitation, and a large piece of flame suddenly spewed out from one arm, forming a huge flame wall in an instant. The Battle of the King. What are you doing? Ice and fire collided together, and white smoke billowed instantly in the field. Before the white smoke dissipated, a bird's foot made of azure blue flames kicked towards Aokiji with a swift sound of breaking wind. Don't make trouble for Vice Captain Lei Luo, Aokiji. Marco, who flew back in the form of a phoenix, gave a strong kick, directly joined the battle circle, and cooperated with Ace to suppress Aokiji. As for another Admiral Kizaru, hey, he has already been suppressed to death by the double ghosts of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Among the 3 Marine Admirals, he is the most dependent on Devil Fruit's ability. Once Devil Fruit's ability is restricted to death, the disadvantages of Haki, physical skills and other aspects will be exposed. And what he met was Ghost-Eyed Rudolph, who was the most restrained of Demon Fruit power, and a Jin, the ghost man who could change reality and was best at melee combat. However, Aokiji's violent attack also woke up the other Marines immersed in the fierce battle between Lei Luo, Sengoku and Garp. The flying squirrel jumped into the air without hesitation, and the jet black blade covered with the color of the weapon sent out a sharp flying slash. The ghost spider's hair grew suddenly, and it grabbed 8 long knives covering Armament Haki, and attacked Lei Luo like a flexible spider. The fighting dog Doberman let out a whistling sound, and switched directly to Madara's point dog half-orc form, and the dog legs kicked out countless sharp vigor, tempest kick. Marine soldiers loaded their bullets and unsheathed their knives in unison, and began to wipe out the remaining pirates. The enemy's capital city was entangled by 2 big bosses. If they don't take action now, when will they wait? Damn Marine, get out of the way of Deputy Captain Lei Luo. On the side of the pirates, Skuyad was the first to explode, and the 4-meter-long long knife danced like a windmill, directly killing the surrounding Marines, Lashuyu, Jin Shiduo, Namur, etc. The team captains also found their own opponents. Really think we're a display. The petals fluttered, and the flying squirrel's flying slash was smashed by the foil beasta. Holding the flaming blade, Fosa chopped off the hair of the ghost spider. I said it all, don't make trouble for our vice captain. Boom. Diamond Joe's punched Doberman directly into the ice pit. Little Ozzy stretched out his arms, as thick as a tower, and blocked the 6 titans from Marine. Vice Admiral. Dad said that the Whitebeard pirates respect the Vice Captain Wilu. For a time, the battlefield centered on Lei Luo, Garp, and Sengoku started again, and Marine and pirates fought together. Boa Hancock and Bartholomew Bear, who hadn't participated in the battle for a long time, also symbolically joined the battle circle, symbolically launching a series of indiscriminate attacks, causing injuries without fatality, and neither pirates nor Marines will be offended. At the parking place of the warship far away from the battlefield, the PX Pacifist, which has been debugged for a long time, suddenly started to move, and every pacifist trial machine had a bloodthirsty red light flickering in its eyes. Target, a bounty of 550 million big pirate, captain of Whitebeard Pirates 2nd Division, Fire Fist, Portgas d'Ace. Confirmation is complete, execute the capture. On the chaotic battlefield, no one noticed that an unattended warship was slowly leaving the battle zone. Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach Gecko Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, disappeared at the same time. A whole ship of Marine died silently. And about 20 nautical miles away, on the redvers with a bow like a dragon's head, the world's #1 Shinso Yasubu is observing the battlefield through a high-power sniper lens. Boss, it's fighting again! Exclamation mark. However, Lei Luo is really fierce. He alone resisted the siege of Garp and Sengoku. Although he has been at a disadvantage, Garp and Sengoku can't help him. Instead, he consumes a lot of energy. If this momentum continues, Lei Luo might be able to kill these 2 old guys. Lajalu, who was eating meat, took out a piece of paper with the words, Marine, and Pirate, written on it. Who wants to gamble? Let's bet on who will win in the end. Red-haired Shanks straightened his pitch-black cloak. Stop playing. It's time for us to play. This war should end. Ben Beckman was smoking a slender cigarette. What do you want to do? At this point, Whitebeard is dead, and Marine and pirates will probably not let it go. The corner of Shanks' mouth curled into a bewitching arc. It depends on whether they are willing to sell me this face. Advertisement. Chapter 78. Chasing Marshal Sengoku to the death. Please subscribe. Advertisement. On the battlefield, the fierce battle between pirates and Marines intensified. Although the morale of the pirates has risen because of Lei Luo, the disparity in military strength and firepower has made the pirates' decline worse. The elite combat power of the Whitebeard pirates is good, but the situation of the 43 vassals is getting more and more difficult. Ton. There was a sound of heavy footsteps on the ice, and the entire ice trembled violently. Almost everyone's eyes focused on the source of the sound. A pacifist. Great. Everyone covers the pacifist attack and wipes out the pirates. The fighting spirit of the Marines is getting higher and higher. The PX Pacifist is the ultimate weapon developed to destroy the pirates. Run. Those unkillable monsters are coming again. Retreat quickly, don't confront them head on. As for the pirates, almost everyone panicked. They all suffered from the PX Pacifists. When a laser shot came over to the partner, the brothers lay down. This kind of fierce and ferocious firepower was beyond their ability to deal with, and the morale that had been boosted by Lei Luo disappeared in an instant. However, both Marine and pirates were stunned very quickly, because the densely packed PX pacifists directly skipped the battle circle between pirates and Marine. Target, a bounty of 550 million big pirates, Whitebeard captain of the Pirates 2nd Division, Fire Fist, Portgas d'Ace. Confirmation is complete, execute the capture. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and realized that the pacifists were not targeting them. The pirates immediately launched a life-threatening and crazy counterattack against the Marine side under the organization of the captains of the 43 vassal regiments. Meanwhile, the center of the battlefield. The battle between Lei Luo, Garp and Sengoku is gradually heating up. The entire upper body of Lei Luo turned into a red-hot iron-like color, and the hot energy kept pouring out, making the whole person look like a huge human-shaped melting pot. The hair is messy and scattered, and the blood overflowing from the corner of the mouth has been evaporated by the hot temperature and scabbed. Garp was also panting heavily. His muscular chest was like a violently heaving O4 bellows. The hidden wounds on his body had never healed, and at this time he was engaged in a high-intensity battle with Lei Luo. As time goes by, the body gradually becomes overwhelmed, the circulation speed of chi and blood drops significantly, and the efficiency of using Armament Haki also decreases visibly with the naked eye. Sengoku, who has always maintained the golden body of the Buddha, seems to be unscathed, but in fact, as long as he pays a little attention, he will find that the original golden body of the Buddha is only a little over 70 feet. More than 2 feet shorter. The golden Buddha light has also dimmed a lot. Damn, Garp is right, this Lei Luo's physical strength is simply endless, bottomless. Sengoku gets more and more frightened as he fights. Lei Luo is a perpetual motion machine that won't get tired. After fighting for so long, although they failed to gain the slightest advantage in the hands of the 2 brothers, they couldn't do anything to him, and were consumed by this B********** D instead. Boom. Garp the Fist stomped his feet on the ground, and one of the Marine's 6 styles unfolded in an instant, and moved to Lei Luo's side at an extremely fast speed. The black and deep iron fist struck out brazenly, smashing directly through the ice, forcing Lei Luo to lose his footing, and fell into the sea. But in the next moment, the solid ice beneath Sengoku's feet cracked, and a fist like a red-hot iron was wrapped in a scorching hot energy, soaring into the sky, setting off a billowing heat wave. Pound. The scorching fist landed directly on Sengoku's body, and the sound was like a giant mallet striking a bell, especially dull and resonant. Cold sweat broke out on Sengoku's forehead, and a red dent was punched on the golden body, and white smoke was rising. In the next second, a burst of dazzling golden light flashed, and the part that was just traumatized has recovered. He was injured like this with the golden body protection, but without the golden body protection, I am afraid that only Garp can withstand such an offensive. Wounding Sengoku with a punch, Lei Luo jumped out directly from under the ice, jumped into the air, and continued to smash towards Sengoku with his fiery fists quickly and fiercely. Pound. Being hit hard again, Sengoku stepped back a few steps one after another, the golden Buddha light on his body dimmed again, and the golden body of the Buddha, which was still over 7 feet long, retracted again. Although he has an unbreakable invincible golden body in the form of a Buddha, but this invincible golden body is based on the rapid consumption of his own vitality. The longer the time, the heavier and more frequent the hits, the more vitality will be consumed, the golden body will gradually retract, and the power will be greatly reduced. Strange to say, this time in the fight with Lei Luoken, this B********* D seemed to know his weakness, so he beat him wholeheartedly. Even if he was punched into the sea by Garp, he would immediately break through the water. Keep chasing him. This is also the main reason why the golden statue of Sengoku Buddha keeps shrinking. Suffering heavy blows from Lei Luo one after another, Sengoku's eyebrows burst into anger, and the golden Buddha's light quickly condensed on the fist, and the Buddha's fist was clenched again. Buddha's strike iron. Advertisement. From top to bottom, thunder and lightning blasted a punch, bang. The solid ice cracked instantly, and the sea below was shaken and churned by the violent impact brought by the Buddha's light. Lei Luo, who had lost his foothold, fell into the water again. But Sengoku didn't dare to breathe a sigh of relief at all, his sharp eyes scanned the surroundings, guarding against Lei Luo's sneak attack. Sure enough, the next moment, the ice surface under Sengoku's feet cracked open, Lei Luo appeared in a flash, and the ring head kept falling down like a torrential rain. Quote exclamation mark. Quote. It was as if a big bell was being rung indiscriminately. Stop being presumptuous, Lei Luo. Garp the Fist obviously knows the price of the old buddy Sengoku maintaining the Buddha's golden body, so he rushes to the rescue, bang. A thunderous iron fist hit Lei Luo. However, Lei Luo didn't dodge, and continued to raise his fist towards Sengoku, and slammed it down. It was a bit of a desperate attitude to exchange injuries for his life. Even if he was hit hard by Garp, he would still give Sengoku a punch come on hard. Others may not know the secret of the Sengoku Buddha golden body consuming life force, but he knows it very well. In the original work of Pirates, Sengoku made only a few shots during Summit War, and when he reappeared, his hair was completely bald. It is self-evident what it consumes to maintain the golden body of the Buddha. Sengoku and Garp are old brothers for many years, and Garp naturally knows this secret of Sengoku. Then, storming Sengoku can not only effectively consume Sengoku, but also make Garp care about it and mess it up. Laugh. Clang. Two voices came out almost at the same time. Garp hit Lei Luo with a punch to the flesh, and the powerful impact brought by the fist pushed Lei Luo's figure instead, becoming Lei Luo's help. Lei Luo took advantage of his strength and hammered his fist on Sengoku's body at a faster speed. The pirate queen Boa Hancock, who was fighting in the battle circle in the distance, was terrified. Even if he gets a hard punch from Garp, he will never give up his fierce attack on Sengoku. This Lei Luo, how much hatred does he have with Sengoku? However, Lei Luo was by no means the one who won't return the punches. He immediately stomped heavily on Sengoku's body, borrowed his strength, and smashed his fiery fists towards Garp's head. Clang. Garp's armament haki covering his whole body successfully blocked Lei Luo's fist, but he couldn't block the powerful charge on Lei Luo's fist. In the next second, click. The sound of dislocation of the neck bone came out impressively. Garp's face changed suddenly, and his neck felt a sharp burning pain. If you look closely, you will find that there is a red and shiny mark on his neck at this time. Damn, it's emission again. The hot heat on the fist is soaked into the body along with emission haki. Every time heat is immersed in the body, the blood flow rate will be affected, which will force the flow speed of the chi machine to slow down, and the armament haki will run more and more unsmoothly. Continue to consume like this, maybe it is really possible to be consumed by this guy. Seeing that Garp was injured again, Sengoku Buddha frowned, and his aura suddenly changed, from solemn to domineering and violent. In an instant, the majestic old Buddha seemed to become a wrathful King Kong with evil eyes. Stretching his arms, the palms of the Buddha suddenly folded together, and he slapped Lei Luo in his palms in a daze, causing a dull sound of gold and iron clashing. But Lei Luo took the opportunity to clamp Sengoku's Buddha's palms with both arms, exerted strength with his back and arms, a huge force burst out, and with a violent flick, Sengoku, the golden Buddha, fell on his back. After doing this, Lei Luo was panting heavily, and took a few deep breaths to suppress the boiling blood in his body. Gu, Boa Hancock and Bartholomew Da Shang, who were fishing in the distance, swallowed their saliva unconsciously when they saw this scene. These three people are crazy to kill. They are definitely crazy to kill. It can be seen that the condition of the three of them is extremely bad at this time. Lei Luo is panting heavily, and Garp is in a cold sweat in pain. The golden Buddha incarnated by Sengoku is constantly retracting. The blow just now seemed to have caused him a great burden. The golden Buddha, which was more than 6 feet long, shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, there were only less than 2 feet left. He is slightly taller than Lei Luo, who is nearly 3 meters tall. The brilliant golden Buddha light all over his body is gone, obviously he has fought to the limit. Let's look at Lei Luo again. FK, this guy has the same scars, but his condition is obviously much better than him, and he is full of energy. Def. Sengoku took a breath of cool air. What kind of monster are you? Don't you lose your energy? Rao, the marine marshal who has always been awe-inspiring all over the world, couldn't help but lose his composure. Hey, guess what? Advertisement. Lei Luo fiddled with his fingers, looking like he was about to throw his hand at any moment. His condition seems to be much better than the two veterans, but in fact, only he knows how much burden his body has endured. The power of the armed skill Hot Fist is very significant, but it also consumes a lot of physical energy. It needs to consume physical energy to generate biological heat energy in order to fully display the power of this armed skill. His physical strength has always been a bottomless pit, bottomless and inexhaustible. But only this time, he used the armed skill Requan for a long time to fight fiercely with Garp and Sengoku, two living legendaries. He can clearly feel that his physical strength is about to bottom out. I didn't feel so tired after fighting Aokiji for 3 days and 3 nights. On the surface, he is in much better condition than Garp and Sengoku, but in fact he has no idea in his heart, maybe the next time he fights, he will fall down. For a moment, the three of them reached a silent tacit understanding and stopped each other. However, this silent calm did not last long. The next moment, bang! A huge explosion sounded like a shocking thunder, as if thousands of caddies of high-purity explosives were detonated at the same time. The solid ice surface was shattered in a large area, and the turbulent sea water set off hundreds of feet high waves. The three of Lei Luo, Garp, and Sengoku looked up almost in unison. What the hell? Was it really 1,000 caddies of explosives that were detonated at the same time? The waves on the sea surface were stirring, and the sky was filled with gunpowder smoke. Obviously, there was a big explosion. In just a few breaths, almost everyone's attention was drawn. When the smoke gradually dissipated, what caught everyone's eyes was the wreckage of dozens of damaged warships floating on the sea. Puff puff. There was a sound of strange and heavy footsteps, and a burly figure walked out of the gradually dissipating gunpowder smoke. The whole body is sea blue, with cloud eyebrows on the forehead, 2 protruding sharp tiger teeth at the corners of the mouth, half a red sun brand on the chest, and a detonator-like thing in the hand. Jinbe. Even though he had never met before, Lei Luo recognized him at a glance, because this simple blue fat man is so recognizable. Looking at the detonator in Jinbe's hand again, Lei Luo suddenly realized, could it be that this guy has been lurking under the sea to arrange explosives? It's a bit interesting, he is indeed the leader of the Murlocs. He knows how to use his own inherent advantages, and he came very timely. Boss Jinbe. Is it the boss Jinbe of the Murlocs? Are they here too? I haven't seen them before. There was a burst of low-pitched discussion from the pirates. The marine side also started to riot. Seashaw Jinbe. Is this guy here too? X7 warlords of the Sea Hexia Jinbe. Didn't notice this guy before. Could it be that he has been? Looking at the wreckage of the warship on the sea, the wise man immediately understood. Jinbe. How dare you come here? B*******************. D. The moment he recognized Jinbe, Sengoku's eyebrows furrowed into a ball, and he glared angrily, as if staring at the traitor who turned his back. As expected, those warships at the beginning of this battle were also blown up by this damned D Murloc. However, Jinbe ignored him at all, looked at Lei Luo, and said with a half-bow, Jinbe, the captain of the Sun Pirates, the 44th vassal group of the Whitebeard Pirates, met Lei Luo. Captain, currently, high-purity explosives have been placed on all of Marine's warships, ready to be detonated at any time. Please give the detonation permission to the deputy captain. As the leader of the Murlocs, although Jinbe is smooth and mischievous in daily life, his flexible mind is by no means overshadowed. From the very beginning, he has seen through everything. 50,000 pirates versus hundreds of thousands of Marines, facing such a huge disparity in military strength, the 10 sides of the pirates have no chance of winning. Therefore, to win this battle, you can only rely on outsmarting. Detonate bombs, blow up warships, as long as Marines fall into the water, they will never be opponents of Murlocs and mermaids. Jinbe, how dare you? Sengoku was like a cat whose tail was stepped on, and his hair exploded in an instant. How could he not know that Jinbe's last sentence was for him? I'm really careless. I have been focusing on the battlefield on the sea surface, and I didn't pay attention to the water below the sea surface. These cunning Murlocs are really damned. I think that's a good idea. Bloodstains slid down Lei Luo's face, and he sneered. Advertisement. Chapter 79. Red Hair Pirates are on the way, please subscribe. Advertisement. Jinbe's webbed palm rested directly on the detonating rod, and as long as Lei Luo gave an order, he would press it down without hesitation, blowing up 400 or 500 warships. Are you blackmailing Marine? Sengoku glared at Lei Luo, and roared through gritted teeth. Lei Luo shook his arms, and the color like a red-hot iron slowly faded from his body, and he sneered, what do you think? You. HMPH. Then you're thinking wrong. Marine represents the world government, free from any form of threat. As he said this, Sengoku's face turned cloudy and uncertain. These are 400 to 500 warships. Marine has accumulated many years of accumulation. This time, it can be said that it is the entire family property of Marine. If it is really blown up by Jinbe, then he, the Marine Marshal, will be the end. But if he is threatened by the pirates, this battle will also end in failure, and his position as Marshal is also untenable. Lei Luo sat down on the ground, silently recovering his exhausted physical strength, and waved his hand at the same time. Boom. Jinbe pressed the detonator in his hand without hesitation. A thunderous explosion sounded immediately, and more than 20 warships turned into a sea of flames before Sengoku's eyes. At the same time, the members of the Sun Pirates headed by the mermaid Aladdin came out one by one, each holding a detonating rod in their hands. Seeing this, the pirates suddenly understood. No wonder the brothers of the Sun Pirates didn't show up before. It turned out that they went to the bottom of the water to place explosives. Damn it. Murlocs, mermaid brothers, well done. On the other hand, Marine was shrouded in an invisible and dignified atmosphere. Damn Murlocs. B*********** D Jinbe. Dirty guy. Just know that these 7 warlords of the sea can't believe it. Not far away, Boa Hancock, Bartholomew Big Bear and others expressed that they were offended. Dracula Mahawk sneered. Garp and Sengoku are half dead by Lei Luo, and Jinbe has captured Marine's lifeline again. There is no need for this war to continue. Indeed, I didn't expect Jinbe, a simple-looking guy, to have such a brain, but it makes Anshin bow down. But he was able to plant the explosives, mainly thanks to Lei Luo holding off Sengoku and Garp in the main battle. Boa Hancock's mouth curled into a charming arc, and he said in agreement. It's over. But Sengoku lost outright this time. Bartholomew Bear closed the Bible in his hand. He just finished reading the last chapter of the Bible a second ago. At this time, the eagle-eyed Dracula Mahawk suddenly raised his eyes, and his eagle-like sharp eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the sky. Glancing into the distance, Dracula Mahawk smiled coldly. This guy is here to join in the fun too. It's a bit late. Watching the members of the Sun Pirates suddenly emerge from the sea, Sengoku's heart sank even more. If the warship is really blown up, the power at the moment of the explosion will completely smash the ice surface, and all marine soldiers will lose their footing. The physical fitness of Murlocs and mermaids is 10 times that of humans. Once it falls into the water, the marine will immediately become a fish on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. Damn it. It was a good situation, but it was reversed in an instant by that D********* D Jinbe. No, if they weren't held back by Lei Luo, Jinbe and the others wouldn't even have the chance to place explosives. So in the final analysis, it was lost to Lei Luo. He disrupted the whole layout of the game again. Damn guy. Sengoku gritted his teeth for a while, but wars are like this. The two sides that were evenly matched 1 second may decide the winner with a huge disparity in battle losses in the next second. Sengoku laughed at himself deep in his heart. I have fought a battle all my life, and in the end, I lost it in this way. But even so, Marine will not lose her integrity. The big deal is that the fish will die and the net will be broken. As long as the Whitebeard pirate group is successfully wiped out, this expedition can be regarded as a complete harvest. It's just that the price is too heavy. However, at this moment, a communications soldier rushed over recklessly, and whispered in Sengoku's ear, "It's not good, Marshal Sengoku. Red Hair pirates were found 3 nautical miles away. Red Hair pirates' main ship USS Redforth." What? The eyes under Sengoku's disc glasses stared fiercely, the pupils trembling like an earthquake, as if they were about to protrude from the glasses. How so? Red Hair pirates come sooner or later, just at this time. Advertisement. Sengoku's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Red Hair pirates, the only pirate group in the 4 emperors group that takes the elite route, those who can board the Redforth are the elite of the elite, even the handymen on the ship, are all pirates with a bounty of nearly 100 million Baileys. Thief. And the cadres of this pirate group have at least the quasi-admiral level of strength. There are more than 10 top combat powers alone. His deputy, Ben Beckman, has even reached the level of Marine Admiral. The red-haired Shanks who leads this group of people has a powerful swordsmanship that is not inferior to Dracula Mahawk's eagle eye and the world's #1 Conqueror's Haki. Sengoku felt a pain in his brain. The 1000 PX pacifists were originally prepared for the Red Hair pirates. After all, everyone in this sea knows that the flags of the Red Hair and Whitebeard alliances and the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce have been planted all over the territorial waters of the 2 countries. If everything goes according to plan, Sakazuki kills Lei Luo and Whitebeard in front of the battlefield. Even if the Red Hair arrives, Marine has him, Garp, 3 admirals, and 1000 powerful PX pacifists. Fight the Red Hair pirates. But now, the plan went wrong. Lei Luo suddenly descended on the battlefield, Akainu Sakazuki disappeared, and the most important warship was also controlled by the opponent. Now add those troublesome guys from the Red Hair pirates. Marine's defeat is almost guaranteed. Lei Luo sat lazily on the ice, raised his hand to greet Sengoku and said, "Tell all your people to stop and sit down for a chat, or wait for your warship to bomb some more before we talk." Now that the opponent's lifeline has been grasped and the winning ticket is in his hands, then there is no need to make all those fake moves with Sengoku. As first said, Marine is not threatened in any way. Sengoku continued to insist. Lei Luo shook his head, looked at Jinbe and said, "Jinbe, blow up 100 of his warships every minute." A naive and ruthless smile hung on Jinbe's face. "Don't worry, Deputy Captain Lei Luo, we won't waste a second." Enough. Seeing Lei Luo and Jinbe singing in unison, Sengoku's expression changed for a while. "I'll stop attacking. Marshal Sengoku, the Marine soldiers not far away were about to say something when they were interrupted by Sengoku growling, "Do as I say." In the vast sea, if the ship is blown up, the consequences can be imagined. The weird climate change in New World, the fierce creatures in the sea, the pirates who hate Marine, all of them are terrible things. Even if we can win this battle, but if we lose the returning warship, it will be a matter of time before our entire army is wiped out in this sea. It is no exaggeration to say that from the moment the warship is under control, Marine has already lost this battle. If the red-haired Shanks hadn't come, he might still have fought with Lei Luo and others, but now, has reached the point where no matter how hard he fights, he can't survive. Now that we have reached this point, we might as well try to find a way out for our soldiers. As Sengoku's order was passed on, the entire sea area became completely silent in less than a minute. Even the hundreds of pacifist trial machines that were constantly consuming Ace with Aokiji and trying to capture it stopped under the control of Senmomomaru. Ace let out a long breath, and helped Marco up on the ground. Behind the two, there were mountains of scrapped pacifists. Originally, the two of them could hold Aokiji a little bit together, but when nearly 1,000 pacifists joined the battle circle, Ace obviously couldn't bear it. Fortunately, these PX pacifists are made of purely mechanical materials, which lack flexibility, and Marco's cover can support it until now. Tell me about your conditions. Sengoku imitated Lei Luo and sat down on the ground. Garp also sat down at the side. Although he didn't know why the old man suddenly changed his mind, he could vaguely guess something after the two had worked together for so many years. Lei Luo laughed. Simple. This war is over, you retreat. And give the Whitebeard pirates and their 44 vassals a compensation of 200 tons of gold. As for the funeral expenses of Brother Whitebeard, add another 100 tons. Sengoku sneered. Reparations. What are you kidding? Want Marine to pay the pirates 300 tons of gold? What kind of international joke are you making? Marine's annual military expenditure is only this amount. Moreover, Marine, who is on the side of justice, will never pay the pirates compensation, which is tantamount to nailing Marine to the pillar of shame. Lei Luo wasn't in a hurry. Anyway, Sengoku's culprit had already been caught by him, so he said unhurriedly, Marshal Sengoku thinks I'm joking. Murder pays for life and pays debts, and you raise your troops to commit crimes. If you lose, the compensation is not too much, right? Advertisement. Of course, Marshal Sengoku can also deny the fact that your side was defeated, so let's continue to fight. You. Sengoku blew his beard and stared. Continue to fight again. If you can continue to fight, the old man will sit here and listen to your beeping. However, Sengoku had to hold back for the time being. You must know that Lei Luo started his business by doing business, and he is an extremely shrewd businessman. The red hair pirates are already on their way, wait for the red hair to arrive, or let Lei Luo know that the red hair is coming, God knows what outrageous conditions this damn guy will ask. Backquote. I can't decide the conditions you set. However, I can report this matter to the higher authorities. Whether you can get what you want, I don't make any guarantees. Lei Luo nodded noncommittally. He had expected that Sengoku would not be able to decide this matter. After all, Sengoku, the Marine Marshal, also had the Commander-in-Chief Kong and the 5 elders. Sengoku continued with a sullen face, I can promise you to retreat. But I have a condition. You say, where is Sakazuki? Lei Luo looked at Sengoku with a half-smile, as if he had expected him to ask about Akainu, and snapped his fingers. There was a particularly clear crisp sound from Armament Haki's wrapped fingers. Ton. Frankenstein Floy, who has been staying on the top of the giant tiger-headed sea kings, who did not participate in the battle, carried Momosugi in one hand, and the seastone safe was carried by the mechanical arm and landed firmly beside Lei Luo. Looking at the blue safe, Sengoku couldn't help getting goosebumps, and demon fruit power had an instinctive resistance to seastone. Then, I saw that Floyd's hand was hooked through the loot. Bloodied, dying Momosugi. Lei Luo, how dare you? Sengoku's anger sprang up. Momosugi Gion was the one she grew up with, and she was the righteous sister of her old friend Suru's staff officer. Seeing Momosugi being tortured so badly, the anger in Sengoku's heart is no less than that of parents who see their children injured and bleeding. However, before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Lei Luo waving his hand. Stop, Marshal Sengoku. I've been merciful to the approaching enemy. Zanhuo took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. I also ask Vice Captain Lei Luo to let them go, I want to take them away. Lei Luo laughed loudly. Sengoku, you are also called the resourceful general, after all, are you so hard-headed? My prisoner, if you say a word, take it away. Then, Lei Luo changed the subject. It's okay if you want to take it away, promise is good, you can exchange it. 100 tons of gold for Admiral, 50 tons of gold for Admiral, Momosugi, T. Dolphin. Akainu are here with me, a total of 200 tons of gold, buy it now. Lei Luo, don't go too far. Garp beside Sengoku suddenly exploded, and Floyd beside Lei Luo unfolded the 8 mechanical arms behind him without showing any weakness, and the 5mm charged particle cannon was ready to go. Garp, sit down. This kind of thing can explode with one punch. A layer of dark and deep armament haki appeared on Garp's fist, and he was about to strike. I said sit down. Sengoku shouted angrily. As the marshal and the resourceful general, he always thinks more than Garp, so now he wants to take back Momosugi, Akainu and others. Not to mention whether it can be taken back, even if it is taken back, if Lei Luo asks Jinbe to blow up the warship, Marine will still be trapped here to death. From the moment the warship is controlled, Marine has already been restrained lifeline, completely lost. Garp gritted his teeth and creaked his fists, but finally withdrew and sat down sullenly. Old man, I have been in the sea for so many years, when did I suffer from such a bird? Sengoku calmed down, and then said again, Lei Luo, you are a businessman, you are sincere in business, right? If you don't show your sincerity, how can I help you fight for what you want? Lei Luo nodded. Well, it makes sense. Since that's the case, Momoshiki you should take back first. Hearing what Lei Luo said, Sengoku not only didn't relax, but was instantly surprised. This Lei Luo is so easy to talk to. Sure enough, in the next second, Lei Luo's conversation changed suddenly. My sincerity has been demonstrated. What about yours? Before Sengoku could react, Luo went on to say, in my opinion, let Kizaru and Aokiji two admirals work here for a period of time, until Marine completely sends the gold over. Advertisement. Chapter 80. Redhead Shanks with unclear attitude please subscribe. Advertisement. Marine pays the pirates compensation. Ha ha ha, I have been a pirate for so many years, and I have never encountered such an interesting thing. It is only the deputy captain Lei Luo who has this face. Executive Captain Haki. What a relief. These damn Marines, this is how they should be played. Even Buddha Sengoku is defeated by the vice captain. With the leadership of the vice captain Lei Luo, we will be the strongest in this sea. Seeing that, the resourceful general, Buddha Sengoku, whose name is resounding all over the world, can't take advantage of the vice captain Lei Luo. The pirates behind Lei Luo are all talking excitedly. Compared to the excitement of the pirates, Marine soldiers seemed particularly aggrieved, as if there was a cloud of aggrieved, unwilling but helpless over their heads. Damn the pirate Lei Luo. He actually wanted to take Admiral as a hostage. Why didn't he go to God? An extremely aggrieved and unwilling atmosphere gradually spread. First became a Marine to eradicate violence and destroy pirates, not to bow down to pirates. Marshal Sengoku, you can't promise them, Marine will be disgraced, at worst, they will die with them. It's over. After today, Marine will be nailed to the pillar of shame forever. Standing in the distance, Boa Hancock covered Sakura's peach mouth with her white jade hands and chuckled. He, I am a concubine who laughed to death. This guy Lei Luo is indeed a businessman, and at this time he still wants to knock Marine bamboo stick. Yes, enough courage, body. Tisk tisk. 500 tons of gold. Marine is about to bleed a lot this time. I'm afraid Sengoku, the position of marshal, can't sit still. After all, he is the first Marine marshal in history to pay compensation to pirates' woolen cloth. The hawk-eyed Dracula Mahawk, who always has a serious facial paralysis, pressed his hand to the brim of his hat to cover his face that couldn't stop laughing. He has traveled all over the sea in his life, has he not seen any strange things? I even witnessed the execution of Roger the Pirate King, but I have never seen the pirates force Marine to pay compensation. Lei Luo. It should be said that he is the one who rejected the invitation of Shanks, not only beat up the Marines, forced them to withdraw, but also demanded compensation from them. This is tantamount to nailing Sengoku and Garp on the pillar of shame. So, does Sengoku pay or not? Dracula Mahawk's eyes flashed. 580 strokes of interest. At this moment, Bartholomew, the bear, is extremely grateful, thankful that he helped Lei Luo back then, allowing the Revolutionary Army and the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce to really connect. The White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce with Lei Luo in charge can absolutely guarantee a stable supply of materials to the Revolutionary Army, and with a stable supply of materials, the activities of the organization can be carried out faster and better. Hearing Lei Luo's unreasonable request, Sengoku's breathing suddenly became heavy, and the Buddha's light on the golden body suddenly lit up to the ultimate. Buddha Fist, facing Lei Luo angrily. Lei Luo. You are too much. It's just wishful thinking. However, this punch failed to reach Lei Luo at all. Clang. There was a clear sound of gold and iron clashing, and Sengoku, who was about to punch, took a step back and staggered to a firm footing. Almost everyone was shocked by this sudden change. What's the matter? What's going on? Sudden. After about 5 or 6 seconds, a gunshot that was so weak that it was almost inaudible came from afar. Almost at the same time, an irregularly shaped iron lump fell from the knuckles of Sengoku's fist, and fell on the ice, making a light ticking sound. The faces of all the people present suddenly changed. It was a deformed large lead bullet. Someone attacked the marshal. Protect Marshal Sengoku. The Marine soldiers were in a mess for a moment. Enough is enough, all retreat. Sengoku shouted angrily, and raised his hand to push back the Marine soldiers who were about to charge up, but his face was so heavy that water dripped out. The bullet hits, and after about 5 or 6 seconds, a small gunshot is heard. The person who fired the gun was at least 1,500 meters away. It is rare for a Shinso shooter to do this. And the red-haired Shanks happened to have one on board, the world's #1 Shinso player, Yesabu. The red-haired Shanks arrived to help the white paper flower Lei Luo. Advertisement. What he didn't want to see the most happened. Before everyone came back to their senses, a figure flashed beside Lei Luo, with blood-red long hair, bronze skin, 3 claw-like scars at the corners of the eyes, and a pitch-black cloak flapping in the wind, revealing an empty left sleeves. Everyone here knows this man, one of the 4 emperors, the red-haired Shanks with the strongest Conqueror's haki. And not far away, a few figures are walking slowly, a round and fat man named Lajulu with a chicken in his hand, and a tall and refined Yesupi with long flint hair on his back. Ben Beckman with a slender cigarette in his mouth, followed by a dozen people in clusters behind the 3. Just walking over gives people a strong sense of aura oppression, as if a row of neatly lined up tanks is running over them head-on. Goo. The sound of swallowing saliva came one after another, and the surrounding pirates and Marine unconsciously stepped back a few steps to make way for them, for fear of being affected by the tyrannical breath. All red hair pirates are here. Long time no see, brother Lei Luo. The red-haired Shanks ignored everyone as soon as he came up, he didn't even look at Dracula Mahawk, and greeted Lei Luo very accommodatingly. However, the terrifying aura emanating from the easygoing space makes people even more frightened. Hiss. There was a sound of gasping for breath, and no matter whether it was Marine or the pirate, their eyes widened in surprise, and the round eyeballs seemed to roll down from their eye sockets at any time. It must be my eyesight. The red-haired Shanks, one of the 4 emperors, actually called the white paper flower Lei Luo brothers. My god, is the world crazy? Long time no see. Could it be that the white paper flower Lei Luo and the red-haired Shanks are old acquaintances? No way. White paper flower Lei Luo, he de Hei Neng, there are only 4 emperors in the sea, and he actually got to know 2 of them. And it looks like they have a close relationship. Shanks called him brothers, and Whitebeard entrusted the Whitebeard pirates to him. What is this Lei Luo capable of? Compared to the overwhelming shock of the Marines, Pirate Chiffon was extremely excited after being surprised. As expected of Deputy Captain Lei Luo, even the red-haired Shanks talk about brothers with him. Shout, you don't know yet, it is said that we formed an alliance with the red-hair pirates because of Deputy Captain Lei Luo. TCH, what are you? You don't know, the red-haired Shanks once invited Vice Captain Lei Luo to board the ship, but was rejected by Vice Captain Lei Luo. Really or not, as expected of the Vice Captain. The red hair invited him to upload and he refused. Ha ha ha, look, this is the card of our Vice Captain. And Marco, Ace, Vista, Joes and others all let out a sigh of relief. They were all present when the Whitebeard pirates formed an alliance with the red hair pirates. Now that the red hair pirates have come to help, this wave has stabilized. 010305104 Philu 103,493,161. Marine is doomed to be deflated. However, after breathing a sigh of relief, everyone was still deeply shocked. Although they knew that their vice captain had some friendship with the red-haired Shanks, they didn't expect their friendship to be so good. You must know that the alliance among pirates has never been stable. If you can form an alliance today, you can stab your allies tomorrow. Red-hair pirates came to help Vice Captain Lei Luo stand at this time, which shows that the friendship between the two is really extraordinary. Not far away, the pirate queen Boa Hancock's eyes widened in a very groggy manner. Lei Luo, is he friends with the red-haired Shanks? Hiss. No wonder I heard the news of the secret alliance between the Whitebeard pirates and the red-hair pirates, it turned out to be because of Lei Luo. Strong strength. Strong connections. Courage AEBG. Body. There is probably no man in this world who is more worthy of being a concubine than him. Bartholomew Dashong was afraid for a while, but he was extremely grateful. Fortunately, I didn't stand on the opposite side of Lei Luo at the beginning. Does this guy have such a terrifying network? Only Hawkeye Dracula Mahawk pressed the brim of his hat. Well. Lei Luo laughed. It's been a long time, Shanks. The two reached out to each other, gave each other a firm grip, and then pressed their chests against each other, looking very familiar. Shanks glanced across the battlefield without a trace, and even he, who had the world's strongest Conqueror's Haki, was shocked by the one-sided situation on the battlefield. On the surface, there is a huge disparity in the strength of the Marine and the Pirates, and the proper Marine side has the upper hand, but in fact, the top fighters of the Marine side are all stalked to death by the Pirates. Ace and Marco stalked Aokiji to death, knocking the door. Kizaru is haunted by 2 ghosts, and Lei Luo is one against 2 living legendaries, Sengoku and Garp. It's so daring. As for Marine's Vice Admirals, they were also held back by Whitebeard's 16th team captain, and even the Marine Vice Admirals of the Electron race couldn't get out of the battle circle with Dianzi. Advertisement. It doesn't matter if the low-end miscellaneous fish are broken up, as long as the top combat power is still there. Then Lei Luo can use the existing foundation to rebuild a Whitebeard pirate group in a short time. No, the White Paper Flower pirate group. Of course, what surprised Shanks even more was that Whitebeard was dead. These pirates did not fall down and scattered, but fought against Marine more unitedly under the leadership of Lei Luo. From this it is not difficult to see the little devil who was rejected in the past already has the qualifications to be crowned emperor in this sea. In the future Grand Line New World, there will be a territory of his Lei Luo. After today, Lei Luo will be crowned emperor. Shanks let go of Lei Luo's hand, and his eyes fell on Sengoku. Sengoku's heart sank again. In my impression, the red-haired Shanks is an extremely complicated person, except for a few of his subordinates, he will not get too close to anyone. But this guy is obviously a little too familiar with the white paper flower Lei Luo. What is this guy Lei Luo doing to win the favor of 2 emperors? But now the problem is, if the red-haired Shanks is really desperate to stand on Lei Luo's side and deal with Marine, the remaining 50,000 to 60,000 troops will be completely vulnerable. The red-haired Shanks is scary enough, and Lei Luo is also a monster with infinite physical strength. With the addition of the dozen or so quasi-admiral level fighters under Shanks, the double ghosts and Whitebeard's 16th division captain, Marine may be all annihilated. At this time, Shanks suddenly said, Marshal Sengoku, you are a generation of the resourceful general, and you must have seen the battlefield situation more thoroughly than me. Judging from the current situation, if you continue to fight, you will lose both sides. No one can take advantage of it, it doesn't make any sense. Are you right? Sengoku couldn't guess what the red-haired Shanks was thinking, so he didn't say a word or object, it was acquiescence. The only good news is that, according to Shanks, he didn't come here to fight. This is great news for Marine. Shanks continued. In this case, why don't you give me face and stop fighting now? A flash of light flashed in Sengoku's eyes. It seemed that he had made the right bet. Shanks was not completely on Lei Luo's side. He came here with a purpose. Yes, as long as Deputy Captain Lei Luo has no objections and returns the captives. Shanks nodded noncommittally, and looked at Lei Luo. What do you say, brother? The heat in Lei Luo's eyes turned quietly, and he knew that Shanks didn't come here purely to help him. Their relationship is not that good yet. Brother Shanks is going to be a peacemaker. There was a hint of questioning and coldness between Lei Luo's words. Then, can I be the peacemaker? At the same time as the voice sounded, Shanks burst out with an invisible aura, formless, colorless, pure and natural, peaceful and honest, but giving people an unparalleled sense of oppression. The sky is not falling, the earth is not sinking, but as long as you stand beside him, you can feel a sense of oppression like a natural disaster, as if it can awaken the deepest ultimate in people's hearts. Fear makes people unable to resist the idea. However, Shanks' control over this aura is extremely delicate. Centered on Fang Yuan 1 meter away, he only launched it against Lei Luo, while the surrounding Sengoku, Garp and others seemed to not feel it at all. Same. Lei Luo's expression froze. Is this the strongest Conqueror's Haki of Shanks? Interesting and interesting. Sure enough, it's not at the same level as Doflamingo and others, too tyrannical. Between the lightning and the flint, Lei Luo also burst out an invisible momentum. Invisible, fearless, cold and violent, domineering and tyrannical, just like an eternal immovable high. Mountains give people a sense of strength that cannot be conquered. If the sky oppresses me, it will tear open the sky. If the earth blocks me, it will crush the earth, and let all the obstacles that stand in front of me disappear in smoke. This is a fearless aura that dares to fight the sky and the earth. However, in terms of controlling his own aura, Lei Luo is still too immature compared to Shanks. Although he has already suppressed the range of the aura explosion, he was still caught by Garp. Both Sengoku and Sengoku sensed it. Sengoku's eyes flashed an imperceptible color. It seems that the relationship between Lei Luo and Shanks is also very complicated, at least not as close as imagined. This is great news for Marine. But, Lei Luo can compete with the red-haired Shanks who has been famous for a long time and has the strongest Conqueror's Haki. Hiss. Sengoku took a deep breath of the cold air. Did he still underestimate this white paper flower Lei Luo after all? Suddenly, the auras of Lei Luo and Shanks were withdrawn at the same time. Lei Luo said with a smile. Of course, if the red-haired man is willing to be this peacemaker, of course it would be great. Advertisement. Chapter 81. The world's highest meeting of 4. Please subscribe. Advertisement. What's going on? What a tyrannical aura. Feeling the aura emanating from Lei Luo, Marco, Ace and others froze suddenly. Looking at each other, they both saw deep doubts and incomprehension in each other's eyes. Why did the deputy captain suddenly burst out with such a domineering aura? Everyone's eyes unconsciously fell on the red-haired Shanks. Could it be? Could it be that the deputy captain and the red hair are fighting in the aura? The atmosphere of doubt and incomprehension gradually spread in the pirate camp. Just now it was peaceful, why did it suddenly become tense? Clash. The deputy captain and the red hair are fighting. No way, aren't they friends? It seems that the relationship between Deputy Captain Lei Luo and Hongfa is not as good as we imagined. Hongfa is still the same redhead. The same is true for the Marines who were behind Sengoku. This aura, hey, I don't think it's wrong, right? Is the white paper flower Lei Luo fighting against the red hair? Last second, they were friendly and affectionate, and now they are fighting each other again. I really don't understand what these pirates are pretending to be in their heads. However, this is a good thing for us, at least it shows that the red hair is not completely on Lei Luo's side. After a short period of shock and incomprehension, an atmosphere of secret joy spread in Marine Cum. It seems that the relationship between the white paper flower Lei Luo and the red-haired Shanks is not as good as they imagined, and it can even be said to be very delicate. From this point of view, the red-haired Shanks is definitely with the white paper flower Lei Luo, which is undoubtedly good news for Marine. After all, there are more than a dozen quasi-admiral level strong combat forces on the red-haired side. In addition to the military strength in Lei Luo's hands, and Lei Luo's powerful armed physical strength, if the two soldiers are combined, the entire Marine annihilation is not impossible. However, this ecstasy didn't last long, and a sense of shock and incredulity spread afterwards. Hey, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Didn't you realize that Lei Luo didn't lose in the confrontation with the red hair? In the aura confrontation with the red-haired Shanks who has the strongest Conqueror's Haki, Lei Luo did not fall into the disadvantaged. Conqueror's Haki represents a person's natural personality, aptitude for becoming a king, ambition, and aspirations that can withstand the strongest conquerors in the world. Does this Lei Luo want to dominate the entire world? The corner of Dracula Mahawk's mouth in the distance twitched a slight arc. I see, Shanks, I know why you invited him on the boat. You really never look away. Pirate Empress Boa Hancock also had doubts in his eyes, but he was more shocked. Why did the red-haired Shanks suddenly compete with Lei Luo? This guy's attitude. Tisk, intriguing However, the concubine is right, even the world's strongest conquerors can't make Lei Luo succumb. This guy's courage is not weak. Just when everyone started discussing, Lei Luo's tyrannical aura suddenly withdrew, and the lingering power of his aura also disappeared. Of course, if the red-haired brother is willing to be this peacemaker, then how can he be a peacemaker? Couldn't be better. At the same time, Yesub, Ben Beckman, Lajulu and others put their hands on their weapons without a trace. The red-haired man smiled slightly, and the kingly spirit bursting out from his body disappeared, and then looked at Sengoku. Brother Lei Luo's attitude is very clear. Marshal Sengoku, how about you? Looking at the smile on the red-haired face, goosebumps suddenly appeared on Sengoku's back. The red-haired Shanks is not only a complicated character, but also extremely dangerous. As one of the pirates who can see the existence of 5 elders, this guy's background and strength are undoubtedly extremely complicated. We have no problem. As long as Deputy Captain Lei Luo returns the hostages, I will order the troops to retreat at any time. Lei Luo confronted Sengoku tit for tat. As long as Marshal Sengoku has enough gold, I will release him at any time. You. Sengoku stared angrily. Above the vast sea, where can I find gold for him? Is it true that he should hold Admiral hostage? This Lei Luo obviously let him, the Marine Marshal, discredit him in front of the soldiers and officers, with ulterior motives. The red-haired man sighed. Since the two sides disagree, let's find a place to talk. I believe that there is no disagreement that cannot be resolved, as long as a suitable method is found. Trouble 2. Let's clear the place. The red-haired Shanks said calmly, but there was an undeniable majesty in his words. Sengoku of Buddha took a deep breath. The whole army, retreat 1 nautical mile. It is beneficial to express your position first at this time. According to the negotiation rules, the pirates have to withdraw as far as the marine withdraws. Marshal Sengoku, Pitbull Vice Admiral jumped out first and refused. He and Akainu Sakazuki belong to the same radical faction. A righteous marine should absolutely wipe out the evil pirates. How can he bow to the pirates and act according to what the pirates say? Executing an order. Sengoku shouted angrily, and at the same time gave Aokiji a look in the distance, and Aokiji immediately understood. Yes, the whole army retreats 1 nautical mile. Lei Luo also waved his hand, and the captain of the first team, Phoenix Marco, immediately acted as the on-site commander. Everyone, step back 1 nautical mile. Advertisement. The pirates acted immediately, boarded their own pirate ship, and retreated more efficiently than marine. At the same time, Aokiji's body was filled with cold air, not released from the inside out, but flowed back from the outside in. The solid and huge ice surface began to shrink at a speed visible to the naked eye, until only about 10 square meters remained. Area. Only Lei Luo, Shanks, Sengoku, and Garp are left on the ice. Sengoku has always maintained the golden statue of the Buddha. Can we talk now? What will you do to release the hostages? Admiral is not only the symbol of Marine's highest external combat power, but also Marine's face. Leaving Admiral as a hostage is tantamount to nailing him, the Marine Marshal, to the pillar of shame and dishonoring Marine. Lei Luo must let people go, otherwise they will never withdraw. Lei Luo lazily sat down on the ice, but the corner of his mouth curled up with a cold and strong arc. I made it very clear. When will you guys have enough 500 tons of gold? When will I let you go? Not to mention handing over the money. It is the rule to hand over the money every day. This guy Akainu is a natural disaster-level demon fruit power with extremely strong recovery ability. Once released from the safe, he can immediately recover his combat power within 10 minutes. The two old guys, Sengoku and Garp, have made him tired of dealing with it. Once Marine gathers 3 more admirals, the pirates will have no chance of winning. The enemy's lifeline must be firmly held in one's own hands. Besides, the red-haired Shanks has an ambiguous attitude and unknown intentions, so he is the biggest factor of uncertainty. The future is unclear, and he should release the hostages and give up his bargaining chip. How can it be? No matter what Shanks does, he has his own purpose, such as the secret alliance between the red and white families, and the ancient seed devil fruit sent to him. As expected, the red-haired guy has only one purpose for coming this time, to stop fighting. Whether the Marine wins or the pirates win this war, it will have a profound impact on the world. The pirates have won, and Marine's vitality has been greatly injured. Will it stop here? No, the World Conqueror government will only gather stronger troops to flood into New World to frighten the arrogance of the pirates. The celestial dragons can sit firmly in this world not only because of the Marine card, but also with stronger cards in their hands. Cards, such as Uranus, which needs to be jointly opened by the Tianlong 20 clans. And if Marine wins a big victory, there will also be more troops pouring into New World. If one emperor can be wiped out, then the remaining 3 emperors can be wiped out. No matter which side wins, it will affect the interests of the Emperor of the Sea, Shanks the Red Hair. That's why Shanks will jump out to be a peacemaker at this time. Both sides have losses. Stop fighting in time, avoid using weapons, and continue to maintain the current stable situation. Its purpose is obvious, which is to protect his own interests. The same is true in the original pirates. Whitebeard is dead, Ace is dead, the Whitebeard pirate group has been broken up, Blackbeard's rise has become a trend. Until this time, the red-haired grandson jumped out to draw his sword to help. Because Marine broke up the Whitebeard pirate group, and executed Ace on the World Live broadcast, the goals that should be achieved have been achieved. The rise of Blackbeard can continue to maintain the stable situation of New World 4 emperors. So, don't think how righteous this guy is, he just knows how to hide his purpose well. Fortunately, Lei Luo has always been wary of Shanks, and he didn't get on his boat at the beginning, which was also an important reason. Redhead has his own goals, and Lei Luo certainly does too. Gold is the key to his research and development of pure gold and quasi-pure gold, the more the better. Once the pure gold research is successful, not only will his lifespan be greatly extended, but the combat power of 2 admiral levels of monoclonal resistance will not be a problem. And at this stage, the most important thing for him is to need time. Don't forget that he has a long-term task now, which is to carry quasi-pure gold every day to resist radiation, and then one attribute point can be generated every day. As long as he is given 2 years, he can completely surpass Admiral's level with armed colors. Even surpassed Zephyr with armed colors, surpassed Garp, and even resisted the two monsters Kaido and Big Mom. He is still young. What he needs most is time. He will become stronger and stronger. So strong that no one can beat it. Even if you can't defeat Garp this time, get a mountain-piercing armed skill. But as long as he is given another 2 years, he can completely distance himself from these people. General Fruit ability users will enter the bottleneck when their strength reaches the Vice Admiral level. Maybe you won't be able to enter the Admiral level until you die. And once that kind of powerful fruit ability enters the Admiral level, it will also fall into a more terrifying bottleneck period. It is even difficult to improve for a lifetime, and even with the increase of age, it is difficult to maintain the original strength. Like Whitebeard, like Zephyr et al., even like Akainu and Aokiji, after entering the Admiral level, it is difficult to advance. Because general exercise has no effect on them, it can only play a role in maintaining strength. 0. Ask for flowers. After Akainu became the Marshal in the original book, he was deeply surrounded by complex forces such as the World Government, New World Pirates, and the Revolutionary Army. Advertisement. And the new 3 admirals, except Kizaru, are at odds with him. Just the complicated government affairs and interpersonal relationships held him back, making him no longer have time to polish his strength. The biggest temper was in the bloody battle with Whitebeard. However, the bottleneck of strength that everyone in this world needs to face does not exist in Lei Luo. His strength is half digital. As long as there is time, he may continue to improve. Everyone else will be left far behind by him. His armed color can be advanced without limit. Give him 2 years, and the world government will hardly pose a threat to him. Instead of being, Garp and Sengoku were besieged, and it was difficult to fight back. Of course, the more important thing is that holding Akainu and T-Dolphin in his hands is tantamount to holding the point of conflict between pirates and marine. As long as this point of conflict exists, Shanks can't get the stability he wants. In this negotiation, even though Shanks has an ambiguous attitude, he has to stand by Lei Luo for the sake of being a hostage. Grasping the most urgent needs of customers is the basis of shopping mall negotiations. Lei Luo is not only a terrifying fighting force, he is also the president of a huge chamber of commerce. It's just that he understands the world of One Piece, strength is the foundation of everything, and he doesn't care much about it. Once he returned to the status of a president, he immediately became cunning and full of wisdom. After listening to Lei Luo's words, Sengoku also said with a very tough attitude, "You are messing around. 500 tons of gold. Why don't you grab it? .00. He must be strong. 500 tons of gold, equivalent to 1 year's reserves of marine. It is absolutely impossible for him to agree to such a condition, not to mention the suppression of 5 elders, the representative of the world government, and others." Lei Luo calmly said, "Listen, Marshal Sengoku is encouraging me to grab it. Okay, you can issue me a legal plunder certificate. I can go and rob it myself, and it is guaranteed to be more than 500 tons. Lei Luo, you are the president of a big chamber of commerce, I don't see any difference between you and a rascal." Sengoku was angry for a while, and said with a slightly contemptuous face. Why, could it be that Marshal Sengoku thinks that Akainu, Momoshiki, and Shibu are not worth the 500 tons of gold? If this word gets out, these 3 people will probably feel cold. HMPH. This old man won't argue with you. Sengoku snorted angrily and turned to the red-haired Shanks. Captain Red-Haired, you also saw that it's not that our marine didn't give you face, it's that he has no sincerity at all. Lei Luo's voice suddenly turned cold. Marshal Sengoku, you can eat indiscriminately, but don't talk indiscriminately. To show my sincerity, I have released your alternate Admiral Momoshiki, who is being dishonest now. It's okay not to mention Momoshiki, but when he thought of the dying Momoshiki who was hooked through the loot bone, the anger in Sengoku's heart surged up. Since you are not sincere, then don't talk about it. Marine will never compromise with you. If you want to fight, fight to the death. Lei Luo is like a piece of hog meat. Okay. Let's see if the fish dies first, or the net breaks first. Dead fish. Don't be silly, the red-haired Shanks won't let this happen. If it's really a dead end, wouldn't his trip be in vain? At the negotiating table, Lei Luo has always been extraordinarily sober. He can guess what Shanks is thinking, even if he can't guess 100% of it, he can guess it 80% or 90%. The reason why this guy has been slow to open his mouth is probably waiting for Sengoku to vent his emotions, and the stuffiness in his chest is almost vented before we can really start talking. Sure enough, in the next second, the red-haired Shanks, who was watching the 2 sides about to flip the table, finally spoke. You 2 are important figures in this sea, so the negotiation should look like a negotiation. Each one is stubborn, and in the end there will be no result. The so-called step back will open the sea and the sky, and I ask the 2 of you to give me a face and take a step back. Isn't the matter easy to solve? If I don't give you face, I won't sit here. As soon as the red-haired voice fell, Sengoku roared, but after the roar, his momentum was obviously weaker by 3 points, and the meaning of forbearance and retreat was self-evident. He, Sengoku, is a generation of the resourceful general after all, how could he not understand such a simple situation? On the surface of the red hair, the 2 are not helping each other lightly, but in fact they are absolutely strong and want to push the heads of both parties to resolve this matter. To put it bluntly, if any party opposes his proposal, he will stand on the opposite side without hesitation. Nearly 40,000 troops have been lost, Akainu, Momoshiki, T-Dolphins have been damaged. Kizaru and Aokiji were confronted by opponents with fruit abilities, and lost hundreds of PXs. The pacifist marine can no longer stand the combination of red-haired Shanks and white paper flower Lei Luo. Attack. The lifeline has been strangled. The redhead seemed to have expected Sengoku's reaction long ago, and continued, since both of you have given me face in this way, you might as well listen to my proposal. Advertisement. Chapter 82. The uproar caused by the Supreme Four meeting. Please subscribe. Advertisement. As time passed, the negotiations between Lei Luo, Hongfa, Sengoku, and Garp have been going on, and there is no intention of ending. On the warship in the distance, the marine soldiers looked through the binoculars at the four negotiating people on the ice, with awe and longing in their eyes, and the voices of whispering and discussing faintly sounded. Marshal Sengoku and Vice Admiral Garp, white paper flower Lei Luo and red-haired Shanks. Hiss. It's not an exaggeration to say that this meeting is the meeting of four people standing at the top of the world. If one day I can stand in that position, I will have nothing to regret in this life. For a time, countless people were fantasizing that it was they who stood on the ice 1 sea-mile away, as if the ice 1 sea away was the Five Elders' power room, and only those who stood at the top of the world were eligible to participate. Shut up. Everyone. Talk about the chief indiscriminately, and there is no military discipline. Ghost spiders, fighting dogs, flying squirrels and other vice admirals all spoke out to scold the soldiers under them, but the soldiers had just calmed down, and they lowered their voices to discuss again. I didn't expect that Marshal Sengoku would actually negotiate with the pirates. How is this different from compromising with the pirates? What's there to talk about? The big deal is to die. Marshal Sengoku is old. The more he lives, the more he goes back. Vice Admiral, the radical fighting dog, snorted dissatisfied. Dignified Marine, the army is powerful all over the world, how can it compromise with the pirates? Marshal Sengoku must have his own considerations. It's not appropriate for you to speculate about your boss in private, right? You are so capable, so it's not your turn to take the position of Marshal. Vice Admiral, the flying squirrel of the stability faction, has always been at odds with the fighting dog of the radical faction, and he returned unceremoniously. Huo Shaoshan Vice Admiral of the neutral faction gathered his full beard, lit his cigar, took a deep puff, and persuaded with a smile on his face. Don't say a few words, Marshal Sengoku naturally has his reasons for doing this. Quote. He is the marshal, and we are subordinates, just do what the boss ordered. However, this white paper flower Lei Luo is indeed not to be underestimated. Statistics show that he is only 24 years old, and he has already stood at the same height as Marshal Sengoku, Vice Admiral Garp, and red-haired Shanks. Entrust the Whitebeard pirates to him, there must be a territory for him in the sea in the future. After a word of persuasion, Huo Shaoshan Vice Admiral quietly brought the conversation to Lei Luo, lest the two colleagues continue to quarrel. On another warship not far away, Admiral Kizaru and Admiral Aokiji stood on the bow. Kizaru's eyes under the brown sunglasses were full of aggrieved eyes. He looked at Lei Luo who was a mile away from a distance, but there was a gleam in his eyes. Deep fear. The first time I met Lei Luo was when I supported Aokiji, 883, in the Banaro Island incident. At that time, Lei Luo was strong, but his strength was just that. Even if he could cause him some trouble, it was far from being able to make him look at him. But how long has passed, and the person who was not qualified to look at him not long ago has climbed on top of him, standing at the same height as Marshal Sengoku. Since the Banaro Island incident, this guy has been strong all the way, making great strides, and the speed at which his strength improves is also unimaginable, because it is terrifying. But what is even more frightening is his leadership ability. If only Lei Luo is strong, then there is nothing to fear. But the people under him are also ridiculously strong. There are 2 ghosts at the door, and only 2 people hold him, Marine Admiral, so hard to do it. Formidable strength, an incredible speed of strength improvement, and the charisma of attracting powerful people from all walks of life to be used by him. There is no doubt that this guy already has the qualifications to be crowned emperor in the new world. Aokiji's eyes were also filled with apprehension. The ice surface 1 nautical mile away was an area that he, a Marine Admiral, was not qualified to set foot in, and that white paper flower Lei Luo was standing there. Standing at the same height as Vice Admiral Garp and Marshal Sengoku. Thinking back carefully, since the encounter with Lei Luo, he has suffered in various ways, and it seems that he has never defeated Lei Luo once. Back then on Banaro Island, if Pelusolino-san hadn't arrived in time, he might have been exhausted to death by Lei Luosheng. Although I kept holding back my energy afterwards and wanted to find a place with Lei Luo, but every time he would only pull him further away. And after today, the gap between him and Lei Luo will only get bigger. Whitebeard has already entrusted the Whitebeard pirates to him, and with the influence, financial resources, and firepower of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce, Lei Luo only needs to ascend to the top, and the position of 4 emperors can be lifted. And on the special warship for the 7 warlords of the sea, there are only 4 of the original Shichibukai left. Eagle-eyed Dracula Mahawk sat down on the bow of the ship and looked at the 4 figures on the ice a mile away. Today's negotiations, if Lei Luo can really force Marine to pay compensation, it will shock the new world, no, a part of the world big news. And he will also shock the world, become the legendary passed on by the pirates, ascend the throne and become the emperor. Dracul Mahawk's hand unconsciously rested on the black knife Yi. The blood in his body seemed to be boiling, and he couldn't suppress the idea of wanting to fight that man named Lei Luo more and more. Pirate Queen Boa Hancock leaned on the love snake, and the admiration flowing in her beautiful eyes was undisguised. Defeated Marine Admiral, fought against Marines, 2 living legendaries with 1 enemy and used Admiral as a pledge to win the battle. Marine lowered his head and negotiated, and took over. He didn't think it was unreasonable for such a person to sit on the 4 emperor's seat. Times change. Old ones go. New ones come. Whitebeard dies and abdicates. Lei Luo ascends the throne strongly. This is probably the so-called unstoppable destiny of manpower. No. Before the words fell, Bartholomew Big Bear immediately expressed a different opinion. If Lei Luo wants to ascend the throne, it depends not on God, but on human power. Don't forget, he is not just the vice captain of the Whitebeard pirates. He is also the president of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Not to mention anything else, the White Paper Flower Merchant Guild's means of collecting money and gathering information are already top-notch, and it is even more powerful to gather a pair of earth-beating ghosts that can be combined to confront Marine Admiral. Although it is the strength of Vice Admiral alone, once the two are combined, especially Admiral, who is known as Devil Fruit, will be overwhelmed by their abilities. The business of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce is all over the world. Who can guarantee that Lei Luo only has a pair of ghosts under his command? The power he hides in the dark is the most terrifying and awesome. After a long time, Bartholomew Dashong added as if talking to himself, sealing the Emperor at sea. For many pirates, this is an achievement that is difficult to achieve in a lifetime, and now Lei Luo is only 1 step away. Bartholomew the Bear muttered in disbelief. This battle between Marine and the Whitebeard pirates finally developed to such a point. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. But even seeing it with my own eyes now, I feel very unreal, extremely surprised, and stunned. Marine's devastating blow, except for the old Whitebeard who was besieged to death, now the pirates have a slight upper hand. The extremely young Lei Luo survived the attacks of Garp and Sengoku by himself. Lively dragged the battlefield to the point of negotiation. We must know that in today's scene, no matter which pirate group Marine is attacking in an all-round way, such a scene is impossible. Whether it is Kaido, Big Mom or Shanks, it is difficult to completely resist Marine's all-out attack. In the cabin not far away, Edward Wable, whose IQ was only 5 years old, was sitting in a naive manner. The little old lady Miss Ba Jin listened to San Wuhai's conversation, and stomped her feet in anger. Damn Whitebeard, damn Lei Luo. Whitebeard is dead. Everything he left should belong to our mother and son. What kind of thing is that Lei Luo? Where did it come from? Marine is also really useless. 100,000 troops can't catch a Whitebeard pirate group, and let that Lei Luo take advantage of the loophole. In this way, isn't our mother and son's trip in vain? No, this loss must be made up for by Marine. Advertisement. Edward Wable asked naively. Mom, are you angry? Shut up, Wable. How stupid are you? Wable sniffed his nose and closed his mouth, with a look of grievance on his face. He didn't understand why his mother was still angry with him after he had clearly done what his mother said. When my mother is not angry, she always calls him, Mom's sweet baby. On the other side of the pirate side, the pirates headed by the captain of the 16th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates are also paying attention to the negotiation situation on the ice 1 nautical mile away. Father Whitebeard is dead. What is the future of the Whitebeard Pirates, and where should they go? Almost everyone is worried about such issues, and the voices of discussion are becoming more and more noisy. What is Deputy Captain Lei Luo talking to Marine about? Why is it taking so long? The longer the time, the more anxious people became. Lieutenant Captain Lei Luo is used to being the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and he is also used to solving problems as a businessman. He won't sell us, will he? Suddenly, such a disharmonious discourse came out. That's right, Dad is dead. Deputy Captain Lei Luo has been running the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce and has never stayed on board. We don't know what he thinks. If you want me to say, don't talk about it at all. Didn't the Jinbe brothers place explosives on Marine's warship, and blow them all up with 1 shot? That's right, the old man is dead. What else do we have to talk to them about? I think Captain Lei Luo's mind is hard to fathom. Time passed by minute, 2 hours later, and 3 hours later. Almost everyone was impatient to wait, and they began to waver again. Lei Luo's strength is indeed awesome. With a young and strong physique, he can compete with a monster like Garp, but he is not very old after all. Really, if in this most advanced meeting, with a scheming guy like Garp Sengoku, can you really get enough benefits for the Whitebeard pirates? After all, Lei Luo seldom comes to the Whitebeard pirates, except for a few captains. Many low-level pirates are seeing Lei Luo for the first time. Although Dad Whitebeard seems to value him very much, and he safely handed over the pirate group he has been running for a lifetime to Lei Luo. But whether Lei Luo will completely carry the pirate group as the father said, that is still 2 things to say. Now the red-haired Shanks' attitude is not too clear. If Lei Luo fails to resist the strength of these 3 parties and acts against the Whitebeard pirates, it will not only discredit Lei Luo. The 16 captains below probably wouldn't just support him in making him emperor at sea. Enough. Stop talking. Seeing the words of his brothers getting more and more outrageous, the big vortex spider Skayad immediately shouted to stop. Lieutenant Captain Lei Luo is father's designated successor. Can you discuss it? I believe that Deputy Captain Lei Luo must have his reasons for doing so. We have to trust Dad, and we have to trust Vice Captain Lei Luo like we trust Dad. Everyone, be ready to fight. Once the vice captain needs it, our big Eddie Spider pirates will be the first to rush up. Yes, a slightly disturbed voice sounded from behind. After all, although after Lei Luo came, the battle between the Whitebeard pirates and Marine began to dawn, but the death of Whitebeard still had a great impact on the morale of the group. The big vortex spider squealed sighed inwardly, secretly hoping that this fellow Lei Luo would be able to withstand it. As long as he survives this time, then Lei Luo will definitely be one of the 4 emperors. If Lei Luo failed to negotiate in this far-reaching, 4-person meeting, or even made some unpredictable things, he would probably be ruined. Even the Whitebeard pirates existed in name only and fell apart. The Whitebeard pirates, famous in the New World, also reached a watershed between demise and rebirth. Therefore, even if they feel uneasy now, as vassal captains, they have to stabilize their hearts first. They just hope that Kid Lei Luo can stabilize this wave. As long as they hold on to this wave, they will have no problem supporting this brat to become the 4 emperors. At the same time, the same scene is constantly being staged in the 44 vassal groups under the Whitebeard pirates. Many of the 44 captains, including Hexia Jinbe, met Lei Luo, the emperor's mate in Legendary for the first time. The scenes of the 2 living legendaries fighting Marine are really shocking. But the age of the other party is really too young, not to say that he is very young. It's just that compared to people who can have the same status as him at this stage, the age is too young. Sengoku is 76 years old, Garp is 75 years old, Kizaru is 58 years old, Akainu is 53 years old, and Aokiji is 47 years old. Even the captains and captains of the Whitebeard pirates, in addition to brats like Ace, many people like Marco and others are in their 40s. Among the crowd of this rank, Lei Luo is really too young. If he can become 4 emperors, it will refresh the minimum age for 4 emperors to be enthroned. Even at his age, the future of One Piece may not be known. It's just that the location is too far away, and the variables that appear are too great. At this stage, the 44 captains of the Whitebeard pirates are all the captains of the 16th division. The shock and doubt for Lei Luo are the same, but the biggest feeling is still hope that Lei Luo can lead them out of the predicament and regain the glory of the past. At least don't let this group disappear from the sea. And on the Moby DK, the captains of the 16th division were silently watching the negotiation situation on the ice. The captain of the 2nd division, Huaquan Ace, walked around the deck anxiously. What is the deputy captain talking about with them? I'm so anxious. Ace obviously didn't realize that he was the biggest fuse that triggered this war. The captain of the 5th squadron, Foil Vista, was sitting on the side of the boat. Ace. You have had contact with Captain Lei Luo once, what kind of person do you think he is? Although he is young, he is mature and calm as a mountain. I feel that I can't see through him at all. Ace tried hard to remember the scene when he and Lei Luo met for the first time. The extremely strong body is wearing a neat and capable suit, and a handmade origami white paper flower is pinned to the chest. A very inexplicable vocabulary appeared in his mind at that time, that is, thug in a suit. No matter how much he pretends to be a civilized and wise man. Advertisement. But there is always a roaring tyrannical temperament in his body. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to cultivate his weaponry to the point where he could beat demon fruit power at such a young age. The practice of Dao armed color is more difficult and terrifying than the development of fruit. Otherwise, there would never be so few armed and powerful people above the sea. This ability depends entirely on one's own arduous physical exercise and willpower. No tricks at all. Once there is slack, the ability of armed color will even degenerate. So even though Lei Luo pretended to be a polite and civilized businessman, he was definitely an extremely tough person in essence. Even his character is the same. After all, he resisted the temptation to eat devil fruit and immediately become stronger. On the contrary, it is impossible to cultivate the armament haki of this level without the most outstanding willpower. So on this point, Papa Whitebeard's vision is much more accurate than that of the captains. However, I believe in him, and Dad also believes in him. He defeated Marine's admiral and resisted the joint attack of Marine Marshal and Hero Garp. I believe he will solve this battle. Fight, Ace said firmly. Okay, since you believe it, then we will follow him for the time being, but if there is a problem with the old man's vision, then I will not just vote for Marine. The captain of the home team, Diamond Joes, said in a calm voice. Ace froze for a moment, then became quiet. You're right. The captain of the first team, Marco Phoenix, never left the ice surface 1 nautical mile away from the beginning to the end. Looking at Deputy Captain Lei Luo standing with Garp, Sengoku, and red-haired Shanks, and then looking at the body of Whitebeard who was restrained temporarily, he felt a little complicated in his heart. He can't control what will happen to Dad's vision, but the Whitebeard pirates must survive. This is where he, as the eldest son, must check. Lei Luo is a little younger than him, but his strength has already reached the same level as the red-haired Shanks and Marine Hero Garp. But what will be the final Xing, he is not sure. He only knows that if Lei Luo does not lose the prestige of the Whitebeard pirates and ends the war, then he will support the Whitebeard pirates to ascend the throne. His strength has reached a huge bottleneck, and he has not improved for 3 years. Always a line behind Admiral. Just the slightest gap is enough to form a chasm-like distance. But if Lei Luo is with Marine, or finally agrees to some conditions of Marine, then he must stop him. No matter what your father said, you must support it. You have already waited for a long time, and there is no need to wait. At this stage, you can only go to the dark. Trust Lei Luo first. Although Marco said so in his heart, he still had no confidence in his heart, but he still admires Lei Luo's strength now. This scene at this stage is all brought about by Lei Luo's strong strength. Thinking of Lei Luo's terrifying armament haki, Marco felt envious in his heart. He is old after all, if he has half of Lei Luo's armed color attainment. It's not impossible to completely advance to Admiral's strength. Looking at Lei Luo, who was in high spirits, and Shanks and others, regardless of the final result, at this moment, Marco still couldn't help feeling a little admiration for this young man. On the top of the giant tiger-headed sea king separated by a line from the Moby DK, Floyd the Frankenstein and the two ghosts who knocked the door did not say a word. Floyd silently stared at the ice in the distance, keeping an eye on the situation variety. And Agent and Rudolph squinted their eyes and fell asleep, using a faster way to recover the previously consumed physical strength, because the old dog Lei Luo may need them at any time. At the same time that Marine, Lei Luo, and Hongfa were meeting, the deep-sea prison thousands of miles away, the waters near Impel Down. The warship that disappeared from the battlefield is slowly heading towards Impel Down. On the bow of the warship, Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach and Shadow Mage Gecko Moria are standing on the deck with 4.2 big thorns. Behind them, there is a ship full of marine soldiers. If you take a closer look, you will find that these marine soldiers are covered with a dull color, as if they have not been exposed to the sun for a long time, and their complexion looks extremely unhealthy, and everyone has a humble stitched scar. Impel Down is coming soon. I hope your plan doesn't go wrong, otherwise neither of us will be able to escape, and we will both die. The Warden Magellan is of Admiral level strength. Gecko Moria said with some anxiety. If the thriller bark hadn't been blown up by the Straw Hat Boys, he wouldn't be bewitched by Blackbeard to come to Impel Down to break the prison or something. That's crazy. Thief, ha ha ha. The Blackbeard thief laughed, the fat on his stomach and face shaking out layers of waves. Don't worry. Do as I say, as long as your zombie is fine, nothing will go wrong this time. Yes, strictly speaking, the soldiers on this ship are not living people, but zombies, who were killed by Moria and replaced by shadow-controlled zombies. Zombies are more obedient than living people, absolutely obey the orders of the controller, and they are not afraid of death, and they will not hurt. There is nothing more suitable cannon fodder than these zombie soldiers to rob prison from the poisonous Warden Magellan. Now more than 90% of Marine's forces are concentrated on the frontal battlefield with Whitebeard, and the remaining 10% must guard the various branches and Marineford's marine headquarters. The defenses everywhere are unprecedentedly empty. There will never be a more suitable opportunity to rob prison than now. Participating in Marine's extermination war against Whitebeard pirates this time, what he plans is not only Whitebeard's shock fruit, but also the heinous criminals on the 6th floor in the deepest part of Impel Down. The 6th floor of Impel Down, the deep-sea prison, only detains the most vicious people, many of whom are silver medalists and bronze medalists who were defeated in the old days against Pirate King Roger and Father Whitebeard. If these people can be gathered under the command, whether it is the life of Lei Luo, the life of Ace, the destruction of the Whitebeard pirates, the position of the 4 emperors or even the strongest in the world, they will all be at your fingertips. It was originally planned to capture Ace, the Pirate King Roger's evil blood, and exchange it with Marine. I didn't expect that guy Akainu to be so useless, he couldn't even deal with a seriously injured Lei Luo. Lei Luo, next time you see me, will you not be so lucky? Even this time if you get seriously injured by Garp and Sengoku, it will be your death. Once there is any news, I will go to you personally. A savage look appeared on Blackbeard's stubbled face. Advertisement. Chapter 83. Is Lei Luo's destiny stronger than that of red-haired Shanks? Please subscribe. Advertisement. A day and a night passed silently, and on the ice, the 4-person meeting between Garp, Sengoku, Lei Luo, and the red-haired Shanks failed to produce results. The Marines and pirates, who were waiting 1 nautical mile away, felt a bit sleepy. Marine has already started to rest in shifts, only Kizaru and Aokiji Admiral and Ghost Spider, Flying Squirrel and other vice admirals are always awake and standing at the bow. The same is true for the pirates, the 44 vassal regiments, including Jinbe's Sun Pirates, all adopt a shift system. On the Moby DK, only Marco, the Phoenix who wants to be the gatekeeper for his father, and Ace, the Fire Fist who trusts Lei Luo 100%, never rests. The other captains and team members have changed 3 shifts. On the exclusive warship of 7 warlords of the sea, Edward Wable's grunting open-air work. The little old lady Miss Ba Jin seemed to have adapted to her son's snoring long ago, and fell into a sound sleep, talking in her dreams from time to time. Damn, Whitebeard, property, my. On the bow, the pirate queen Boa Hancock leaned on her love snake and yawned heavily. There was a faint dark circle on her fair-skinned delicate face. What are these people talking about? How to carve up the world map. It's been a day and a night and we haven't finished talking. She stayed up all night and didn't see anything. If it wasn't for witnessing the historic moment, she would have gone back a long time ago. Eagle-eyed Dracul Mahawk stood still like an old tree with roots under his feet, but there was a trace of fatigue in his eagle-like sharp eyes. Marine pays the pirates compensation, even if Shanks comes forward personally, it is not so easy to do. What happened? However, the longer the wait, the more exciting the final result will be. The most sober of the 3 warriors is Bartholomew the Great Bear. His semi-transformed body keeps him awake all the time. From the beginning of the negotiation to now, he has read the Bible in his hand 3 times. Several times during the period, Sengoku and Garp were about to flip the table, but in the end they held back and did not fight. Marines and pirates, the so-called justice and evil, these are the natural irreconcilable contradictions mentioned in the scriptures. The result of this negotiation is indeed worth looking forward to. Oh 4. Boom. Almost at the moment when Bartholomew's Big Bear's voice fell, there was a violent rumbling sound like a thunderstorm from the sea 1 nautical mile away. In just a split second, the pirates and the marines all came to their senses, and all their eyes instantly focused on the ice surface 1 mile away, where 3 extremely powerful auras were colliding fiercely. The tyrannical aura soared to the sky, even the clouds in the sky were stirred up, and the situation changed. It's fighting. It's fighting. The whole army is ready and ready to attack. Pick up lousy. Get ready to fight, FK the fucking marine. All of a sudden, both the marine and the pirates opened up their positions at an extremely fast speed, the knives were unsheathed and loaded, and the forms of the two sides instantly became tense, as if they would start a war at any time. Is it still necessary to use force to solve it in the end? Dracula Mahawk's mouth curled up with an intriguing arc. Still started. From the perspective of my concubine, the face of the red-haired Shanks is nothing more than that. Pirate Empress Boa Hancock's face was a little lazy, but there was a trace of expectation in her beautiful eyes, as if she was looking forward to another battle between the 4 people 10 miles away. Bartholomew Bear closed the Bible in his hand. Sure enough, the contradictions between justice and evil, marines and pirates are naturally irreconcilable. Even the red-haired Shanks himself can't change this fact. At the same time, the brilliant gold Buddha light on Sengoku, the Buddha, also shined on Ultimate, and the surrounding space faintly rippled, and bursts of majestic and tyrannical power emerged from the solemn treasure. The aura on Garp the Fist's body is like a towering mountain. Even if you just glance at it from a distance, you can feel the tyrannical, thick, and dull power emanating from Garp. However, Lei Luo's aura is significantly weaker than that of Garp and Sengoku. On the pirate side, Skiyad, the captain of the Great Eddy Spider Pirates, gritted his teeth, as the vice-captain Lei Luo, too young after all, can't overwhelm the 2 old monsters Garp and Sengoku. The Ice Witch, Brother D. Carlban and others gritted their teeth and beat their chests, as if the last thing they wanted to see finally happened. Compared with Garp Sengoku, who have been famous for a long time, the foundation of Vice-Captain Lei Luo is still too shallow after all. If Lei Luo can return to Guy from the 3-party negotiation, then they will do their best to assist Lei Luo to become the emperor in accordance with his father's last wish. But if he is suppressed by either marine or the red-haired Shanks, let alone supporting him with all his strength, the future of these brothers under him will be terrible. Moby DK aboard. Fire Fist Ace's complexion changed visibly. It's broken. The deputy captain fell into a disadvantage and was suppressed by those 2 old men. Advertisement. What should we do? The huge and burly Diamond Joe stood up suddenly. Everyone is ready to fight. Wait. Marco, who had been paying attention to the ice surface, suddenly shouted and stopped everyone. His eyes have never left the ice, so he can see the most clearly. Don't panic, take a closer look around Vice-Captain Lei Luo. Everyone froze for a second, looking in the direction of Marco's finger. Almost everyone's face suddenly changed to surprise, astonishment, surprise, disbelief. Various emotions were written on everyone's face. On the surface, Lei Luo is indeed at a disadvantage, whether it is from the coverage of the aura or the dazzling degree of the aura. But that tyrannical aura of being fearless, and daring to fight against the sky and the ground actually opened up an absolute territory around Lei Luo. Although the coverage area is small, no matter how Garp and Sengoku improve their aura, even if they are crushed like a torrential river, they cannot shake Lei Luo at all. As that, absolute territory. Foil Vesta, the captain of the 5th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, and Dracula Mahawk, the world's most powerful swordsman in the distance, stared almost at the same time. If the eyes stared like cowbells, then Z. The so-called absolute territory is also called absolute space, and powerful space. It is a kind of absolute power that can only be possessed by the truly strong, releasing the aura centered on oneself, and using the aura to form absolute control over the surrounding space. On the vast ocean, there are so many strong people, there are definitely not a few people who have the space for the strong, but those who can develop it to ultimate are rare, very few. Vista's Petal Sword Spirit and Dracula Mahawk's Green Sword Spirit belong to a branch of the absolute territory, so these 2 world-renowned great swordsmen can recognize the power surging in Lei Luo at a glance. To be able to develop the absolute territory to such a degree, Lei Luo's deputy captain's ambition has indeed reached the level of Superman. Both Vista and Dracula Mahawk rated Lei Luo almost exactly the same. Looking at the 2 camps of pirates and marine, only the 2 ghosts and Floyd the Frankenstein have always maintained a calm look, because they have absolute confidence in their boss. However, the tightly clenched fists of the 3 are still expressing the inner unrest of the 3. In the next moment, the red-haired Shanks' red and black aura spread like a red thunder rushing to the sky. Look, it's Conqueror's Haki. The red-haired Shanks has made a move. Fire Fist Ace shouted. He is also the owner of Conqueror's Haki, and he is extremely sensitive to the master's aura emanating from the red-haired Shanks. Damn it. The red-haired guy actually made a move at this time. Which side is this guy on? Yi Zhang, the captain of the 16th Squad, said a little angrily, extremely dissatisfied with the weed of the red-haired Shanks. Immediately afterwards, Conqueror's Haki rushed out from the red-haired Shanks with incomparably strong momentum and squeezed into the aura confrontation of Lei Luo, Garp, and Sengoku, forcing the 3 auras to separate like a needle. Ben Beckman, Yi Sabu, Lajalu and others on the Redforth looked at each other. If the boss makes a move, it means that this negotiation is over. On Marine's warship, Aokiji and Kizaru stood at the bow, keeping a close eye on everything that happened on the ice a mile away. In terms of aura, after all, the red-haired Shanks with the strongest Conqueror's Haki is even better, but Vice Admiral Garp and Marshal Sengoku will not be left behind too much. It's Lei Luo who is a bit miserable, the three-party aura is suppressed, and he is a bit embarrassed. Aokiji Kuzan, who has a long-standing feud with Lei Luo, said with emotion. There was a hint of joy in his words, as if he was speaking silently. Lei Luo, the pervert, was finally overwhelmed. And Kizaru Pelusolino beside him shook his head. Kuzan, look carefully. That kid Lei Luo is not at a disadvantage. What? Aokiji's eyes were fixed, and he glanced towards the ice surface a mile away. His eyes trembled involuntarily. How could that be? It's impossible. The three-party aura is suppressed, but Lei Luo is still unaffected. On the ice 1 mile away, the tyrannical aura was divided into 4 strands. The golden Buddha light on Sengoku and the mountain-like aura on Garp merged into one furnace, crushed by Shanks' Conqueror's Haki keep retreating and retreating. Although the aura emanating from Lei Luo's body was also affected, it was only a slight ripple. The coverage of the aura could never be shaken, and the absolute territory was still the absolute territory. What kind of monster is this guy? Aokiji Kuzan, who is Marine Admiral, yelled out in a gaffe. Advertisement. Soon, everyone on the Redfirth also noticed that something was wrong. No way. Lajalu rubbed his eyes vigorously, but forgot that there was meat oil on his hands, and his eyes were covered with smears. First officer, did you see that? In front of the boss's conquerors, Lei Luo's aura is hardly affected. Hiss. Lajalu took a deep breath. I understand, the boss must not have put in all his strength. If the boss showed the aura he had when he confronted Whitebeard, Lei Luo would definitely not be able to hold back. Lajalu found a reason for himself that seemed reasonable, but found that Ben Beckman, Yisabu and others ignored him at all. Of 4 people. The pirate queen Boa Hancock's breasts rise and fall, and her white jade fingers lightly cover Sakura's small mouth, concealing her inner unrest. The Conqueror's Haki of the red-haired Shanks, even though it is so far away, the concubine still trembling with fear. This guy Lei Luo hasn't been affected much. How the hell did he do that? Not having conquerors, it means that his fate is not as heavy as that of red-haired Shanks. He can resist Shanks' conquerors, it only means, he is more ambitious than Shanks. Hancock thought unsteadily, as if he was frightened by the thoughts popping up in his head. However, the most surprising thing was the red-haired Shanks standing on the ice. His gaze was meeting Lei Luo's scorching gaze, and the shock in his eyes was deeply hidden by him. How is it possible? My Conqueror's Haki versus Lei Luo's. Is the impact so limited? Although the Conqueror's Haki 760 released this time is far from reaching the strength when it collided with Whitebeard, Lei Luo is fundamentally different from Whitebeard. He does not have Conqueror's Haki. Adding energy to the body is not the fate of an emperor. No wonder Doflamingo has no strength to fight back in front of him. Lei Luo's aura and heart are so strong. It all sounds slow, but in fact it is just a matter of a few breaths. From the beginning of the 4 people's aura confrontation to now, it is only a short 3 or 4 seconds. But everyone who witnessed this scene felt that seconds felt like years, and just a few seconds seemed like centuries had passed. In the next second, the 4 rushing sky fields were closed at the same time without warning, everything came to an abrupt end, and the tense atmosphere in the entire sea also eased a little bit. Recalling the short few seconds just experienced, no matter marine or pirate, they all gave birth to a feeling of surviving after a catastrophe. In those short few seconds, it seemed that the air froze and there was dead silence. It was terrifying, until the 4 on the ice withdrew their tyrannical aura, making people feel alive again. On the ice, Sengoku looked at the cracks on the ice surface that appeared only under Lei Luo's feet, and snorted coldly, Lieutenant Captain Lei Luo. That's it for today. I, Sengoku, have learned the lesson. The captain keeps his word. One more piece of advice to Deputy Captain Lei Luo, the gold, Deputy Captain Lei Luo is destined to take it, but also to spend it. Lei Luo smiled coldly. Hey, if you have time to play tricks, Marshal Sengoku should go back and raise gold as soon as possible. Garp's face was extremely gloomy, and his cold eyes fell on Lei Luo. Boy. See you next time, I will definitely send you to impel down play button pressed at the bottom of the deep sea prison. Leaving this sentence behind, Garp and Sengoku jumped up at the same time, and Moonwalk started running towards Marine. The red-haired Shanks looked at Lei Luo. Brother Lei Luo, you gave me face this time, and I will definitely give you face next time. A smile hung on Lei Luo's face. Come out and hang out, you come and go, each other. The eyes of the 2 met in midair, as if a burst of sparks were sparked, but it didn't seem to be. Then, the 2 of them soared into the air at the same time, and the red hair jumped towards the Redfirth. Luo landed firmly on top of the Tiger-Head Sea Kings. On the pirate side, the captain of the 16th Division and the captain of the 44th Vassal Regiment looked at each other for a while. Is it over? So, the outcome of the negotiations. The next moment, Sengoku's angry voice filled the sea with a hint of aggrieved voice. In an instant, everyone present was shocked. It was as if the space froze like glass in an instant. Impossible. Could it be? What's going on? Marine Vice Admiral Huo Shaoshan and Ghost Spider took a few steps back in fright. Even the Empress Boa Hancock covered her mouth with her hands, her pupils were trembling, and stared blankly at the separation of B on the field. Advertisement. Chapter 84. Marine retreats. This era belongs to Lei Luo. Please subscribe. Advertisement. At the same time, de Rosa, thousands of miles away, is full of gunpowder and chaos. Hundreds of Giver army destroyed all living beings, leaving a mess everywhere they passed. Under the sky was as dark as a rainstorm was coming, the gun barrel was hot, and the fired shells fell in all directions, and green smoke spread like a plague. Almost half the kingdom was covered with this miserable green smoke of death, the trees withered and the beasts fled. Even if they only inhaled a small amount of smoke, countless people knelt on the ground, choked their necks, stared at their eyes, it became more and more difficult to breathe, and they died slowly in the extreme torture. Master Lei Luo, where is Lei Luo Tien? Help, help me, Master Lei Luo. In the streets and alleys, countless people are calling for help. The same scene is happening in every corner of de Rosa. De Rosa, once known as a midsummer tropical resort, a country of love, passion and fairies, has turned into a purgatory on Earth. In the Smile man-made Devil Fruit Factory, another terrifying battle is coming to an end. 200cc poisoned blood arrow. The blood demon Dracula clasped his hands together, and sprayed out a sharp scarlet and black blood arrow from his fingertips. With an extremely swift sound of breaking the wind, he shot straight at the huge Brachiosaurus not far away that was more than 10 meters high. However, the huge Brachiosaurus easily defeated the blood arrow just by twisting its long snake-like neck. At the same time, the huge dragon head hit the blood demon Dracula heavily like a hammer. Dracula's figure flew upside down in an instant, a mouthful of blood spurted out, and the sickly pale face that didn't have much blood turned even paler. It fell heavily to the ground, and despair flashed in the eyes of the exhausted blood demon Dracula. This guy is too tough. He is indeed one of the three big kanban under Kaido of the beasts. He is different from all the opponents he has encountered before. He is proud of the blood poison, can instantly mix into blood and cause death. Blood poison can't break this guy's defense at all. The body of the ancient zone demon fruit power is too powerful. The wolf demon and tiger demon who are also zone demon fruit power couldn't make 10 moves in his hands at all. They stormed into de Rosa with lightning speed, and drove straight into the man-made Devil Fruit Factory. The most hateful thing is that these guys carried a shielding phone bug, which completely cut off their contact with the outside world, and hoped to report the situation here to the headquarters. Playing poison in front of me? Are you serious? The trash under Lei Luo's hands. The gigantic Brachiosaurus gradually shrank into a 3-meter tall, 3-meter wide fat figure like an inflated balloon. It was Plague Quinn, one of the 3 plagues under Kaido of the beasts. Looking across the messy man-made Devil Fruit Factory, Rao Quinn couldn't help being shocked. The artificial devil fruit smiles raw materials were scattered all over the floor, and the semi-finished artificial devil fruit rolled all over the place. The givers and waiters of the beast's pirates, the soldiers of de Rosa, the Dongtata family who made artificial devil fruit, the corpses were piled on top of each other and fell to the ground. Under the order of Governor Kaido, they came to snatch the man-made devil fruit smile and its production method. I didn't expect these guys to be so stubborn. Whether it's the Dongtata clan or Lei Luo subordinates, they all resisted desperately, and would rather die than open their mouths. Dare to destroy the man-made devil fruit that has been made. Damn guys, these are the property of the beast's pirates, the property of Governor Kaido. In this case, let's poison all these guys. Quinn grabbed Dracula's neck and lifted it up. You are capable enough to kill a dozen of my givers, and you have seen what happened to your 2 brothers. You must not want to become like that. Tell me how to make a fake devil fruit smile, and I'll make you the real beast's pirates. Who? Dracula spat bloody phlegm on Quinn's face, daydreaming. Dare to make trouble in Rosa, boss Lei Luo won't let you go. Ahahaha, Lei Luo. Quinn seemed to have heard a big joke. Lei Luo. Hey, it's just a dog next to Whitebeard. Who's a fart without that old monster Whitebeard behind him? Dracula's eyes cracked. Don't insult boss Lei Luo. Insult. The guy who can't protect himself, I'm not interested in insulting him. The fat on Quinn's body was trembling, and his arrogance was vividly displayed. You probably don't know yet, Marine sent 100,000 troops to destroy the Whitebeard pirates. It is said that the 3 Marine admirals, plus Sengoku the Buddha and Garp the Fist are all dispatched. How long do you think the old Whitebeard can last? And before that, your boss, the white paper flower, Lei Luo, had already been crippled by Garp the Fist and became a useless person. How about taking a gamble? Just bet on your good-for-nothing boss Lei Luo and that old Whitebeard, who will die first. A flash of determination flashed in Dracula's eyes. He stopped making a sound, the blood in his body circulated at an extremely fast speed, and all of it poured into his heart. Boom, boom, boom. Advertisement. The heartbeat became more and more dull. Plague Quinn stared under the sunglasses, and instantly sensed something was wrong. Damn it. This B*** D wants to die with lousy. Quinn raised his hand and was about to throw Dracula out, but he never thought that Dracula's hands would tightly clasp his thick arm like a water snake, and he would die. There was a sly and cold smile on his pale face without a trace of blood. 5500cc blood bomb. Boom. The voice sounded, and Dracula, who was caught by Quinn, exploded with a bang, and the scarlet and black blood mist instantly swallowed Quinn's whole body. Lord Quinn. Master Quinn, are you okay? The givers and standbys under Quinn shouted in panic. Stop yelling. Lousy is not dead. Quinn's intermittent voice of pain came from the blood mist. After more than 10 seconds, the blood mist gradually dissipated, revealing Quinn with only one arm left and a pale face. The wound on the broken arm was obviously blackened, obviously poisoned, but what was exposed in the broken arm was not entirely flesh and blood, but more of a mechanical structure made of metal. Debt givers and waiters gasped. One of the 3 big billboards of Beast's pirates, plagued Quinn, was injured. The person who wounded Lord Quinn was actually an unknown person. How is this possible? Even if one sees such a thing with one's own eyes, one cannot believe it. The stones in the latrine are smelly and hard. Quinn gritted his molars and said angrily, and then asked, how much of the man-made devil fruit smile is left? About 8,000 pieces. The giver who was in charge of counting the spoils immediately stood up and said. Quinn's face was so gloomy that water dripped out. After working for a long time, he put one arm in it. Is there such a little gain? Going back this time, Governor Kaido will be beaten up. Take them all away. Take this factory. No, blow this country to lousy. Whitebeard and Lei Luo are dead, and the sea will be Governor Kaido's world in the future. Use the most poisonous plague bombs to blow this place. Let's go to sweep Lei Luo's next place. Dare to rob the governor's man-made devil fruit factory. He really can't count himself. Yes. Quinn kicked down a wall and walked out, and the givers and standbys behind him hurriedly followed, and the arrogant attitude permeated the entire de Rosa. Not long after, the booming cannons rang out. On the other side, the frontal battlefield of the Whitebeard pirates on the edge of the territorial waters. Marshal Sengoku, who was full of brilliant gold Buddha light, landed steadily on the bow of the warship, his chest heaved up and down, and strong unwillingness surged in his eyes. Finally, as if he had made up his mind, he concealed his anger. A voice with a hint of aggrieved resounded over the fleet of warships. The whole army retreats. What? In an instant, everyone present was shocked. It was as if the space froze like glass in an instant. Impossible. Could it be? What's going on? What the hell did Admiral Sengoku talk to those people? Are we really going to compromise with the pirates? The soldiers at the bottom started talking like a pot of porridge, Huo Shaoshan, ghost spider, flying squirrel, etc. Vice Admiral didn't care about the soldiers under him, and rushed to Sengoku in unison. Retreat. Marshal, do you know what you are talking about? It looks like the Whitebeard pirates are about to be completely wiped out, at this time Bing. How can the dignified marine compromise with the pirates? At worst, the fish will die and the net will be broken. Enough. Sengoku let out angrily, and the Buddha-like voice resounded through the sky. Obey orders. Retreat all troops. I will bear any consequences. Immediately now, get out and execute. Exclamation mark quote. Advertisement. Quote. The vice admirals had no choice but to carry out Sengoku's order even though they were unwilling. An extremely oppressive and dull atmosphere gradually enveloped the warship group. As for the pirates, after a second, 2, 3 seconds, of sluggishness, bursts of inconceivable discussions and applause swept through like a tsunami. Damn it, do you really want to retreat with Marine? Did I hear you right? Marine compromised, and the troops are about to retreat. What did Deputy Captain Lei Luo talk to Marine about? It really made Marine compromise and retreat. My god, the Deputy Captain Lei Luo is really amazing. This makes Marine retreat. How did Vice Captain Lei Luo do it? I really should be damned. I doubted that Vice Captain Lei Luo would sell us before. Damn it, damn it. I am the same. I also doubt the Vice Captain Lei Luo. Now it seems that the father's vision is indeed right. The Vice Captain Lei Luo is omnipotent. The captains of the 44 vassal regiments, including Skuyid, Ice Witch, and Seaman Jinbe, let out a long sigh of relief, and while they were relieved, a strong sense of disbelief swept through their hearts. Backquote. My god, the Deputy Captain Lei Luo really convinced Marine. It's amazing. Sengoku, Garp, and the red hair are all extremely shrewd people. How can the deputy captain be in front of these people get a bargain? I'm so stupid. Just now I was worried that Vice Captain Lei Luo would do something wrong to us. From now on, our pirate team will fully support Vice Captain Lei Luo. Ha ha ha. Ace is right. Deputy Captain Lei Luo is omnipotent. This time the old man has learned a lot. Hexia Jinbe laughed out loud, waiting for him to bring this shocking news back to Dragon Palace. Let's see what that old fellow Neptune has to say. After a while, the warship 2 nautical miles away on the opposite side faintly showed signs of starting. Marco on the Moby DK clenched his fist hard, and slammed it heavily on the side of the ship. The excitement in his heart couldn't help pouring out, and his eyes felt a little moist. Okay. Great job, mate. Father, you read the right person. From now on, I will do my best to assist you. Lieutenant Captain Zuo Lei Luo, don't worry about it. Convincing Marine to retreat, the deputy captain actually did it. Although I don't know what the deputy captain talked to those people on the ice, but in terms of the current results, it is an excellent situation for the Whitebeard pirates. Fighting against Marine's 2 living legendaries, he was still invincible in the aura confrontation with the red-haired Shanks. Now he really succeeded in forcing Marine to retreat. One by one, even if you see it with your own eyes, you can't believe it. Dad can rest in peace. Not far away, Fire Fist Ace also punched heavily, and shouted like a child. Look, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Vice Captain Lei Luo will end this war. You guys still don't believe me, but now you know that Vice Captain Lei Luo is amazing. Foil Vista grabbed him and said, okay, we got it. Vice Captain Lei Luo is really good at subduing Marine. Diamond Chow slumped towards Ace. I knew, Zhao, Daddy's vision would be fine. Marco, Ace, Vista, that's not what you just said. Joe's. The pirate queen Boa Hancock covered her mouth with her hands, her pupils were trembling, the long-awaited historic moment really appeared, but she was not as happy as she imagined. Nothing but shock and wonder. Eagle-eyed Dracula Mahawk fiddled with the black knife Yi, and shouted directly at the giant tiger-headed sea kings where Lei Luo was. Lei Luo. Next time we meet, I would like to fight with you. Bartholomew, the big bear, was holding the Bible, but he couldn't read a single line of it. A thought that frightened even himself popped out of his emotionally turbulent heart. In this sea, or Shu Hengkong gave birth to a person who can change the world more than the leader Dorag. On the Redfirth, looking at the marine warships that were getting farther and farther away, the red-haired Shanks looked at Lei Luo, feeling a faint sense of crisis in his heart. The last time I saw the white paper flower Lei Luo, he was a good businessman in disguise. We met again after just a few years, but I didn't expect this guy to have climbed to such a height. The kid who could be dealt with a single sword in the past, can't be suppressed by using Conqueror's Haki now. His strength is too terrifying, but what is even more terrifying is his actual strength. Speed of force increase. What happened today will be widely spread in the sea. Lei Luo will also ascend the throne and proclaim himself emperor, and truly become an existence on an equal footing with him. Brother Lei Luo, when you ascend the throne, post a post, and I will definitely come to support you. You are the first person in the new world to ascend the throne at this age as the four emperors. The red-haired Shanks stood on the bow of the Redfirth and waved his hands to Lei Luo from afar. Lei Luo also bowed their hands symbolically, their eyes collided in the air, and invisible and silent sparks burst out faintly. Whitebeard's funeral has not yet been held. Red-haired brother, we will see you at sea in New World. Advertisement. Chapter 85. The new Emperor's enthronement and the extreme shock of the five elders. Please subscribe. Advertisement. The next day was cloudy, the wind and clouds were turbulent, and the sky was raining lightly. On an isolated island in the territorial waters of the former Whitebeard pirates. Headed by the main ship Moby Dick and 3 follower ships, pirate ships of various sizes and shapes covered the offshore waters of the island, and the pirate flag of Whitebeard's skull was flying high. The central area of the isolated island has been tidied up extremely cleanly, and one side of the tomb is high, solemn. On the small boat scaled down to the same scale as the Moby Dick, Whitebeard Edward Newgate, a sea hero of the generation, lay quietly, his eyes closed, and the hole in his chest had been mended. The Whitebeard skeleton that was taken from the main ship of the Moby Dick, the head flag is covered on the body. The death time is not short, Whitebeard's body has faintly changed color, and Madara emerges. The old and calm face is still full of majesty. There is no need for hometown to bury bones. Wang Yang sleeps on the couch everywhere. Pirates. Born in the sea, marched in the sea, buried in the sea, this life is enough. The Whitebeard pirates lost 19,724 people in this battle, and 705 of the elite of the group died. The number of the 16th Division, the 15 captains are all there, together with the Sun Pirates, the 44 vassal regiments are still under the command, and none of them has left. I've done what I promised you. Quote. Brother Whitebeard, rest in peace. Lei Luo picked up Whitebeard's favorite wine and a naginata that he had used all his life, and buried him in the boat coffin. Behind him, there were more than 30,000 people in the funeral procession headed by the captain of the 16th Division and the captains of the 44 vassal regiments. To bid farewell to their most beloved and respected father Whitebeard, at the beginning it was just one person, a group of pirates. Slowly, more people came, wearing a white handmade paper flower on the chest. A dense piece of darkness, almost covering half of the island. In the dark wind and rain, there are tragic, quiet, sad sounds. The scene of thousands of people braving the rain was particularly spectacular and arousing sorrow. Buried. Lei Luo waved his hand. The captain of the first team, Whitebeard's eldest son, Marco, burst into tears. Send Dad. The captain of the second division, Whitebeard's love son, Ace, his arms were trembling, and his fingers were stuck in the boat coffin with excessive force. Send it to Dad. 15 captains around the coffin lifted Whitebeard's coffin. The mournful wails of 610 roared like a tsunami, and captains such as Skuyid, the Ice Witch, and Brother D. Carlban knelt down, and all the black thieves behind them knelt down. One kneeling mountain and river ways. Let's see Daddy off for the last time. The 44 captains took out the wine glasses in their arms, some of which were chipped and worn out, and some of which looked relatively new. They were all drinking utensils when they knelt in front of Whitebeard and drank the wine of their adopted son, and kept it as a symbol. 44 wine cups. Catch 44 cups of rainwater, drink it all in one gulp, hold on to the cup. This means that they have nothing to do with the Whitebeard pirates from now on, so far. When Dad is gone, the Whitebeard pirates will also die. 15 captains carried the boat coffin to the burial. Lei Luo personally helped Whitebeard cover the soil, and then erected a thick wooden cross tombstone. He put the emperor's cloak that Whitebeard often wore on the tombstone. The sleeves and hem of the clothes fluttered with the wind. It seems that the tall figure is still standing there. It is only thanks to your life that I am today, thank you. Under the cemetery, Tian Wushwang's knees slowly bent. Father, go all the way. Marco burst into tears and slammed his head on the ground. Thank you for being willing to call me son. Ace followed closely and kowtowed to the ground. I will pass on your will, I only hate that I am not strong enough to help you block that blow. Joe's kowtowed for the third time, hitting the ground with his head, and couldn't get up for a long time. Vista, Brahmanko, Lakyo, Namur, Blenheim, Kuliao, Jingudo, Harda, Atmos, Speedokir, Fosa, Izan, all kowtow. After a long time, Marco stood up, wiped off the muddy water on his face, and his mournful but loud voice resounded throughout the island. Advertisement. Send off daddy. Welcome to the new emperor. The sound of the mountain whistling and the tsunami was blowing across the island like a hurricane. Send off the old man. Welcome the new emperor. Flag down. Marco shouted heart-piercingly. This time the flag is lowered, it will be the last time for the Whitebeard pirates to lower the flag. Once the flag is lowered, the Whitebeard pirates, which once shocked the world in the past, will never exist again. The new emperor ascends the throne, the group name is changed, the ship is changed, the flag is changed. These are the rules of pirates. Moby DK and 3 follower ships will be buried with Whitebeard Edward Newgate AECI. Flag down. The order to lower the flag gradually spread far and wide, to the pirate ship by the sea, and the pirates staying on the ship took action immediately. In the eyes of more than 30,000 people, the lacquered black flag of Whitebeard's skull slowly lowered, which means that the Whitebeard pirates will withdraw from the stage of the Age of Discovery forever. About 15 minutes later, 3 follower ships, 44 pirate ships, and a total of 47 pirate flags were passed on layer by layer, all the way to the cemetery, and handed over to Lei Luo. Lei Luo hands 47 flags to Ace. Ace gritted his teeth tightly, 2 fiery flames shot out from the palms of his left and right hands, and threw the 47 flags that were lit into the air. On the gradually burning flag, their past also disappeared with the wind and fire. Throne please. Marco shouted. A passage was made out of the dense crowd, and the throne that once belonged to Whitebeard Edward Newgate was removed from the Moby DK and sent all the way to the cemetery. By my father's will, from now on, I will be honored by Captain Lei Luo. Let's invite Captain Lei Luo to ascend the throne. Give the adopted son the wine. Lei Luo sat down on the throne, feeling a little emotional in his heart. Unexpectedly, he took over the Whitebeard pirates just like that. Someone brought a jug of wine and 60 wine glasses. Lei Luo filled them up himself, kept 1 glass, and distributed the rest. Under the throne, 15 captains and 44 captains of the vassal regiments knelt together, each holding a glass of wine. Marco, Ace, Jose, Vista, Yizang, Jinbe, Skiyad, meet Captain Lei Luo. Today, I would like to pay homage to Captain Lei Luo and pray for protection. Willing to fight for Captain Lei Luo, to fight mountains and seas of fire, to walk through water and fire, to swear to be loyal for the rest of his life, and never to betray him. If you break your oath, you will be sacrificed to the sea by 3 knives and 6 holes. After taking the oath, the captains of the 44 vassal regiments stepped forward one by one to present the gift of their sons. Skiyad was the first to kneel in front of Lei Luo. Skiyad, the captain of the Great Eddy Spider Pirates, slays the whale with a famous knife. Marco acted as the scribe and took over the ceremony for Lei Luo. The so-called gift is the gift that the pirates who prayed for protection offered to Captain Lei Luo. This is an unwritten rule in the pirate world. Giving the most valuable things in your own pirates means entrusting all your wealth and life to him. For the new boss. The Ice Witch came forward second and knelt down on her knees. She was the only young and beautiful female captain under the original Whitebeard. The captain of the Ice Witch pirates, Whitebeard, presented gold. Exclamation mark quote. Hexia Jinbe followed closely. Jinbe, the captain of the Sun Pirates, presents a jade hand box with 100 pieces of murderous medicine. Lei Luo's expression changed slightly. The evil drug. Is it the secret treasure of the Murlocs in the original work of pirates, the energy sterile in the hand box handed down from generation to generation? This potion Lei Luo is very impressed. Being able to squeeze the potential of the body and increase the strength by 10 times in an instant, of course, must be based on the foundation of being strong enough. People who are not physically strong enough to eat the poison will most likely die immediately. I don't know if my body can withstand the side effects of the evil drug. The next moment, a line of text only visible to Dwang popped up in front of Lei Luo's eyes. Task reminder. If you are a king, you will do whatever it takes to climb to the top. Take and adapt to the evil drug energy steroids, and the dosage will be converted into attribute points. Task reward, attribute points plus. There was a faint glint in Lei Luo's eyes. Jinbei really paid a tribute. If you can use this to increase attribute points, you will have to find a chance to go to the Fishman Island in the future. Brother D. Carlban was the fourth to offer the gift. Captains such as I Langba, Doma, Karlma, Ozzy and others stepped forward to offer the ceremony one by one. It can be seen that these guys have indeed saved a lot of money following Whitebeard these years, quite a lot of family property. Lei Luo only received 3 of the famous swords, except for the whale-killing sword, the other 2 were Xian and Wan. Also received 2 zone devil fruit and 1 paramesha devil fruit. The pirates who have nothing of value use gold as a gift. Adding up all kinds of things, Lei Luo received nearly 100 tons of gold. It was already an hour after the 44 vassal regiments had finished offering their gifts. The most exciting moment has finally come. Marco half-kneeled in front of Lei Luo, holding the jet black pirate flag with the unique smell of new material in his hand. Please Captain Lei Luo ordered to hang the flag. Advertisement. Lei Luo took the flag from Marco and said loudly, hang the flag. A thunderous sound resounded through the heaven and earth, and the spirits of more than 30,000 people present were shocked at the same time. The 2 ghosts knocking on the door, the ghost agent and the ghost-eyed Rudolph stepped forward, took the flag from Lei Luo, and slowly unfolded it. It was a flag with a dark background and a white skull in the middle. Under the skull, Two same white thornless roses crossed to form an X. From now on, this flag is the white paper flower pirate, the logo of the regiment. Banners. Banners. Quote. Quote. The captains of the 44 vassal regiments shouted together, and the voice spread farther and farther, until it reached the seashore. Immediately afterwards, the flags belonging to the white paper flower pirates were hoisted one after another on the masts of the 44 vassal regiments. Each flag is hung high on the top of the pirate ship's mast, fluttering against the sea breeze, magnificent. The flag of the white paper flower pirates is a bit higher than the pirate flag of the vassal group itself, which means that the white paper flower pirates are supreme. In the meantime, sail aboard the naval headquarters Marineford. Not long after the war ended, the Marines, who were defeated and lost, seemed to be shrouded in a gloomy atmosphere. The soldiers on guard were sleepy, and Vice Admiral, such as ghost spiders and flying squirrels, were also listless. Aokiji Kuzan and Kazaru Pelusalino were still standing on the bow of the warship, as if they had turned into two immovable stone statues. Garp the Fist is standing outside the cabin as a guard, no one is allowed to approach. In the cabin, Sengoku, a Buddha with a full head of white hair and no trace of whiteness, contacted the world's highest authority of the five elders through the camera phone bug, among the powers. Sengoku, you must have issued a military order to go out this time. What happened to your hair? Wearing a dark blue suit, with white straight long hair and a long beard, five elders stopped asking questions abruptly and pointed to Sengoku in the video. The other five elders also quickly gathered in front of the image, with unbelievable expressions in their eyes. They all know Sengoku. The devil fruit I ate was in the form of the human fruit phantom beast species of Buddha. Of course I also know that maintaining the form of the golden Buddha will consume vitality. Sengoku's hair is gray all over his head, and he looks older than them, which is exactly the loss of life force in his eyes. I thought it was good news that Sengoku contacted them through the video phone bug, but now it seems. Not necessarily. Sengoku stood at attention in front of the video phone bug and saluted. This time Marine's siege against the Whitebeard pirates ended in failure. Just when I said these words, the faces of the five elders in the video all changed. Is that really the case? Sengoku went on to report. This defeat, the Marine force lost 23,786 people, destroyed Branch Vice Admiral Wooden Golem, Headquarter Chair and Clan Vice Admiral 10 people, Alternate Admiral 1. What? Among the five elders, the bald man with the most murderous look suddenly raised his head, and a cold, bloodthirsty murderous look surged out of his eyes under the round glasses. Even the replacement admiral is broken. What the hell are you, Marine Marshal, Sengoku doing? In Sengoku's return, the bald guy can't listen to a word. Bursts of cold, bloodthirsty murderous aura surged out uncontrollably, scaring the video phone bug in front of him so much that he wanted to shrink back into his shell, but he didn't dare to move. The video screen twisted and trembled. Exclamation mark. Sengoku in the cabin swallowed his saliva, took a deep breath, and continued. One of the backup admirals was seriously injured, and one was captured. Marine Admiral Akainu Sakazuki, captured. It was as if a thunderbolt from the nine heavens had struck in the room of power, and the five elders were stunned as if struck by lightning, speechless for a long time. Who was captured? Akainu Sakazuki. How is this possible? It's so funny in the world. Akainu Sakazuki, the most aggressive admiral among the three marine admirals, possesses extremely destructive lava fruit and has developed it to the natural disaster level. Do things ruthlessly enough to implement absolute justice by unscrupulous means. It was once the best candidate for their five elders to succeed Sengoku as the next Marine Marshal. Now news comes from Sengoku that Akainu Sakazuki, their favorite candidate for the next Marine, has been captured. Captured? What kind of international joke are you making? Advertisement. Chapter 86. The five elders are furious, shocking the world. Please subscribe. Advertisement. After a long time, the bald man's chilling voice finally came from the side of power. Report in detail. Yes. Sengoku stood at attention instinctively. According to the information that the white paper flower Lei Luo was destroyed and hid in the lair to recover from his injuries, I sent Sakazuki to surprise the lair of the White Paper Flower Trade Association. To prevent accidents, I sent Momosugi and the T-Dolphin to go together. Raid for Sakazuki. However, Lei Luo, the white paper flower, used some method to restore his foundation in just a few days, and his strength has improved by leaps and bounds. Therefore, Sakazuki was defeated by Lei Luo, and Momosugi and T-Dolphin were also defeated one after another. This directly led to Momo's serious injury, and the capture of Sakazuki and Chapo. The bald man said coldly, a Lei Luo who has recovered his roots can defeat one of your admirals and two alternate admirals. Do you think he is Whitebeard? This boy Sengoku is getting more and more outrageous, a natural disaster level Admiral Akainu, a Grandmaster swordsmanship Momosugi with a black sword, plus a tealfish that can bring the market to a standstill. No matter where this lineup goes, it should win overwhelmingly, even if the three play against Whitebeard, there is a great hope of winning. Lei Luo is favored by Whitebeard, but it doesn't mean he is Whitebeard. It is not ruled out that members of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce participated in the battle. The only rescued Momosugi Gion is still in a severe coma and cannot know more details of the battle. Marshal Sengoku swallowed and said, even if Lei Luo defeats Akainu, Momosugi, and T-Dolphin, he can't change his brother by himself. You brought 100,000 troops to battle, as well as 1,000 pacifist trial machines from Vegapunk, and the full lineup of 7 warlords of the sea. With 1,000 pacifist trial aircraft capable of inflicting large-scale and precise strikes on pirates, plus 100,000 troops and 7 warlords of the sea, the 7 top combat forces, Buddha Sengoku is another generation of the resourceful general, very good at strategy. This battle should not be defeated no matter what, and it cannot be defeated. Gu. Sengoku swallowed his saliva unconsciously, and said in an obviously unassuming tone, Lei Luo has indeed changed the situation of the battle by himself. I use the 9'9" Buddha golden body and Garp, and the two of them will work together, couldn't beat it. What? 5 elders in a dark blue suit stood up abruptly. You and Garp can't beat this Lei Luo together. Yes. Sengoku's old face was hot and his head was drooping, and the 5 elders could see his white hair more clearly. 5 elders in a crimson suit asked, and then? You two entangled Lei Luo, how could you still lose? 100,000 troops plus 1,000 PX pacifist trial aircraft, an absolute superiority in troops, how could it be possible? Lost to a mere 50,000 pirates. The former 7 warlords of the Sea Hexia Jinbe led his son pirates to place a large amount of explosives on each of our warships, directly causing the damage of as many as 57 warships in this battle. So you compromised with the pirate. The bald man frowned and stared, his murderous aura gushing out. Sengoku trembled across the screen. We didn't compromise with the pirates because of this, but Hexia Jinbe's actions delayed the pirates a lot of time, causing the red-haired Shanks to join the battlefield directly. Red hair. Before the words were finished, the 5 elders in between powers all stood up from the sofa slowly. Redhead Shanks, the restless guy again. Why is he everywhere? Damn it. Our side was jointly suppressed by the red-haired Shanks and the white paper flower Lei Luo, and finally I ordered the withdrawal. After speaking in one breath, Sengoku let out a long breath, and his heart lightened, as if the big stone that was pressing on his heart was finally removed. As the main person responsible for Marine's defeat this time, what fate awaits him, he can probably guess. You didn't gain anything from this expedition. Didn't you kill a valuable pirate leader? 5 elders in a jet black suit slapped the table angrily. Sengoku. Whitebeard Edward Newgate died on the spot. The 5 elders frowned, and there was finally some good news. Advertisement. Whitebeard Edward Newgate is a man who was second only to Roger the Pirate King. His strength is tyrannical. When he was young, no one in the whole sea could match him. When he was old, he gathered a large number of powerful pirates for his use. There are even rumors on the Grand Line that this era is called Whitebeard. What a bold and presumptuous statement. Good thing Whitebeard is dead. Once Whitebeard dies, all the pirates under his command will disperse, one of the New World 4 Emperor's pirates will disappear completely, and the rest of the pirates will lose the backbone of Whitebeard, the weather will be impossible. From this point of view, Sengoku's expedition is not without any gains. Instead, he has made great progress in the great cause of ending the era of great voyages, and made a penultimate contribution. However, Sengoku's next words made the 5 elders completely freeze. However, before his death, Whitebeard had already announced that he would pass the throne to the vice-captain by Zihua Lei Luo. Judging from the attitude of the pirates on the battlefield towards Lei Luo at that time, these guys believed in him very much. It's only a matter of time before the sea becomes emperor. The room of power fell into complete silence. After a long time, 5 elders in the blue suit said in a deep voice, "We know." You step back. Yes, just. Sengoku instinctively agreed, hesitant to speak. What fart did you leave? Finish it all at once. The bald man said angrily, and it was obvious that he was already extremely dissatisfied with Sengoku, the marine marshal. Sengoku took a deep breath, and said tremblingly, the white paper flower Lei Luo captured Akainu and the T-Dolphin, and asked us to exchange hundreds of tons of gold. Roll. Yes. The phone bug hangs up. The 5 elders in the room of power stood there in a daze, with solemn faces, and did not hide their fear of Lei Luo at all. The strength displayed by Lei Luo and his fast climbing momentum have already given the 5 elders a faint sense of threat. Kaido, the strongest creature in the world, and the evil blood of Roger, the Pirate King, do not have the word, Lei Luo, which makes them feel even more afraid and valued. It's Lei Luo again. The bald man's chest heaved up and down, and an extremely cold, bloodthirsty, and wild aura swept across the room of power. The 4 old stars subconsciously avoided it, obviously because they were very fond of this cold and bloodthirsty aura. Fear. Jingle bell bell. It wasn't until the saber suspected to be first-generation Goosh trembled and made a series of small sounds that the bald man finally regained some sanity, and his aura slowly collapsed. If Dracula Mahawk, the most powerful swordsman in the world, sees this scene, he will be shocked from ear to ear, because, the world's most vicious demon sword, first-generation Guido, is afraid of the bald pig, the aura of terror. The bald man held the saber in his hand, comforted him for a while, and at the same time said in a cold voice, this Lei Luo, since he challenged Aokiji, has been strong all the way, and he has blown up Doflamingo's field before. How long has it been? I'm about to take the seat of the 4 emperors. Redhead Shanks help him. Whitebeard passes him the throne before he dies. How dare you detain Marine Admiral and extort ransom from the world government? What a shame. HMPH. If I had known that he was such a big scourge, I should have let the old man personally go out and kill him. Wearing a black suit, white curly hair, a pengsong white beard, a flat hat, and a scar on the left cheek, 5 elders said coldly, nonsense, you. Don't forget the rules. Can't get out of Mariajoy. The bald man took a deep breath and calmed down. The most urgent task now is how to save the face of Marine and the world government. Otherwise, the influence of public opinion alone will make the world government lose the hearts of the people. HMPH. Everything started because of Sengoku, an idiot. When he applied for the PX pacifist and set out for the war, he also issued a military order. Just push him out. The position of Marshal Marine, he doesn't have to sit down. 5 elders in a dark red suit shook his head and said, this is the worst move. Sengoku has to step down, but before that, what we should do is to spread the fruits of our victory to the world. Victory. Advertisement. Whitebeard's death was worth taking advantage of. That's right. 5 elders in the jet black suit immediately agreed. Tell the people in the news agency that Marine siege against the Whitebeard pirates has won a complete victory, and the Whitebeard pirates have been successfully wiped out at the expense of more than 20,000 soldiers. Guy has won a big victory. Whitebeard Edward Newgate died on the spot. The Whitebeard pirates no longer exist. 0. Asking for flowers. The other 4 nodded in agreement. This kind of publicity of the results of the battle can be regarded as saving the face of the world Jungfu. Let's do it like this. As for that Lei Luo. 5 elders in a deep black suit took a deep breath, his brain hurting. This Lei Luo's charge is really terrible. In less than 2 months, he picked Marine Admiral first, took de Reese Rosa, and even Kaido's Jack the Dro was defeated by him. Now it has grown to such an extent that even Garp and Sengoku can't hold back together. Wearing a dark green suit, the balding old man with a mustache and a birthmark on his forehead spoke with a little fear. Wearing a dark red suit, no bow tie, blonde hair, a gold beard, and a scar on his chest, 5 elders shook his head for a while. The most terrifying thing is that he is about to inherit the power of Whitebeard. It is not impossible for a force hidden in the dark to suddenly become the capital of the 4 emperors. We must find a way to suppress him. Otherwise, with his momentum, it won't be long before another Whitebeard appears on the sea. The consequences will be disastrous. Wearing a dark blue suit, White's long straight hair and beard, the very long 5 elders has a particularly deep voice. At this point in the discussion, there was a brief silence among the powers, and finally, the 5 elders in black said after making up his mind, this Lei Luo must be suppressed. However, it is not necessary for us to do it ourselves. The bald man's eyes narrowed. Let's be honest, what bothers Lousy the most is your twists and turns. 0. The position of 4 emperors is not easy to secure. No matter how powerful Lei Luo is, he is only one person. Even if he can gather Whitebeard's old department, it is just a mob, nothing to be afraid of. If he ascends to the position of 4 emperors, there must be someone to challenge him, so we might as well help him. One Piece King Roger's evil blood, that Fire Fist ace is not the FA who has a lot of lives with him. 5 elders, who was wearing a dark blue suit, suddenly understood. You mean that the release of Roger's evil blood is the news of Fire Fist Ace? 5 elders in black nodded. That's right. Fire Fist Ace, as Roger's son, has a natural orthodoxy. Roger's former crew members will sell him some face. Pluten Rayleigh, red-haired Shanks and others are now very famous figures in the new world. And countless people want to get the wealth left by Roger. Those ambitious pirate groups who get him, to a certain extent, are equivalent to directly gaining the power to shake the whole world. Wearing a dark green suit, 5 elders echoed. As long as the white paper flower Lei Luo is not stupid, he will definitely hold this blood in his own hands, and in this way, he will have to face the endless pressure from the pirates. Challenge and war. That's right. The eyes of 5 elders in black flashed a scheming and scheming prey. He continued. Of course, this is a last resort. 17. It's better to keep this secret in our hands. If we want to deal with Lei Luo, there is another trick. 11. Before he finished speaking, the 4 eyes all cast their gazes over in unison. The corners of 5 elders' mouths curled up in a cold, witty arc. Increase Lei Luo's bounty. As the saying goes, the shadow of a man's famous tree. Challenge the 4 emperors, which is a must-do for the pirates who flood into New World every year. We only need to amplify Lei Luo's fame infinitely, and he will have countless troubles. He can guard against it for a while, but he can't guard against it for a lifetime. Moreover, the new pirate stars gathered in Sabayati this year all have extremely high potential. Counting the Trafalgar Law, who was promoted to the new 7 warlords of the sea, is enough for 10 new pirates who have a bounty of over 100 million. Quote. Instead of challenging the 4 emperors who have been famous for a long time, it is better to challenge the 4 emperors who have just risen and have an unstable foundation. This way, Lei Luo will be busy. Wearing a dark red suit, 5 elders with blonde hair and a golden beard nodded approvingly. Then, what is the appropriate bounty for Lei Luo? It must be able to attract pirates to challenge him without deterring them. Quote. In that case, we'll help him make a name for himself in disguise. 5 elders in blue echoed. Perhaps we can give him a more famous name, the one that makes people want to challenge after hearing it. 5 elders in black pondered for a moment. Didn't he defeat Akainu? Armed Calamity Lei Luo. Bounty, 3 billion Baileys. 11. Advertisement. Chapter 87. Shocking the world. A marriage invitation from Auntie, please subscribe. Advertisement. Through the CPO, the world's highest intelligence organization, the decision of 5 elders among the powers was quickly conveyed to the ears of Morgans, the president of the news agency, the bird fruit capable person, and the albatross form. Marine lost more than 20,000 troops and completely wiped out the Whitebeard pirates. Whitebeard Edward Newgate died on the spot. The Whitebeard pirates no longer exist. Morgans' heart was churning. Damn it, this is not the same as the information he gathered. The photo next to Morgan's is the scene of Lei Luo smashing the golden body of Sengoku Buddha with one punch. Shameless people. Obviously it was the white paper flower Lei Luo who resisted the combined attack of Sengoku and Garp, the two marine legendaries, and finally forced Marine to admit defeat. And, with the help of the red-haired Shanks, a four-person meeting with Marine, it seems that some kind of secret deal has been reached. This group of guys who wantonly tamper with the news and don't respect the facts don't understand the news at all. Changing the truth according to his own will is an insult to him as a journalist. At the same time announced the new reward order for the white paper flower Lei Luo. Armed natural disaster Lei Luo. A reward of 3 billion Baileys. Morgan's eyes lit up and put down the phone bug. This is fun. Picking up the pen and paper, he froze for a few seconds. His excellent professional book made his brain work quickly, and he quickly wrote according to the limited information that could be exposed. The 3 newspaper manuscripts were formed at an extremely fast speed. And the penultimate milestone of the great pirate world, Marine defeated the Whitebeard pirates with a big victory. White paper flowers wither, armed natural disaster Lei Luo's strong rise. Whitebeard fell, and a corner of the new world 4 emperors collapsed. Headlines one after another quickly took shape in the mind of Albatross Morgans, and pasted the photos brought back by the news bird, Sengoku who turned into a 9'9" golden Buddha, Lei Luo who fought against 2 marine legendaries alive, and Whitebeard died the scene where whose majestic body is still standing upright without, 883, falling down. Throwing the editorial manuscript to the subordinates for typesetting, 3 press releases occupy the entire A side of the entire newspaper. In this way, the final results of Marine's 100,000-strong expedition to the Whitebeard pirates passed through the newspapers and soon spread to the whole world, causing an uproar in less than a day, and all major forces were in an uproar. New World, in the ocean of nations ruled by Bigmom. In the castle of Cake Island, in the corner of the 4 emperors, Bigmom Charlotte Linlin sat on the throne, and below, all the ministers and desert generals from all the islands gathered. Because, the war that was enough to shake the world has finally come to an end. Whitebeard is dead. Charlotte Linlin was grinning, holding the freshly baked caramel puff tart in her hand. Hearing the report from the Queen's deputy Katakuri, she had an expression of enjoyment on her face, and her eyes were narrowed into slits. Not sure if enjoying the dessert or enjoying the news. Well, Charlotte Linlin is happy and continues to enjoy the refreshments. Whitebeard is dead, and his gang of mobs are bound to be scattered, and there is no threat at all. This time, it can be said that Marine has won a big victory. However, after defeating a corner of the 4 emperors, Marine will definitely gather more troops to rush into New World, and we have to prepare the layout in advance. Mom, it's not just like this. The news published this time is very strange. Katakuri summoned up the courage to interrupt Charlotte Linlin's excitement, and took out the latest issue of the newspaper and showed it to her. Charlotte took a look at Linlin, the newspapers of the news agency. While eating and drinking, she glanced sideways at the doctor. All of a sudden, the movements of his hands and mouth stopped. The newspaper not only has rows of detailed words, but also 3 eye-catching red headlines. What is more conspicuous than the headlines are 3 black and white photos with pictures. On them are Lei Luo facing Sengoku who is incarnated as a 9'9" golden Buddha, and a scene where Garp is armed with a black body. You can see the surrounding marines and pirates being overturned on the ground. Lei Luo, Sengoku, and Garp seem to have become the center of the battlefield. Even through the photos, you can feel the fearless and powerful aura of Lei Luo. And the title of this photo is astonishingly, "The White Paper Flowers Are Withering, the Armed Natural Disaster Lei Luo's Strong Rise." Lei Luo resisted the attack of Garp and Sengoku by himself. Even Charlotte Linlin was involuntarily taken aback and stood up abruptly. Even if she faces Sengoku and Garp at the same time, she must use the power of the 3 main bodies of Zeus, Prometheus and Napoleon with the bicorn at the same time. Lei Luo only specializes in Armament Haki, how can he be so strong? His Armament Haki has only been practiced for a few years. Even if he started practicing from the mother's womb, it is only more than 20 years old, which is far behind that old fellow Garp. How is it possible to resist Sengoku and Garp's offensive at the same time? There are problems with this news, very problematic. Just at this time, a brand new reward notice slipped out of the newspaper in Katakuri's hand, and the portrait on the reward notice was Lei Luo who punched through the Buddha's impact. Seeing the 2 lines of text below the portrait, Katakuri and Charlotte Linlin stared at the same time. No matter life or death, bounty is offered, armed with natural disasters and rich roads. Bounty on Bailey. Advertisement. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion. Hiss. The sound of sucking in cold air sounded instantly. Katakuri's bounty is only 1,057,000,000 Bailey. And the Phoenix Marco of the original Whitebeard pirates is only 1.374 billion Baileys. In New World, Ben Beckman, who is said to have the power of the Emperor, is 2.2 billion. Armed natural disaster Lei Luo, with a bounty of 3 billion, that's an imperial bounty. Whitebeard's death and Lei Luo's new bounty announced at the same time. The implication couldn't be more obvious. The people at the news agency are suggesting that Lei Luo will succeed Whitebeard as the 4 emperors, Mom. Katakuri said. Yes, Charlotte Linlin's mouth curled into a cruel grin. The position of 4 emperors is not so easy to secure. People are afraid of being famous, and Marine wants to use this kind of hint to deal with Lei Luo with the help of pirates. It's a good plan. Then how do I deal with it? Cracker, one of the 3 generals, interjected. Garrett, who is most likely to marry Lei Luo, is his younger sister. If Lei Luo is about to encounter endless troubles, will his value to the BIGMOM pirates be greatly reduced? Doesn't his sister Garrett need to get married? Mom, stupid Cracker, as long as there is a chance, we will help Lei Luo secure the position of the 4 emperors. This is the son-in-law of the 4 emperors level. Our family needs such a family member. Whitebeard is dead, and there will be no resistance to the marriage. As long as Lei Luo is smart enough, he should know that if he wants to secure the throne, he can only rely on the strength of our BIGMOM pirates. How about the tea party invitation to the Whitebeard pirates last time? Hearing his mother's sudden question, Cracker swallowed unconsciously, so far no response. After the voice fell, the entire afternoon tea hall fell into dead silence. Well, Charlotte and Linlin laughed strangely. Very good. Now that Whitebeard is gone, let's do it according to the old rules. Choose one of his knockers, tear it apart, and send it to him. Yes. Meanwhile, on the far side of the New World, there is a pirate ship sailing on the sea, and the flag with 3 scars on the skull on the mast is flying high. The bow was shaped like a red dragon's head, and it was the Redforth of the red-haired Shanks. On the deck, a group of people gathered together to read the latest issue of the newspaper sent by Newsbird, with surprise on their faces. What's wrong with the news agency? How could they publish such inconsistent news? Whitebeard is dead, the Whitebeard pirates no longer exists, even if Lei Luo succeeds, he will change the flag and the name of the group. Hey, this loophole is well exploited. Yi Sabu said disdainfully. Everyone started talking, only the red-haired Shanks and Ben Beckman frowned, looking at the wanted reward warrant in their hands. 3 billion is higher than my bounty. Marine is planning to take advantage of it. A newly promoted 4 emperors with a bounty of 3 billion, who was once the vice-captain of the Whitebeard pirates, will definitely become the focus of all forces vying to challenge. Boy Lei Luo, I'm busy. There was a slight arc on the corner of Shanks' mouth. It's expected. Contradictory and cryptic reporting is the style of those old guys. Let Lei Luo's reputation swell, and he will fall quickly amid endless challenges. Ben Beckman took a deep breath. Although Marine didn't report on our support for Lei Luo's platform, sooner or later this matter will spread. By then, those who want to challenge Lei Luo may be afraid. Shanks chuckled and said, so, let's keep a low profile during this time. How high can Lei Luo jump? Hey, it's worth looking forward to. Ha ha ha. Wanokuni, which is protected by natural moats, has set up heavy artillery on all the passes. A ghost island in the inner sea, built in a castle inside a huge skull. Jin, the leader of the 3 disasters, has never dared to do anything since Kaido took one tail last time. Standing at the door of Kaido's bedroom, Governor Kaido. The latest issue of the newspaper may be of interest to you. Whitebeard died on the spot during the battle to exterminate the Whitebeard pirates. What? Kaido's thunderous and dull voice came from the dormitory, with some surprise and shock. Whitebeard is dead. Come in and talk. Yes. Jin came to the dormitory, presented the newspaper, and stood obediently aside. Laugh. Kaido spread out the newspaper, and a disdainful sneer sounded instantly. Armed natural disaster Lei Luo. Hey, can you give Lousy a death? Ha 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 ha. The guys from the world Jungfu first trumpeted the extermination of the Whitebeard pirates, and then called this Lei Luo a natural disaster. Contradictions, taking advantage of this loophole, and treating everyone in the world as fools like them. Advertisement. Although this newspaper did not mention any information that Lei Luo will inherit the Whitebeard pirates, but with regard to the inconsistent reports on this piece of paper, anyone who is not a pig brain, can deduce the key information contained in it. The old Captain Whitebeard died, and the vice-captain Lei Luo took over as a matter of course. If Lei Luo succeeds to the throne, his age will probably break the record of the youngest 4 emperors. However, the throne of the 4 emperors is not so easy to secure. With a bounty of 3 billion, you can imagine how many people will miss this head. Kaido threw down the newspaper indifferently. Marine will not send more troops to New World for a long time. We have enough time to build fortifications. The firepower construction on the entry pass is still in your charge, Jin. Yes. Jin agreed, and then said, Jack has already got news, and there is no return trip, so he went directly to Skokie. The guarded Winter Island Arms Factory said that it wants to become like Quinn, and then go find the lost place. Kaido nodded. Plague Quinn's power is not only devil fruit and plague bombs, what's even more terrifying is his human transformation technology. This crazy guy didn't even spare his own body, and carried out an extremely precise transformation. Let him go. This idiot still knows how to get the place back, not too stupid. Don't talk about this idiot, what about Quinn? Kaido changed the subject and asked about Quinn. After all, in De Reese Rosa, there is the smile man-made that he misses the most. Devil Fruit Factory. Governor Kaido. News came from Quinn that De Reese Rosa has been captured, the man-made Devil Fruit Factory has been destroyed, and about 800 smile man-made devil fruits have been harvested. Currently there is no return flight, and it is said that we are going to sweep Lei Luo's other venues. Kaido's face suddenly sank. That is to say, he couldn't find out how to make smile. Yes, useless stuff. Kaido slammed his fist on the stone chair below him, the hard stone armrest shattered instantly, and a powerful momentum full of anger also surged and spread. Flame Calamity Ember on the side trembled unconsciously. His pterosaur is instinctively afraid of Governor Kaido, the divine dragon. After a long time, after losing his temper, Kaido's aura gradually calmed down, tell this idiot Quinn that Lei Luo is no longer something he can deal with. If he is smart, he should take him with him immediately. Faux devil fruit returns. Quote, now that guy is called an armed natural disaster by Marine. Even if his strength is not as high as 4 emperors, it's not far behind. Once he lost the goods of the governor, Lousy himself ate him. Yes, this subordinate will do it right away. Not only the important figures such as 4 emperors and Shichibukai received this latest issue of the newspaper, but also the New World, the supernovas of the 4 seas, the second-rate and third-rate pirates also saw. Got this newspaper. In the deep sea, in a submarine. Trafalgar Law came down from the operating table. Fortunately, he made two-handed preparations and asked his subordinates to drive submarines to lurk in that sea area, otherwise they would be beaten into the sea by Lei 5.6 Law. That blow would directly kill him. Captain, you or Shu Ying should read this. The white bear Peebo, who knows Kung Fu, handed over a newspaper. What's wrong? Trafalgar Law ended up in the newspaper, just glanced at it, and my eyes froze immediately. How come? Lei Luo withstood the impact of Sengoku's 9'9" golden Buddha with 1 enemy and 2, and Marine Vice Admiral Garp. Hiss. Trafalgar Law was suddenly afraid. On the previous battlefield, what kind of monster was I fighting with? Baishong Peebo said in a naive voice. Captain, Whitebeard died at your hands. The brothers all said that we should take this opportunity to completely build up the reputation of the Heart Pirates, even. 2. Challenge that Lei Luo. Captain, what's wrong with you, Captain? Peebo was halfway through speaking, only to notice that Trafalgar Law's face turned pale. After a long time, Luo came back to his senses, grabbed Peebo by the collar, and shouted with a twisted expression, remember, I didn't kill Whitebeard. It was Kizaru who killed him. Yes, I'm sorry, Captain. Peebo was overwhelmed by the powerful aura constantly pouring out of Luo's body. Luo seemed relieved, and continued, keep a low profile during this time, restrain everyone, and never get involved in any incidents related to Lei Luo. Yes, at the same time, in New World, in the edge of the territorial waters of the White Paper Flower Pirates, the light two-masted sailing ship Golden Mary is rapidly approaching. Luffy sat anxiously on the bow of the sheep's head. Can't you hurry up, Nami? I'm worried about Ace. Calm down, Luffy. No matter how anxious you are, it won't help. With the current wind speed in this sea, this speed is already the limit. Nami said angrily. Before he finished speaking, Robin, who was flipping through the latest issue of the newspaper, froze his eyes suddenly. Luffy, you or Shu Ying should read this. Advertisement. Chapter 88. Straw Hat Shock and Lei Luo's first full ship meeting. Please subscribe. Advertisement. What? Luffy, who was concerned about Ace, obviously couldn't listen to anything, but still swung his rubber arm and took the newspaper from Robin's hand. This. Luffy was taken aback for a moment, and then an idiot smile appeared on his face. So that's it, the fight is over. Seeing that Ace is fine, I feel relieved. The long-nosed Usopp leaned over curiously, and stared out fiercely, isn't it? A corner of the New World 4 emperors just collapsed. The Whitebeard pirates no longer exist. Hey, Luffy Ace is the captain of Whitebeard's second team. The Whitebeard pirates are gone, how can you still laugh? As soon as the words came out, Sanji, Zoro, Nami and others all surrounded him. They had all seen Ace and had a very good impression of Luffy, a very polite elder brother. The Whitebeard pirates are destroyed. Nami's eyes flashed with surprise and fear. So how can the idiot Luffy still laugh? Luffy laughed out loud, and the corners of Sanji and Zoro's mouths curled up, obviously getting the same information as Luffy from this inconsistent newspaper. Sanji, the think tank of the Straw Hats who considers himself the Prince of Mist, took a puff of cigarette cheekily. It is common sense for the captains of the pirates to change the flag, and to change the name of the pirates. Whitebeard is dead, and of course the Whitebeard pirates will disappear. Sanji pointed to the board that reported Lei Luo. Don't Ms. Nami think it's strange to announce the demise of the Whitebeard pirates, but to praise the former Whitebeard pirates vice captain so much? Nami suddenly realized that the Whitebeard pirates were gone, but the vice captain was still there, and the vice captain was still there. The Whitebeard pirates were dead in name only, and there was no news about the captain of the second team, Ace the Fire Fist, which means that Ace is currently safe. She looked at Luffy in surprise. This guy looks like an idiot, but his brain is not stupid at all when it matters. Since we're here, don't you want to visit your elder brother? Nami asked. Luffy smirked. I won't go. I am a pirate, and Ace is also a pirate. Pirates should meet again like pirates. Knowing that he is fine, I am relieved. That's it, we're going to continue our adventure. Nami, let's go to the next island. Nami raised his forehead immediately. Sure enough, there is an idiot captain who wants to get out of the way. Suddenly, a brand new wanted reward notice fell out of the newspaper, and Luffy quickly picked it up and looked at it. Is this the new captain of Ace? Lei Luo, it looks so powerful. Nonsense, this is the first time he has been offered a bounty, and the bounty has exceeded 1 billion. Zoro glanced at Luffy like an idiot. You know, the person with the highest bounty they have come into contact with is Ace, a big pirate with 550 million Baileys. Luffy, the pirate captain whose bounty exceeded 100 million Baileys, was only offered a reward of 30 million Baileys for the first time. 3 billion. Luffy stammered and showed the reward order in front of everyone with a trembling voice. Everyone was stunned for a moment. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion. Hiss. The sound of sucking in cold air sounded instantly. A bounty of 3 billion Baileys in 2004. Nico Robin took a deep breath. What a scary guy. The bounty is higher than the 10 supernovas in Sabayati put together. Before the sand crocodile guy became 7 warlords of the sea, the bounty was only 80 million Baileys. 3 billion. Did this Lei Luo make the world government pay so much attention to it? Luffy clenched his fist heavily. I have decided, I will become stronger, and then I will challenge this Lei Luo. This is the man who resisted his grandfather's iron fist, writing is extremely strong. Zoro is also eager to try. Although this guy probably doesn't know swordsmanship, I really want to challenge him. Are you armed with natural disasters? Usopp trembled all over. At that time, please don't take me with you, I have an incurable disease that can't watch you challenge others. No one noticed that Nami's pupils were trembling slightly at this time, and his eyes were locked on the column of the newspaper that reported on Lei Luo's influence and influence analysis. Armed natural disaster Lei Luo's strong rise is inseparable from his white paper flower merchant guild. It is reported that Lei Luo's white paper flower merchant guild has been managed by a woman named Charming Fox Karina all along. Karina, the name Nami is very familiar with, her stealing skills were taught by the purple-haired woman named Karina, in exchange she imparted navigation and some sophisticated climate knowledge to the other party. A particularly uncomfortable feeling suddenly surged in my heart. Could this Karina be that phantom thief and vixen Karina? She actually works under the hands of such a terrifying guy as the armed natural disaster Lei Luo. Nami's breathing couldn't help but be a bit short of breath. The woman who took all the treasures she accumulated back then has climbed to such a height. Nami's eyes fell on Luffy. Tisk, I have to shop around. On the other side, the Sabayati archipelago where 8 pirate supernovas gather. Captain Kidd threw the newspaper in his hand heavily. Who is lying to such inconsistent reports? There is no credibility at all. However, this kind of guy is actually worth 3 billion Baileys. Kidd picked up the reward order on the table, and said loudly and exaggeratedly. He has the highest bounty among many supernovas, and he is full of arrogance. The vice captain, Scythe Samurai Kira, handed over 2 other reward orders. Ghost Agent offers a reward of 320 million Baileys, and Ghost Eye Rudolph offers a bounty of 440 million Baileys. Both are Lei Luo's deputy, the rewards of these 2 people have also increased. Interestingly, the bounty offered by the Ghost Eye directly overwhelmed that of the Ghost Man. Ha 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 ha. Kidd laughed more and more exaggeratedly. The level of the deputy is the level of the captain. This is common sense in the pirate circle. Just like you and me, the bounty is over 100 million at the same time. The rewards of Lei Luo's 2 lieutenants are so far behind him, the strength is too much. Let's go to New World for the first battle, let this guy be the prey. Call the brothers, before the Marines recover, it's time to set sail and go to New World. Yes, the same scene is constantly being staged by the flame tank pirates of the gangster Penka, and the broken monk pirates of the strange monk Uroge. Countless pirates are pouring into New World. And on that unnamed isolated island in New World, Lei Luo is having a meeting with 15 captains and 44 captains of the vassals on the future development direction of the White Paper Flower Pirates. Lei Luo boldly and grandiosely took the highest seat. Marco sat first on the left, Murloc Jinbe sat first on the right, and the rest Diamond Josie and Foil Vista sat in this order. As for the 2 ghosts who knocked the door, because the people from the Lei Luo Chamber of Commerce stood directly behind him, the strength of the 2 was a little embarrassing, and they could only be regarded as the top vice admiral alone. However, the cooperation between the 2 was able to directly confront a marine admiral because of the extreme restraint of the fruit ability. Now, the temporarily built meeting place had a solemn atmosphere. After all, it was Lei Luo's first day on the throne, and no captain or captain would want to lose their dignity in front of the new 4 emperors. After all, the new official took office 3 times. Lei Luo was known for cleaning up rebellion in the past. He was originally a law enforcement role. Everyone was not familiar with it, but feared it. Now this person is bold and grandiose sitting on the main seat, with an extremely imposing manner, completely different from the relaxed appearance of Whitebeard's old man back then. At this moment, taking advantage of the time when the 15 captains and the 44 captains of the vassal regiments were expressing their opinions, Lei Luo called out the system interface without a trace. Name: Lei Luo. Age: 24 years old. Strength: Admiral Medium. Advertisement: Armament Haki level. Absolute defense 654 1000s. When the progress bar reaches 1000, you can upgrade to Admiral Peak. You have completed most of the progress. Continue to the peak. Attribute point balance 0. Armed skill: Hot Fist. Gain buff: None. Mission 1. If you want to be the king, defeat Garp the Fist, who is recognized as the strongest armament Haki owner in the world. Mission reward: Armament skill Mountain Piercing Iron Fist. This mission is a long-term mission. Task 2. Carrying it with you and adapting to the magnetic field of radioactive substances and pure gold will bring continuous improvement to the host, with daily attribute points +1. This task is a daily task. Mission 3. If you are a king, you will do whatever it takes to climb to the top. Take and adapt to the evil drug energy steroids, will be converted into attribute points according to the dose taken. Task reward attribute points plus. Strength: it's still too slow. The 80 attribute points given by Sengoku and Garp's escape missions were all used up to 654 points, and there is still a long way to go before the full progress bar of 1000. I thought that my strength had already reached the top of the world, and I could deal with any situation safely. But in fact, just the two old guys Sengoku and Garp teaming up has already made him tired of coping, and it is very unbearable. Fortunately, he chose to play life swapping with Sengoku. With a young and strong body, he forcibly exchanged blood with the old and frail Sengoku, and at the same time disrupted the reliable position to support it. But now, there are not a few guys on this sea who are stronger than Sengoku and Garp. Aunt Charlotte, who can create countless homies soldiers by throwing out a piece of soul, is so strong that she can stand at an altitude of 10,000 meters. Kaido, who can't die even if he jumps down. Jumping from the dark side to the bright side can certainly gain more, but there are obviously more problems to face. If he doesn't step up to improve his strength, he might not be able to sit firmly on the throne. If you climb up the altar in the eyes of the world and then fall down, you will end up in pieces. Looking across the task interface, Lei Luo did not hesitate to take out the evil drug energy steroids presented by Jinbe. Currently, the only thing that can help him improve his strength quickly is this thing. Looking at the long red and black pill in his hand, Lei Luo took a deep breath. For those who are strong enough, this thing can squeeze the potential, but for those who are not strong enough, it is a deadly poison. With my current physical strength, I should be able to bear the negative effects of this thing. Goo. After swallowing a poisonous medicine, Lei Luo pondered for a long time. Didn't feel it. It can't be said that I don't feel it. It feels like drinking a mouthful of plain water. It is unusually flat. I can feel a wave of energy spreading rapidly in the body and being absorbed at an extremely fast speed. It is conceivable that the energy in my body is boiling and rushing. The feeling didn't appear at all. Is this really the evil energy steroid in the original pirates that made Hody Jones, a third-rate guy, quickly rival seaman Jinbe in strength? Goo. Swallowed another pill. This time the energy was absorbed faster, and the system interface in front of him also flickered for a while. The 0 in the attribute point balance column suddenly displayed as 1. Lei Luo instantly understood what. Swallowed 2 more. With the feeling of a burst of energy being quickly absorbed by the body, the balance of attribute points in the system interface is displayed as 2. Could it be that the energy contained in the evil medicine has been directly converted into attribute points? From the perspective of the body's absorption rate of energy, the side effects of the murderous drug are completely unable to cause negative effects on the body. Having figured out these 2 points, Lei Luo took out 10 pills and swallowed them in one gulp without hesitation. His body felt faintly hot, and the balance of attribute points directly changed from 2 to 7. After 3 attempts back and forth, Lei Luo completely dispelled his worries, and stuffed all the remaining 80 or so pills into his mouth. FK. This time the medicine is a bit strong. With the rolling of the throat, all the poison fell into the stomach, and the tyrannical energy swept through the body, rampaging, as if there was a fire burning in the stomach. However, this temperature is far worse than Akainu's lava. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, the time passed by 1 minute and 1 second, and after 10 minutes, the burning heat in the stomach gradually dissipated. Lei Luo also heaved a sigh of relief, and his eyes fell on the attribute point balance column of the system interface. The number displayed on it was 51. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for completing the task, taking and adapting to the evil drug energy steroids, and getting task rewards, attribute points plus 5 1 close black lens bracket. 51 attribute points. This is much more than a fight with Admiral. Basically, if it is converted, 2 energy steroids can produce 1 attribute point. When he came back to his senses, Lei Luo raised his head and found that 15 captains and 44 captains of vassal regiments were staring at him in a dumbfounded manner, especially High Sha Jinbe, who. The whale shark's mouth is wide open, as if it can stuff a lively rabbit. Isn't it for you to express your opinions on the future development of the pirates? What are you all looking at me for? Lei Luo's expression froze. Almost everyone lowered their heads, not daring to meet Lei Luo's sharp gaze. Goo. Hexia Jinbe swallowed unconsciously, and said in a visibly trembling voice, Captain of the ship. You took the poison. From the very beginning, Jinbe's mind was in a state of confusion. Halfway through the discussion with the captains, when I looked up, what the hell? Captain Lei Luo took the poison. Although this thing can squeeze the potential of the human body, it will also cause a great burden on itself. Taking too much at one time will cause the body cells to release abnormal energy and make the cells rapidly exhausted. Reduced lifespan. Human beings eat 1 grain and it will cause a great burden to the body, while murlocs and mermaids, whose physique is 10 times stronger than common humans, can eat at most 2 or 3 grains at a time. When Whitebeard's father was seriously injured, he took a pill to squeeze the potential to hang himself. Although he saved his life, it also caused irreversible damage to himself. The people of the original Whitebeard pirates know more or less about the infamous reputation. A body as strong as my father's can't bear the power of the poison. Captain Lei Luo just ate it like this. The next second, FK, Captain Lei Luo took all the poison. Like swallowing jelly beans. The scene that caught his eyes completely made Jinbe, who was about to stop his words, but had no time to speak, as if he had been hit on the head with a big iron rod, and completely lost his ability to think and speak. Exclamation mark. N. Lei Luo responded coldly. Jinbe finally came back to his senses and looked at Lei Luo. Seeing that Lei Luo's expression remained the same without any change, he rubbed his eyes desperately and stared at Lei Luo with an unbelievable gaze. Advertisement. Carefully asked. Do you feel unwell? No. Jinbe was completely dumbfounded. It shouldn't be. Lei Luo was amused by Jinbe. Are you expecting something to happen to me? No, Captain Lei Luo, absolutely not. Jinbe waved his hands again and again, the whale shark's protruding canine head shook like a rattle, but when he looked at Lei Luo, his eyes were like a ghost in daylight. The look of astonishment was still unable to be well hidden. Lei Luo waved his hand. Then what are you doing in a daze? Continue what you did just now, sort out the most constructive ones and tell me. Before the words fell, the slightly noisy discussion week immediately rang again. Lei Luo didn't hesitate to use up all the 51 attribute points he just got, and the system interface flickered for a while. Armament Haki level. Absolute defense 705 1000s. When the progress bar reaches 1000, it can be upgraded to Admiral Peak and you have completed a more than half of the progress. Continue to move towards the peak. Almost at the same time, there was a high-pitched, loud and long dragon chant sound from within the body, and scorching heat burst out from the spine in an instant, quickly spreading and covering the whole body, it's as if there is a flying dragon in the air that wants to climb up from the spine and break out of the body. Dozens of eyes cast on Lei Luo in unison, all of them were stunned, they were all attracted by the loud and bright dragon chant sounding from Lei Luo's body. Hey, do you feel that the breath of Captain Lei Luo has become stronger, much stronger than a few seconds ago? Skuyid pushed the ice witch Whitebeard beside him, and said in a low voice. Goo. Whitey swallowed unconsciously, but quickly put on a look of, my old lady has seen the world, you can feel it, but can I feel it? Captain Lei Luo's aura is many times stronger than before. Even sitting so far away, I can clearly feel the oppressive feeling brought by Captain Lei Luo's enhanced aura. Sea Ranger Doma said with lingering fear. Marco, the phoenix closest to Lei Luo, trembled. Captain Lei Luo's strength has improved again. Isn't it said that the development of Armament Haki is tens of times more difficult than the development of Devil Fruit? Captain Lei Luo can hold a meeting right now, the speed at which his strength increases is too much. For a moment, Marco even had a feeling that even he couldn't believe it, feeling that the breath of Captain Lei Luo was getting closer and closer to his father when he was young. Because 433 is becoming more and more similar to the sense of oppression brought by the two auras. This is enough to show that the strength of Captain Lei Luo is constantly approaching his father when he was young. Fire Fist Ace was stunned for a moment, and then bursts of joy appeared in his eyes, like a little fan looking at a big idol. With his eyes closed, Lei Luo, who was immersed in his own changes, didn't notice the gazes cast by everyone. He only felt the heat wandering through his limbs and bones. Just a few breaths made him. Thoracic ribs and back ribs are fully armed and blackened. Clang. At the same time, there was an exceptionally clear sound of gold and iron clashing from finger joints, toe joints, knee joints, elbow and arm joints, etc. The numb and warm feeling made Lei Luo want to shout out. In the next moment, the heat from his whole body subsided instantly, and Lei Luo tried to cover his whole body with armed blackening, but with just a thought, the pitch black, armor-colored armor, had already covered his body, blood. Faster than ever before, clenching his fists, kicking his legs, and swinging his joints, Lei Luo could not conceal his surprise. The flexibility of each joint has increased by at least 10 times. When the circulating qi and blood pass through the joints of the whole body, there will be an extraordinarily refreshing feeling. Is it related to the sound made by the joints of the whole body just now? This Armament Haki upgrade has brought a qualitative change to the body. Lei Luo turned his head around and immediately understood what was going on. There is a layer of periosteum and cartilage in the joints of the human body, where the bones connect to the bones, in order to prevent the bone tissue from being worn out. In the past, although the bones had been armed and tempered, the periosteum and cartilage at the joints were still fragile. So every time I fight against an Armament Haki owner of Garp's level, my arm will be slightly dislocated, which will affect my performance. But now, the periosteum and cartilage have all been tempered, and it may not be so easy for Garp's fist to directly affect him. The blackening of the whole body's armament is so deep that it penetrates people, and the only place with slight color difference is the head. Lei Luo clenched his fists. If you fill up the progress bar of the absolute defense level, the blackening of the head's skeleton armament will be completed. At that time, it will be a body with absolute defense without weaknesses. Even an immortal body comparable to Kaido's dragon form is not impossible. At that time, old man Garp. Next time we meet, my armed body will no longer have weaknesses. Open your eyes. Lei Luo froze for a moment. Dozens of eyes stared at him dumbfounded again. Blue blue blue. Just when Lei Luo was about to reprimand a few words, the phone on his body suddenly rang. The phone bug connected. Hey, what's the matter, Karina? Didn't I say that today's situation is special, and you have full authority to handle the affairs of the Chamber of Commerce? Karina's slightly anxious voice came from the phone. Boss. There is a high probability that something happened to Derice Rosa. I can't get in touch now, but we are 300 nautical miles away. The informant said that at the most critical moment of the fierce battle between the President and Marine, the fleet of Plague Quinn under Kaido once appeared there. In the blink of an eye, the atmosphere in the entire conference hall suddenly became solemn. Marco the Phoenix, Jinbe the Murloc, Chaozi the Brick, Ace the Fire Fist, Vista the Foil, and the 44 captains of the vassal regiment all stood up in a flash. The momentum is terrifying. Dare to smash our place, Quinn is looking for death. Originally, Lei Luo was both the vice captain of the Whitebeard Pirates and the president of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce, but it was the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce that he valued more. But now that the Whitebeard Pirates have been reformed, Lei Luo has become one of the new generation of 4 emperors at sea. Then the forces under his hands must be integrated. Except for Marco and other powerful captains, how will the status of the rest of the captains be arranged at that time? In the end, apart from strength, what is the impression in front of the new captain? But in the past, Lei Luo was always in a hurry, and the captains of the major vassal regiments were not qualified to flatter him at all. Now is the opportunity. Since Kaido's dog bit Lei Luo's foot, of course he must seize this opportunity. Kaido, Quinn. There was a cold light in Lei Luo's eyes, and he whispered slowly. Advertisement. Chapter 89. Plague Quinn died here. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Kaido, Quinn. Dare to smash my field. Great. It seems that the last Jack the Drow didn't make them smart. All of a sudden, Lei Luo's cold, powerful, and mountain-heavy aura swept away, and a strong sense of oppression and suffocation quickly spread. The pirates who were clamoring for Quinn to die just a second ago, who were about to go through fire and water for Lei Luo, were suddenly intimidated by this aura and became quiet. Lei Luo picked up the phone bug and said, Karina, disperse all the people from the intelligence department immediately, and find out where Quinn is. Yes, Karina's extremely capable voice came from the phone bug. Blue, blue, blue. However, the moment Lei Luo hung up the phone bug, Marco's phone bug rang suddenly, and the moment it was connected, it came out with a completely flustered voice. Captain Marco, Plague Quinn broke into our territorial waters and poisoned a brother on an island. Blue, blue, blue. Before the voice finished, Karina's phone bug rang again. Boss, the latest news is that Kaido's Plague Quinn broke in from the south blue area of our territorial sea and released the plague bombs. All the brothers on Garona Island were poisoned. The remaining troops of the Langba pirates and none of the members of the Chamber of Commerce placed on the island were left alive. They did not rob, only killed. In an instant, the atmosphere in the entire conference hall suddenly became extremely dignified. Do not loot, only kill. This is no longer a general conflict of interests, but a gauntlet issued by the Beast's pirates to the White Paper Flower pirates. At the end of the meeting room, the captain of the Langba pirates wearing a knight helmet, his eyes turned red. The edge of the territorial waters of the western South Blue Domain is under his jurisdiction, and Garona Island is the island under his jurisdiction. Damn, Quinn actually invaded from his place. Isn't this putting eye drops on Captain Lei Luo in front of him? Captain Lei Luo. The Wolf Pirates request the vanguard to fight. Wolf stood up without hesitation. There was a gloomy and cold look in Lei Luo's eyes, and he stepped back. Quinn, you really deserve to die. Throwing off de Reis Rosa, he dared to directly insert himself into Laozi's territory. He is quite courageous. It also saved me trouble. Looking at Ace. Chart. Each of the captains of the 16th Division of the original Whitebeard Pirates has at least one person and two posts. For example, Marco, in addition to being the captain of the first team, is also a ship doctor. In addition to being the captain of the fourth squad, the Dead Sage was also the chef who provided the meals for the entire pirate group. In addition to being the captain of the second team, Ace also has another job, navigator. This is due to the high-quality sailing skills he learned from Sabo, a noble son, when he was young. Otherwise, Ace would not be able to sail alone on the Grand Line with a rocket ship that can convert energy. Hearing Lei Luo's call, Ace immediately took off the cowboy hat on his head, stabbed and tore it off. FK. Even Lei Luo was slightly taken aback. Ace opened his cowboy hat, and inside was a chart of the territorial waters of the entire White Paper Flower pirates. The sea chart unfolded, and Marco focused his eyes on an area in the western South Blue Domain. As Whitebeard's right-hand man in the past, Lei Luo guessed what the new captain wanted to do the moment he showed the sea chart. Captain. According to Quinn's route, his next target must be here, Devil's Island. The straight line distance between these two islands is the shortest. Lei Luo shook his head. He won't go to Devil's Island. His next target is here. Nagar Island. Lei Luo pointed to Nagar Island, which is farther than Devil's Island. Marco was taken aback for a moment, bypassing the islands that are closer to fight the islands that are farther away. This doesn't make strategic sense at all. Wait, could it be? In the next second, Marco suddenly understood that Garona Island, which had already been captured, and the Nagar Island mentioned by Captain Lei Luo had one thing in common, that is, both had the base of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Plague Quinn is not coming for the White Paper Flower Pirates, but for the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce, for Lei Luo. The moment Marco understood, Lei Luo picked up the phone and said, Karina, let everyone in Nagar Island evacuate. Advertisement. Yes. Also, dispatch the Black Gem and let Floyd take the video phone bug to Canal Island as quickly as possible. I want to prepare some small gifts for Kaido. Clear. The phone bug hung up, and Lei Luoteng stood up suddenly. Wolf. Exist. The southwest is your jurisdiction, you lead the way. Go to Nagar Island. Yes. Lang Ba forcefully agreed. Lei Luo looked at everyone present. The whole army is ready. Go to start the first battle of the White Paper Flower Pirates, and take Quinn's dog head as a sacrifice to the flag. Roar. When Lei Luo gave an order, the 15 captains and the 44 captains of the vassal regiment immediately responded like a tsunami. Marco, Ace, Josie, Vista. Exist. The four stood up immediately, and Ace's voice was particularly high-pitched and resonant. I remember that your tactical command ability is good. Each of you led 11 vassal regiments in the surrounding waters surrounding Nagar Island, sealed 3 and left 1, let Quinn in, closed the door and beat the dog. Yes. There was a tyrannical arc on the corner of Lei Luo's mouth. Kaido. Quinn, my Lei Luo place is not so easy to smash. Blood debt, blood debt. At the same time, the west-south blue domain of the white paper flower pirates' territorial waters. On the deck of the Brachiosaurus, Plague Quinn is on the sea above Wang Yang, and Plague Quinn is flipping through the latest issue of the newspaper. His arm that was blown up by the blood bomb has recovered under his powerful technological means, as ever. With a big cigar in his mouth, he intermittently read out the above content with an extremely surprising and funny emphasis. White paper flowers are withering, and the armed natural disaster Lei Luo is rising. Ha ha ha. Quinn laughed loudly, the fat on his body made waves. The strong rise of the armed scourge. Natural disaster. It's very compatible with Beast's pirates. How about I report to Governor Kaido and invite this natural disaster to become the fourth largest sign of Beast's pirates? The fourth natural disaster is fine. Speaking of this, Quinn's voice suddenly paused, and then suddenly shifted and said in a tone like a play of a funny drama, if this young brat has this kind of information. Ha 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 ha. Quote. Ha 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 ha. Quinn smiled, and the givers and waiters on the Brachiosaurus also laughed ha ha ha. Master Quinn must laugh when telling jokes, even if they are not funny, otherwise will be put on the dissecting table. Suddenly, a brand new reward order fell out of the newspaper. Quinn picked it up and took a look. The pair of small round eyes under the triangular sunglasses stared out exaggeratedly. He picked up the reward order and showed it to the subordinates behind him. A funny voice sounded. Look, you know us, what kind of opponent are you going to face? Lei Luo, a big pirate armed with a bounty of 3 billion, is a dangerous guy who is highly valued by the world conqueror. Blue, blue, blue. The phone bug suddenly called out, and Quinn struggled to take it out of his underwear, and connected it, and there was a muffled but extremely cold voice from the phone bug. Quinn. Where are you? Hearing this voice, Plague Quinn jumped up, stood straight, and moved forward. Brachiosaurus trembled 3 times because of his huge figure of 3 meters in all directions. Brother Jin, I'm sweeping the white paper flower Lei Luo's place. De Reese Rosa failed to get the manufacturing method of Smile's artificial devil fruit. Just go back like this, the governor will definitely not let me go lightly. After listening to Quinn's words, Jin was obviously a little annoyed during the part about the phone bug, and even his tone changed. Didn't you read the latest issue of the newspaper? That Lei Luo is now called an armed natural disaster by the world Zhengfu. Men who value it. Even if its strength has not reached the 4 emperors, it is not far from the 4 emperors. You are not his opponent, withdraw immediately, and don't lose the governor's goods. Quinn immediately changed into an extremely serious tone. Yes, I understand, I will return immediately. Jin on the other end of the phone said coldly, don't think I don't know you, every time you speak in this tone, you definitely have your own agenda. Quinn, I can't find the manufacturing method of Smile's artificial devil fruit, so the 8,000 artificial devil fruit you grabbed are the only batch, which is extremely important to the governor. Governor Kaido said exactly what he said, telling the idiot Quinn that Lei Luo is no longer something he can deal with. If he is smart, he should immediately return with artificial devil fruit. Once he loses the goods of the governor, Lousy will eat him himself. Weigh it yourself. After the voice fell, Jin had already hung up the phone bug. Quinn's face was cloudy and uncertain for a while, and the deputy on the side stepped forward cautiously. Master Quinn, then shall we return to the voyage? Advertisement. Snapped. Before the words fell, Quinn's fat and huge slap had already landed on the deputy. Boom. This unlucky guy was sent flying more than 10 meters by Quinn's slap, and landed heavily on the deck. Are you teaching me how to do things? Are you the captain, or is Lousy the captain? Who do you think Lousy is? Listen everyone, go at full speed and go to Lei Luo's next stronghold. I will wipe out all his chambers of commerce in this area. Quote, exclamation mark, quote. The crew promised to sail the waves and move forward at full speed. What about Lousy's Anko rice cake soup? Ton, 2 sounds. 2 big iron buckets of Anko rice cake soup were placed in front of Quinn, and Quinn picked it up and drank it. Ton, to barely suppress the anger in his heart. Looking at the newspaper and the reward order in his hand, Quinn shook his head and directly extended it to the king of Wang Yang. If he just went back without finding out how to make Smile's artificial devil fruit, Governor Kaido would never spare him, and the only way to escape punishment is to make another great contribution. For meritorious service, there is nothing more suitable prey than this Lei Luo. Armed scourge. In my opinion, it is a scapegoat specially arranged by the world Zhengfu. That stinking bird Morgans of the news agency has always been obedient to the orders of the world's government, and he can write whatever he is asked to write. This time, the news that Marine won a complete victory and wiped out the Whitebeard pirates, and Whitebeard Edward Newgate was killed on the spot, was published on the front foot, and then an article praising Lei Luo was published in the same newspaper. This kind of contradictory news can only explain one thing, that is, the world Zhengfu wants to praise and kill Lei Luo, build a strong reputation for him, and induce those pirates to chop off his head worth 3 billion Baileys. In this way, you can wipe out the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates and Lei Luo's white paper flower chamber of commerce without any effort. When I was in De Reese Rosa before, I thought that Lei Luo was nothing more than that. The Smile man-made devil fruit factory is so important, and that kind of garbage is actually sent to guard it. It is enough to show that this Lei Luo is a piece of crap. Now that I read the newspaper, I am even more convinced of this. Whether it's white paper flowers or armed natural disasters, it's just a title imposed on him by the world conqueror government. He is just a sad chess piece in the plan of the world conqueror government to destroy the Whitebeard pirates. That's all. Even if this guy is really strong, it doesn't matter. He is a dignified plague, but the methods of killing people, Lei Luo are endless. Killing Lei Luo, he has more than 100. Way. Moreover, once Whitebeard dies, there are not a few people who will be eyeing this fat piece of his territory. Lei Luo should be struggling to deal with it at this time, suppressing the riots. Otherwise, how could there be only a few people on the island at the edge of the territorial waters? You must know that the edge of the territorial sea is equivalent to the border of a land country, and it is an extremely important place. There are only 3 or 2 kittens staying behind, which can only show that they have gathered more. The troops are doing other things. Oh no, shock riots and so on really think highly of that guy. After Whitebeard's death, Lei Luo, the vice captain, lost his backing and wanted to order the group of unruly people under Whitebeard's hands. It is by no means an easy task. Perhaps, Lei Luo is not busy suppressing the riots now, but busy fighting for territory with the sons of Whitebeard. Ha 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 village. No matter how you look at it, this is the perfect time to break into the former Whitebeard territorial waters, kill Lei Luo, and destroy the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Since Governor Kaido regards Lei Luo as a threat, then help him eliminate this threat, not only without fault, but with merit. About an hour and a half later, the lookout on the advancing Brachiosaurus suddenly shouted, "Master Quinn, I saw Nagar Island." According to information, there is also a station of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. Quinn's eyes under the triangular sunglasses were sinister and tyrannical. Plague bombs are ready. As long as they are within the range, they will be blasted towards me immediately. No grass will grow, and no one will be left behind. 11. Yes, in just a few minutes, Nagar Island in the distance gradually became clear, and the pier and tall buildings on the island could be seen clearly. And on the high tower building with European medieval architectural style hangs a huge white banner, with 8 big blood red characters on the white background. Plague Quinn died here. Advertisement. Chapter 90. The Unbelievable Plague Quinn. Please subscribe. Advertisement. The wind and clouds were surging above the sky, and soon it began to rain. Layers of mist appeared on the sea surface, and the end where the sea and sky met, the visibility continued to decrease. Going to the deck of the Brachiosaurus, looking at the white banner hanging high on the island in the distance, Plague Quinn's face changed suddenly. Is there an ambush? Impossible. My calculations cannot be wrong. There was a deep shadow in Quinn's eyes. He is not the kind of Jack the Drow who climbed to the position of the 3 plagues by muscle and brute force. As one of the 3 big kanbans of Beast's pirates, he not only has the brute force beyond Jack the Drow, but also the inventor of dangerous mechanical weapons and germs as his true face. He has ravaged many marine warriors who were enemies of the Beast's pirates with his advanced poison-making chemical technology. His strong strategic mind and ability to command troops are the most terrifying aspects of him. It is precisely because of this that he became Governor Kaido's pre-tent military advisor and firmly sat in the position of the 3 disasters. Therefore, his calculation can never be wrong. When he first saw the blank picture, Quinn was indeed taken aback. But calm down and think about it. Hey, it's just a plan to retreat from the enemy with an empty city. Whitebeard no longer exists, so how can Lei Luo, a kid in his 20s, shock Whitebeard's sons? The current Lei Luo should be overwhelmed and exhausted, struggling to mediate between the 15 captains and the more than 40 former captains of the vassal regiment. And his White Paper Flower Merchant Association used to bloom all over the world, and now it is scattered all over the territorial waters of the red and white families, with powerful intelligence-gathering capabilities. As expected, this guy should have received the news that de Rosa was attacked, and knew that he was sweeping up the various locations of the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce, but this guy has no skills at all. There is no way to get out a horse to deal with it, so we can only use this kind of psychological warfare tricks. Do you want to scare off Lousy? Ha 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 ha. Lei Luo. Ah Lei Luo, you are nothing more than that, you are too young. All kinds of thoughts flashed by, and Quinn was sure that the scene in front of him was just Lei Luo's poor strategy, and at the same time, an unknown fire burst out from the bottom of his heart. Fire the plague bombs and raise the island to Lousy. Boom. Before the words fell, the earth-shattering sound of the cannon boomed, the barrel of the cannon was scorching hot, and tongues of fire were spewing out, and the hot cannonballs dragged a green smoke tail in midair. Every 10 cannonballs are filled with poison. This is his proud work of Plague Quinn, a representative work, which made his name of Plague. Once the plague breaks out, it will kill thousands of miles, not a single blade of grass will grow, and everything will perish. Boom. When the plague bomb landed, there was a violent sound like a mountain shaking. The soil where it landed quickly collapsed, the green poison spread in the wind, and the trees and grass withered quickly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Boom, boom, boom. The cannons rang out, and the entire Nagar Island was shrouded in a layer of poisonous green mist. Ha 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 ha. Quinn laughed wildly, the fat on his face was extremely distorted. Little ones. Roar. The high-pitched and wild roars of the givers and those on standby responded to Quinn's call. Leave the boat there. Land on the island. Leave no one behind. Roar. Everyone wore gas masks in unison. Moving forward, the Brachiosaurus speeded up suddenly, as if it had turned into a giant assault boat. In just a few minutes, it crashed into the pier of Nagar Island in an extremely brutal manner. Kill. Not one left. Eradicate the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce. The givers with a strong body rushed forward first, followed by those on standby, roaring and rushing to kill. Standing on the bow of the boat, Quinn looked at the huge white banner on the high tower building in the center of the island. The contempt in his eyes was undisguised, and he sneered, Quinn died here. Hee hee. Which base of the white paper flower chamber of commerce should I go to sweep next? Quinn took out the sea chart, and gesticulated with his fat fingers on the chart. However, the next moment, a voice of astonishment and surprise interrupted Quinn's thoughts. Master Quinn, there is no one on the island. What? Quinn raised his head abruptly, the small eyeballs almost protruding from the triangle sunglasses. His complexion changed slightly, as if he smelled a dangerous smell with his keen intuition as a conductor. Master Quinn, there is no one on the island, and there are obvious signs of retreat in the buildings and strongholds. In just a few short breaths, the subordinates who returned from the island came to report. It's not good. I was calculated. There is no one on the island, and Balian Gaohong led me to the island. If you reason with this momentum, you may have already fallen into the encirclement set by the other party in advance. Advertisement. Quinn, who had a strategic and tactical mind, realized this instantly. But it's not right. Lei Luo should be at his wit's end at this time. There is no way he has any remaining soldiers to ambush him, except, Quinn suddenly thought of something, and suddenly felt a chill in his heart. Did he think wrongly from the beginning? That kid Lei Luo has already integrated the various forces under Whitebeard's command, and subdued Whitebeard's old gang. Only then can he have enough troops to do these things. At the same time, 2 teams returned from the island came to report. Lord Quinn, there is no one on the island, and all supplies have been withdrawn. Master Quinn, the buildings deep in the island are filled with plagues written in scarlet letters. Quinn died here. Made. Quinn slammed his fist heavily on the side of the ship, causing fine cracks to appear on the solid side of the ship. Withdraw. Get out of here. Quinn gave the order without any hesitation, but the panicked voice of the lookout on the ship also sounded urgently. Master Quinn, look over there. Quinn looked in the direction of the watchman's finger. Damn it. In the distance where the sea and the sky meet, dozens of pirate ships rushed out, broke through the thick fog, and came through the wind. The leader was the Black Jewel driven by Floyd, and a huge video phone was placed on the deck. Worm, from the moment he received Lei Luo's order, Floyd rushed to this sea area as fast as he could. He designed and manufactured the jet propulsion device on the Black Gem, and he will drive this ship faster than others. Taking advantage of the time when Plague Quinn had not yet arrived, Floyd modified the main gun of the Black Gem. Launching high-purity dry ice-like substances to rain and fog this sea area is a trivial matter for a scientific worker like him who is crazy and enthusiastic and has super hands-on skills. The climate change in New World is already complicated and treacherous. If you secretly do something, such as rain or fog, the other party will not be able to detect it, but this fog will become the biggest protective color for boss Lei Luo and the others to surround Plague Quinn. As a capable subordinate, one should always think of the boss and share his worries. This is Floyd's only non-scientific motto. Lei Luo sits firmly on the throne, watching the pirates under his command complete the encirclement of the entire Naga Island. Quinn, I took your life away, Kaido can't even keep you. I said it. Lei Luo exhaled and opened his voice, a thunderous and deep voice resounded through the entire sea. Roar. 15 captains, 44 captains of vassal regiments, and more than 30,000 pirates shouting and roaring in a dense crowd. The roar of mountains and tsunami is frightening. On the island, Quinn's givers and waiters froze in an instant, their legs trembled, their faces were pale, and they couldn't see any blood. The entire Brachiosaurus has only about 100 people, more than 100 against more than 30,000, such a disparity, no, the result of crushing the gap in troops can be imagined, it is dead. This image is so impactful. And everyone on the Quinn boat saw this weird and shocking scene at the moment. On the surrounding sea area, Lei Luo sat alone on top of the huge sea kings, full of haki. There are countless captains from the Whitebeard pirates around, and the captains of the subgroups are all sitting on the huge mast, complimenting Lei Luo who sits high on the head of the Sea Kings. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Quinn looked at this scene in disbelief at the moment, and he stared at everyone on the surrounding warships in disbelief. It all stimulated his nerves so much. He couldn't believe such a thing. One after another, the pirates from the Beast's pirates reboarded their warships. When they saw the shocking roar of the densely packed 30,000 pirates, they couldn't help but gasp in their hearts. Eyes full of fear, even Quinn can't believe that Lei Luo has subdued the entire Whitebeard pirates in just 2 days, and can quickly integrate forces to surround him. Does he not need time? Wasn't it necessary to deal with Whitebeard's death after being attacked by the entire Marine Army? AEED. How does he have time to arrange all this on this island? Shouldn't the Whitebeard pirates be in chaos now? Shouldn't Lei Luo be seriously injured and overworked? Everything is different from what he thought. What is going on now? But Quinn, worthy of being one of the 3 big kanbans of the Pirates of Beasts, the plague who is best at brains and strategies, quickly calmed down after a short shock. Lei Luo, you are indeed extraordinary, but I'm afraid you still have the power now. If you are disabled, these guys will definitely attack you. It's just helping stinky fish and rotten shrimp, and you still want to keep me, Quinn. In terms of military strength, he is at an absolute disadvantage, but in terms of firepower, the plague bombs loaded on the Brachiosaurus are enough to destroy a small country. Regardless of the large number of people in Lei Luo, if you use plague bombs to cover them with single-directional firepower, the poison of Shang will soon tear a big hole in the encirclement. His reputation as a plague is not in vain. Snapped. Quinn slapped one of the subordinates beside him on the head. Don't panic. Go back to the ship, open all the muzzles, load all the plague bombs, and meet the enemy. Advertisement. These words seemed to have magical powers, and the givers and those on standby came back to their senses. Yes, that's right. Why panic? Under the firepower of the plague bombs, let alone more than 30,000 people, even a small country will be destroyed in the pervasive poison. The firepower of the forward Brachiosaurus cannot be calculated with common sense at all. The people who were originally scattered on the island quickly retreated to the ship, the Brachiosaurus started again, the sails accelerated, and it broke into the encirclement directly, and at the same time pulled Lei Luo's fleet into the range of his artillery fire. Kong ku 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 ku. On both sides of the Brachiosaurus, black muzzles continued to protrude. For a moment, the Brachiosaurus seemed to be transformed into a giant hedgehog, waiting for Quinn's order to launch a heavy artillery attack at any time. Quinn on the deck stared at Lei Luo on the opposite throne, and said with a distorted smile, Lei Luo. Hey, Lousy was looking for you, but you came to the door by yourself and took my life. Ha ha ha. Boy, Lousy will teach you a lesson. On the battlefield, superiority in military force is not equal to absolute superiority. Quinn grinned grimly, and issued an offensive order brazenly, the frontal main gun, the auxiliary fire. Commanding operations is skillful, especially artillery fire commanding. It's not a matter of hitting the cannonballs all at once to win the game. At different times and in different strategic positions, different cannons are used. Fire. This is the value of the whole ship fully loaded with firepower. First use the frontal firepower to tear open a hole, and then drive straight in. Once deep into the enemy's encirclement net, directly use the firepower from the left and right sides of the ship to salvo, and the firepower from the stern can be used to block pursuers. If all goes well, a quarter of Lei Luo's men can be quickly wiped out with just one attack, and at the same time, the encirclement will be completely torn apart. Boom, boom, boom. The hot and poisonous cannonballs shot out from the fiery cannons are about to fall on the pirate ships on Lei Luo's side. Lei Luo is still sitting firmly on the throne, the corner of his mouth twitched. Ace. With his current strength, dealing with Plague Quinn can be as direct and strong as dealing with Jack the Drow. But today is different. He is now the king of the white paper flower pirates. The king must have the posture of a king, the captain has something to do, and the crew will do their best. Fire Fist Ace stomped his feet fiercely and flew into the air, mirror flame. Ace, who jumped into the air, sprayed out a large amount of hot flames with one arm, and instantly built a wall of fire that covered the sky to stop all the plague bombs. The corner of Plague Quinn's mouth twitched into a sly sneer. If the plague bullets were so easy to block, then it wouldn't be the scientific product that Plague Quinn was proud of. Boom. The moment the plague bomb touched the flames, it exploded directly, and a large amount of green poisonous mist poured down, like a huge cover that was continuously pressed down, directly buckling the Lei Luo fleet. Over the sky. Ha 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 ha. Plague Quinn laughed exaggeratedly and funny ly. With such a huge coverage area, it seems that this battle will end faster than expected. Looking at the miserable green poisonous mist all over the sky, everyone on Lei Luo's side panicked a little. The overwhelming green poisonous mist was really depressing. Suddenly, a tyrannical aura as stable as a mountain spread out. Everyone looked up and saw that Lei Luo was neither in a hurry nor in a panic, sitting on the throne in a bold and grandiose manner, with an indifferent expression as if the mountain collapsed in front of him and would not change. With just one glance, the hearts of all the pirates are determined, and everyone has a common belief in their hearts. Captain Lei Luo is so calm, there must be a way to deal with these poisonous smogs. Marco. Lei Luo called out indifferently. Crazy. With a sharp scream, Marco, who was wrapped in azure blue flames, turned into a huge phoenix with wings stretching 10 feet, fluttering into the air. Stop being arrogant, Quinn. The voice sounded. Marco's azure blue wings waved fiercely. Just for a moment, a tornado storm seemed to be set off over the fleet, and the green poisonous fog rushed towards Quinn's Brachiosaurus. Spill down. Quinn's expression froze. Marco. No wonder. Even Marco, the captain of the first team, joined Lei Luo. With the help of this eldest son, Lei Luo was able to subdue 16 teams and more than 40 subordinate groups so quickly. Use seastone bullets to push him back, and bring out the special plague cannon. As soon as Quinn gave the order, the crew immediately rushed out and fired at Marco in midair with a blunderbuss loaded with seastone bullets. At the same time, the deck of the Brachiosaurus was opened, and a huge heavy cannon with a width of more than 2 meters and a length of more than 10 meters slowly rose up. The caliber of the muzzle alone was a full meter. Quinn took a deep breath on the cigar, and the lit cigar poked at the heavy gun's belief. This gun, how do you resist, Lei Luo? Boom. The thunderous cannons shook the sky, and even the advancing Brachiosaurus retreated more than 100 meters due to the strong recoil. The extra-large plague bomb with a diameter of 1 meter came over with an unparalleled force, and the eyes of the pirates quickly enlarged, and almost everyone was sweating. Such a big shot. Cannonballs are poisonous, and once they explode, the consequences will be disastrous. How will Captain Lei Luo deal with them? In the next moment, Lei Luo finally got up from the throne, slowly came to the bow of the boat, raised one arm. Advertisement.